99% of gamblers quit before making it big, and this apocalypse ain't any different, my brother. Bro's survivability is 100% dependent on luck. Spin the wheel and pray. But to spin, you gotta collect some crystals from the good old zombies. I slice the trucker while baby mama watches in awe. Price is paid and the shit rotates. I'm just a lil degenerate gambler, so please make my day. Damn, trash as always, but that's fine. We're in the apocalypse, and I have infinite chances to try again, considering that all of humanity has now become farmable. But before that, you gotta know, I was a top-ranked survivor in my past life. Of course, I was betrayed by those I trusted the most and left to die. They used me all this time, but the moment I needed them, I was abandoned. Unlucky for them, I regressed. Unlucky for me, I spawned right beside my mentally challenged ex-girlfriend. I hate her so much I just want to leave right now. But this lobotomized, autonomous creature starts shouting, asking where I'm going. I tell her I know she's cheating on me with a dude named Chin Jun. Does she think I'm Piers Morgan, someone who likes to be in the cuck chair? She's shocked by the truth, but pretends nothing happened and calls me a clown. But I remember it all. She'll abandon me and in the end, be sold by her new boyfriend for 3 cans of food, overpriced for real. While she's shouting that she's the one dumping me, I'm already out. Ayo, cool citizen, can you please bring me to the nearest hospital? Yes, sir. Bro's stealing even the important medicine from the whole hospital. That's a true grinder. New shoes so he can kill zombies with drip, and a lil machete to fuel his gambling addiction. He offered 3,000 to the driver if he could reach a certain place in 5 minutes. He needs to move fast because his hands are trembling. 5 hours without gambling is too much, fam. We break the barrier, and finally, here we are, the place where everything will begin. Some guards want to stop me, but that's exactly the moment a strange spaceship appears. Everyone's confused and taking photos, but I know where I gotta move. There's a mansion nearby. I present myself as a delivery boy through the intercom, and I'm inside. High trust society is something else, but that's when Shawty appears yelling that she's gonna call the cops, when suddenly an explosion happens outside. The spaceship's dropping a bunch of capsules, giant pill-like things that destroy everything they land on. From inside them, a strange green toxin starts spreading, and right before their eyes, people start mutating. The protagonist just stands there in shock, watching the chaos. Outside, people are screaming, biting each other, begging for help. The woman next to him wants to know what the hell's going on and says if he doesn't leave right now, she's calling the police. But he completely ignores everything she says, spots the kitchen, and bolts toward it. And there it is, the first wheel of the apocalypse. The woman asks what that thing is, and he simply replies that the exchange wheel appeared, just as he expected. In the middle, he can see it's got a gray crystal, meaning it's the lowest level one possible. The woman assumes he broke in just to see that, but she still wonders why it appeared in her house of all places. Meanwhile, he's staring at the wheel amazed. One of its sections shows a Genesis medicine. That's one of the rarest items of all, capable of multiplying someone's physical strength several times over. He notices a marking on it showing that with 5 crystals, you can directly claim the item, basically skipping the luck part. He starts spinning the wheel, mumbling to himself, scanning through all the items flashing by, potions, weapons, medicine, even a desert eagle. There's everything in there. He also spots a clone card, and now the woman's getting curious. She wants to know what that does. He explains that she wouldn't understand, but it boosts special abilities. He decides to tell her more, since she hasn't turned into a zombie yet. Maybe she's got some resistance to the toxin because of how close she is to it. He explains she could become really strong, maybe even gain some kind of special ability. But she doesn't believe a word of it. She just tells him to stop talking nonsense, saying he sounds like he's in some kind of video game. He tells her to shut up and listen carefully, because they're screaming outside, and just stopped. She realizes it's true and rushes over to see what's happening. The protagonist knows that if she steps outside, she's going to die instantly. And sure enough, the moment she reaches the door, the first zombie locks eyes on her. Not only that, she opens the door like an idiot, gets thrown to the floor, and the creature's about to bite her. But the girl manages to grab it by the jaw. Smart move, I'll give her that. Too bad the zombie isn't completely dumb either, and it slaps her across the face. Just then, a flash of green light shoots by. The protagonist lands his first kill. The creature's slime splatters all over the girl's face, but he doesn't care. He just reaches for its forehead and pulls out the crystal. The woman's watching, looking kind of intrigued, when suddenly 2 more zombies burst through the front door. She flinches and backs up, but our reckless protagonist steps right in front of her. The creatures lunge forward to bite, but they're low level, so with one quick glare and a clean swing of his mesh eat, both are down again. The blade drips and she asks how he knows how to fight like that. She also wants to know who he is and why he's even there. He simply says his name's Vijong Ming. He asks for hers and she replies Muxin Fei. Judging by the look that crosses his face, this girl must be seriously dangerous in the future. He remembers seeing a woman standing on top of a mountain of corpses. He doesn't know if it was a zombie or if it was really her, but from what he recalls, she became a 9-star warrior. Right now though, she's all soft and scared, asking what's going on. The guy gives her the short version. Earth's been invaded, zombies are everywhere, and survival just started. She keeps asking why, who, when. He just says he doesn't know either. Only that they need to start collecting these crystals right now. Surviving is all that matters. She insists it doesn't make sense, that they should wait for the military to come rescue them. But Zhang Ming explains that the military probably collapsed within minutes. The only thing left outside now is a world full of zombies. Seeing how terrified she looks, Zhang starts to understand why this woman later became a 9-star warrior. She must have something special, and besides, having someone to help isn't a bad idea. So he tells her to come with him, promising to teach her everything about surviving in this zombie-ridden world. Obviously, the most important things are resources and gear, especially those that come from the wheels. If you spin a normal wheel, you get random items, but if you want something specific, you can fill in the slots to secure it. She notices the shapes look just like the crystals he was pulling from the zombies' heads, and he confirms it by inserting 3 of them. That's exactly how it works, he says. She asks what he meant earlier about a wheel costing 7 crystals. He explains that the greater the reward, the more crystals it takes. She immediately understands, so there must be other wheels out there with better prizes. That's right, girl, he says with a grin. You're pretty sharp. This one's just a level 1 wheel. Then she asks the obvious question, how the hell do you already know all this? He hesitates, not sure what to say, and finally replies, how about you spin the wheel instead, huh? He tells her he's going out to hunt zombies and that she should stay put, keep an eye on things, and not open the door no matter what happens. The poor girl's stunned that he's actually going out there on purpose to fight monsters. But it's the zombies who should be scared, thinking this will be easy, only for a guy with 10 years of experience to show up and slice the head off the first one. 4 more stand in his way and charge forward, but he slips behind another, cuts one down, leaves his blade trailing, kicks another in the head, jumps, and finishes the next one on the ground. Holy hell! Then it's just the usual routine, harvesting crystals from their foreheads. But right then, he hears someone calling for help. When he turns around, the girl's running toward him, completely panicked and stumbling. This girl's out of her mind, seriously. Totally peculiar, she jumps right onto his back like, go die for me, you idiot. And honestly, she's got a point because the guy is an idiot. The protagonist jumps into defense mode, taking down the first one. But the moment he kills the second, the girl transforms behind him and lunges in for a bite. Good thing this guy's got eyes on the back of his head. He twists around mid-attack and slashes her clean through. The poor girl's torn apart and thrown to the floor. And just like that, he's got 11 crystals. When he gets back home, Mook Sinfei is clapping her hands. Apparently that's her contribution. The protagonist walks up to the wheel and places his finger on it. The moment you use up all your crystals, the stones vanish and the roulette starts spinning. The girl's already hooked. It's the gacha addiction hitting hard. On her very first spin, the dopamine's gone through the roof. The protagonist was hoping for some kind of medicine, but ends up with a few jars of food instead. Obviously, he's disappointed. She tries to show him it's not so bad, pointing out how much food they've got now and how they can stock even more together. But all he's thinking is how much of a waste that spin was. He tells her to take the next one because his luck's clearly trashed today. And of course, no one can resist that gambling dopamine, right? There she goes, trembling with excitement as she slots in another crystal. Meanwhile, the protagonist, curious to see what kind of prize a future 9-rank warrior will pull. He's standing behind her, watching that wheel spin. It's that same one that's been driving them both nuts. He knows the early spins are the most important because that's how you get stronger faster, snowballing your power by collecting more crystals than anyone else. Then she asks what this one does, but the protagonist suddenly looks uneasy. What she got is an elimination card. She asks if that's a good thing, and he says yeah. It's an item that blocks certain rewards from appearing on the wheel, which indirectly boosts your chances of getting better stuff. He explains that it's not very useful early on, but later becomes crucial for quickly farming high-tier rewards. He asks if she's always been this lucky, because getting that card from a basic wheel is rare. She tells him she always gets bonuses when she buys mystery boxes, and whenever she shops, items she wants just happen to be on sale. She even entered a raffle once and won a cow. The protagonist realizes the girl's a natural-born lucky charm. Fine by him, if she's blessed with luck, he'll make the most of it. Next morning, he's already heading out to collect crystals while she's complaining that it's way too early. He replies that today's goal is 100 crystals. The Fissy girl's all flustered, mumbling, wow, I can really depend on this man, he's so strong and masculine. She's practically swooning. The author clearly isn't afraid of being cancelled, because now she's in the kitchen saying she's finally in a woman's territory, trying to cook a meal worth 100 crystals. Then she probably gets cancelled online afterward and posts an apology. Anyway, when the curtain rises again, the protagonist's already back. Even she's surprised, saying he was fast. The guy's acting like they're in a relationship, saying he's got good news and bad news. What does she want first? She says good news. So he tells her the good news is that there are barely any zombies left around because he already killed most of them. She asks for the bad news, and he shows her he only managed to get this small batch of crystals. The airhead's still excited, saying that's enough to spin the wheel a few times. But he explains he's searched every house in the entire area, and that's all he got. Then he says he's starving and asks if she made something to eat. Oh, good grief. That's her 100 crystal meal. The thing's literally green. But of course, the protagonist eats it anyway. The guy's used to eating food off the ground in the apocalypse. He says the taste isn't even that bad. It's edible, not nearly as disgusting as he expected that filthy mess to be. She's a bit surprised he actually liked it. But anyway, we're already back at the wheel. The protagonist anxious to see what kind of good stuff she'll pull this time. Damn, Desert Eagle, ammo, a crossbow, arrows. She tells him to give it a try, but he refuses, saying she should keep using the crystals while he takes care of claiming the rewards. But she's clearly trying to charm the guy, grabs his hand, gives it a little blow, saying she's passing her luck to him. This guy doesn't even blush. He's just staring at her like she might be missing a few screws. Oh wait, next chapter, he is blushing bright red. The good thing is that as items are drawn from the wheel, it gets easier to land on certain ones. She's about to ask if she should use the elimination card to remove the biscuit box, but the moment she touches it, the card dissolves. She apologizes, saying she didn't know and that's how it activated, but he tells her it's fine. At least now there's a 1 in 5 chance of landing the medicine he wanted. Both of them start praying and finally it lands exactly where he hoped. A physical enhancement medicine that strengthens the body. She's standing there all amazed, asking if he'll really get stronger by taking it. He says yes, but tells her not to rush. He wants to show her something. He starts mixing something called a parin, which looks like a drug he grabbed back at the hospital, together with part of the potion. She asks if he's turning 1 into 2, and he says it's something like that. Every wheel gives different rewards, and each can be used in different ways. His plan is to trade what's left of that bottle for some valuable item from another survivor. Wait, so he's basically a scammer now? Suddenly, the mixture starts bubbling, and he quickly says they need to lower the temperature. He tells her to pay close attention and learn everything because she'll have to handle this herself later on. She still wants to know how he knows all this, but he tells her to keep quiet. He's hearing something strange. Then out of nowhere he runs, grabbing her by the wrist, and she's totally confused. He just says there's something much worse than zombies coming. The woman has no idea what could be worse until she looks at the door and sees massive mutated insects. These things don't have strong individual combat power, but the problem's obvious. They move in massive swarms. Man, just imagine those giant cockroaches crawling into your house, pure nightmare fuel. They drag furniture and block the door as fast as they can. He explains that all mutated organisms will instinctively attack humans, so she better stay alert. The creatures start banging on the door, and she throws herself onto him, and damn, she's got her squats in check. The protagonist snaps at her, "Get off me, idiot. I've got to deal with this alone." She's like, "Wow, I love being yelled at." He shoves her aside, saying, "Go, get out of here," and slams the door shut. Now let's drink this stuff and kill whatever's coming. Even though he hates the side effects it causes, he knows he's got no choice. Outside, the whole place is crawling with those giant bugs, hammering at the door. He finally gulps the potion down and immediately feels something strange in his pupils. He drops to his knees just as the first insect bursts in, its mouth full of some disgusting slime or whatever that is. The attack hits him full on, but when the others crawl in to see what happened to their friend, there's already a blade slicing through the first one's abdomen and sending its head flying. At the same time he tosses the first corpse aside, he jumps straight at the others, his eyes glowing red, radiating that aura-farming energy. The monsters raise a hard shell barrier on their backs, but even that doesn't stop him. He cuts through everything, and insect bodies rain down to the floor. And the worst part? They're the stinky kind. That room must smell like pure hell right now. Not to mention, insects reproduce insanely fast. If he doesn't kill the queen, they'll just keep coming. And right at that moment, he senses a presence behind him. Apparently, the damn queen herself had shown up, and right away he charges at her. The nasty thing spits some kind of venom right at his feet, but he manages to leap out of the way. Still, he sees the stuff eat straight through the wall. There's even a nice little necklace that drops to the ground, and he asks if the creature came to avenge her babies. The monster lunges at him, but he jumps, remembering exactly where this thing's weak point is. He slashes it right in the back, spinning his blade in a full arc. Damn, he practically turned into a helicopter right there. The poor creature suffers before finally dying, collapsing face first onto the floor. The protagonist, though, even after surviving, is completely sore. Using that medicine wrecks his body. Still, nothing beats winning a fight and getting a hug from wide hips, right? But then he realizes she's trembling all over and tells her to stop crying. The apocalypse just started, idiot. She says she's crying because the place stinks too much, and honestly, she's got a point. The whole place is full of giant, stinking bugs. It's disgusting. But then she asks what they're supposed to do with all those corpses. He replies that they're actually wonderful things. She looks confused, so he explains once food becomes scarce, the only sources left are the wheels, canned goods, and a kind of juice made from parts of those insects. She says eating bugs is disgusting, but he tells her it's still better than eating people. Damn, these two are really taking the apocalypse seriously, huh? Already thinking about cooking bugs. Hopefully it's just for training because come on, you've still got a fridge full of food, man. Go eat that lettuce before it spoils and save the bugs for later. While the poor girl's stuck with the smelly job, our boy, as usual, heads out to hunt. He warns her he'll have to go farther this time, so it might take longer, but he hopes to come back with a lot more crystals. She says she'll keep working, training to make medicine, and cooking those insects. And the guy, all confident and cool, tells her not to worry. He'll be back. With that, he sets off for another hunt, while the poor girl's left behind, staring off into space. Out in the streets, zombie corpses are scattered everywhere as the protagonist walks through. Suddenly, he hears someone screaming for help. Now he's wondering who the idiot is that's attracting every zombie in the area. When he turns the corner, holy hell, the design of this one. What are the chances she's another pretty face joining the team? She's there shouting for help, but she looks kind of suspicious. He yells at her to shut up, saying she's gonna get everyone killed. And right then, a whole swarm of zombies comes charging in from behind. The first one reaches out to grab her jacket, but the protagonist whips out his mesh sheet and slices its head clean off. He tells her to run that way, that he'll handle the rest. She darts down the side street and finds a little shop in the back. She opens the door and ends up in front of a small room, crying in panic as she watches him through the window, cutting down everything in sight. She calls out his name, desperate, and damn, he's making zombie heads fly everywhere. But soon he's forced to run too. He rushes toward the door, but the moment he steps inside, more zombies pile up, blocking it shut. Both of them realize they have to run upstairs. The situation's a mess, and the guy's clearly done with her. He was ready to leave her behind. But damn, she's way too pretty for that. Obviously, he grabs her arm, pulls her close by the waist, and keeps fighting off the zombies below. Man, this guy really doesn't learn, risking everything just to save a cute girl. Then suddenly, the entire stairwell lights up, an intense beam of light shining down on them. What looked like a meteor streaks across the sky, and the protagonist instantly recognizes it. That thing's the key to a dungeon. In this apocalypse, it's going to be one of the rarest items in the world. The only way to get into those mysterious lands filled with items and hope. Even 10 years in the future, most high-ranked guys dreamed of having one of those. And in this life, he swears that thing's going to be his. But the girl tells him to wake up. Yeah, he almost got bitten. The protagonist punches the first one in the face, slices the next with his mesh sheet, and says he almost lost his nerve. He keeps climbing the stairs a bit more and finally finds an easier path to deal with the monsters. One more advance and he severs another arm. The girl's in shock. Out of nowhere, she starts getting memories from not long ago, times when she was constantly surrounded by men who adored her. Everyone followed her. She had money, knowledge, wisdom. You could say she was chosen one of God's favorites. But everything changed and suddenly she lost it all. Her parents turned into zombies. She's collapsed on the floor, giving up, saying she's going to die right there. The protagonist tells her to wake up and keep climbing, even though zombies keep coming. She sees the staircase littered with corpses and asks how he's killing so many on his own. John tells her to stop sitting there and do something, because he needs to get out fast to go look for that dungeon key. But then she thinks, this guy is so strong, I can rely on him. He just says they'll head up to the roof now, and that's where they'll find an exit. Suddenly, both of them feel something weird, and in front of them, vines have grown everywhere. The poor thing, clearly not right in the head, is practically begging to get grabbed by tentacles. No, don't go that route. Don't let yourself be corrupted. Phew. He saves the day, cuts everything away, and makes the place passable for anyone. She's slight. Now that she's seen he's strong, she's already thinking about doing whatever it takes to make him fall for her. The protagonist, though, has a sixth sense for trouble and just drops her like a stone. She looks confused while he says he has to cut those plants away to move forward. He turns back and tells her to stop wasting time, but when he tries the door, it seems stuck from the inside. Want to know what they do? He says it's simple. Gives it a kick. Inside, though, he finds 3 guys, a whole family, even kids. Wait, I thought they were inside, but actually they came from outside, up on the roof. They ask what the 2 of them are doing up there. They say it wasn't safe downstairs, so they climbed up. The guys are angry, and understandably so. You broke the door, now everyone's gonna die. The protagonist replies that he already cleared all the zombies on the way and there aren't any left, so it's safe. But the blonde guy tells him to shut up and orders them to put the door back or they're all going to die. He shows a plank at the protagonist's chest and says if a zombie comes up, he'll be the first to be thrown out. Then a guy with a red mohawk, looking like the villain type, says the kid didn't know anything. Calm down. The e-girl looks awkward while our guy glances around and wonders why so many people are crowded in the corner. The blonde explains they're folks who fled from downstairs. He apologizes to the protagonist, saying it was a misunderstanding, and asks what they plan to do next. These guys seem way too nice, suspicious. The protagonist says he wants to go to Ning's school, probably where the dungeon key is. The blonde says it's crazy to go there. The streets are packed with zombies. But Zhang tells the truth. He saw a strange light fall in that area and wants to go check out what's happening. The blonde guy says he's got guts, while the protagonist just wants to know if he's seen any easier route, any shortcut at all. The survivor mentions a platform between 2 buildings that he could jump across, but warns that it's extremely dangerous. If he misses, he'll end up paralyzed for sure. The protagonist determines, saying he's going for it, but the e-girl clings to him, begging not to be left behind. He tells her it's fine, but she'll have to carry the backpack. The blonde guy calls him crazy. Does he really think he can make that jump while carrying her? Both of them must have a death wish. He suggests leaving the bag behind with him and says he'll toss it over after they make it. Yeah, right. Like anyone's going to believe that. The protagonist immediately tells her to get it together and put the pack on her back. She listens. He ties a rope around her waist and she wraps her arms around his shoulders. They're getting ready to jump when the blonde suddenly steps up, grabs his arm, and says that backpack looks packed with climbing gear. He warns him to hand it over or he's leaving with one less arm. The protagonist just calls him an idiot and bam, leaps straight off the edge without hesitation. He lands safely on the other side, carrying the girl, and everyone watching is stunned. This guy's insane, they mutter. The girl's shaking, crying, saying at least she's okay. But hey, this is the apocalypse. There's always some creeps around. A few perverts nearby are watching them licking their lips, saying how interesting this looks. And their buddies, even worse, they're a real pack of degenerates. While they're all sitting there watching, one of them asks for a cigarette. The guy with blue hair says, "No way, man. I found this one on some dead guy. It's all I've got left. They start talking about raiding a school building, but the bald one says it's locked tight. How are we supposed to get in? The blue-haired guy says, easy. We'll lure a bunch of zombies over and have fifth brother smash the place open. Just then, a 2-meter-tall beast of a guy walks in, wanting to know what's going on. The bald one says, fifth brother, there are zombies everywhere outside. Are we really gonna stay trapped here forever? The blue-haired guy says the whole world's gone mad. Everything changed overnight. This apocalypse is a total disaster. But fifth brother, being the worst of them, laughs and says they're not seeing the beauty in all this. Now they can do whatever they want, take whatever they want. The world's changed. Now the strong make the rules. To them, this isn't an apocalypse. It's heaven. Later that night, under the dim lights of some side streets, the protagonist sneaking through, scouting the zombies. He signals to the e-girl, who comes running. She's graceful even while fleeing for her life. She glances around, keeps running, but pleads for him to slow down. She's not exactly a runner. He looks at her and thinks he's been fooled by that pretty face. Bringing her along was a stupid idea. Still, he keeps speeding up, telling her she'd better push herself as she doesn't want to be left behind. She's sweating like crazy, doing her best not to slow down. Then they reach a door. The protagonist knows that, in theory, this should be the entrance to the school and that there'll probably be people inside. But one thing's for sure, it's also packed with zombies. Inside one of the classrooms, a group of students is barricading the door as hordes of zombies slam against it. Everyone inside's already given up hope. They've accepted that all that's left is to wait for death. Then one girl spots 2 people at the front entrance and starts shouting for help. The e-girl, whose name we still don't even know, reacts, saying there are survivors inside. The protagonist, however, says their priority is protecting themselves, not saving others. But the teenagers inside keep screaming and crying for help, tears streaming down their faces. While the protagonist stays cold and collected, he says those screams will only attract more zombies and that they should get away from there. The shouting continues as the e-girl turns around and apologizes, clearly upset that she can't save anyone. The protagonist tells her to stop being stupid. If those people are trapped in that room, it's because there are tons of zombies outside the door. If she really wants to save them so badly, then she can go do it herself. Damn, he roasted her out of nowhere. The girl's completely thrown off. As she walks through the school courtyard surrounded by dead zombies, she wonders what exactly he's doing here. Then she thanks him for saving her and asks for his name. Zhang just looks at her and says she's too naive if she thinks a simple thank you is enough. She should know very well what he actually intends to do with her. That's right, he uses her as bait to attract a whole bunch of zombies. The poor girl realizes she's screwed. She'd rather he had been some regular creep after her in a different way. The protagonist tells her not to think she's special or that he saved her because she's pretty. To him, right now, she's more useless than a packet of instant noodles. Damn, this guy's relentless, just a machine of insults raining down on the poor girl. She finally introduces herself, saying her name is Liang Chuyin. The protagonist tells her his, and she lights up a bit, smiling. Even though your breath stinks, she says, you're not such a bad person. My god, protagonist, get yourself a toothbrush, you're getting roasted by the e-girl now. Right then, they see more students at a window, banging and crying for help, one of them already being eaten while the others sob. The protagonist knows this is the exact area where the dungeon key fell. And so, out of nowhere, the guy goes full Spider-Man and starts climbing up a drain pipe. Inside, someone's being devoured by a zombie when he bursts through the window, kicking the creature down. The monster hits the floor and he instantly draws his mash sheet, finishing it off. In the corner, a group of people huddles around a woman, the teacher, Ms. Pooh, begging for help. She thanks the protagonist for saving her students, while he's thinking that maybe these people saw where the dungeon key landed. The teacher kneels near the body and says it's a shame he died. She tells the rest of the students not to cry, assuring them they'll find a way out soon. Then she turns to the protagonist, asking why he came there. He answers that he's looking for something, and if they tell him where it is, he promises to protect everyone here. Now that she realizes he's capable, the teacher asks what exactly he's looking for. He explains about the strange light in the sky and asks for its location. The students seem hesitant, maybe even lying, but the teacher says she did see it, on one condition. He must save them first and only then will she tell him. The protagonist tells her to show proof that she really saw the light. She admits she isn't sure, but if he's talking about the glowing meteor-like thing that fell near the school, then yes, she saw it. The protagonist can tell she's probably telling the truth and asks where it landed. She insists again that she'll only say if he saves everyone. But he's not here to negotiate. He says staying in this building is just waiting to die. If they tell him, he'll try to save them, but that's it. The teacher asks if he can guarantee everyone's safety. The guy's brutally honest, says there's no way. There are way too many zombies, and with his current strength, at best, he can protect 2 people. But the students start acting like brats, saying if he can protect 2, he can protect 3. With the power he has, he should be a good person and protect everyone. And damn, these kids are basically asking to die. The protagonist already pulling out his mash sheet, saying that in this world, the strong survive and the weak die. He tells them to hurry up and decide whether they want to be saved or not. One of the boys clings to the teacher's chest, lucky little bastard, saying he's scared to death. She tells him not to worry, that she'll protect him. Meanwhile, the protagonist just wants to know who's coming with him. The teacher doesn't hesitate. She says he should take the 2 students. He agrees, saying fine, he'll take them, but asks where the meteor fell. She replies that once they're safe downstairs, she'll write everything down and throw it to him. The protagonist realizes this woman isn't stupid, she's not going to make things easy for him. He answers coldly that he hopes her sacrifice at least means something, then tells the kids to follow him. The students wave goodbye to their teacher as the protagonist moves to the door. Right away, he notices at least 3 zombies waiting outside. He tells the teacher that the moment he steps out, she should shut the door and stay completely silent. As soon as he turns the handle, the first zombie lunges. He kicks it straight in the head, slamming it into the wall. Then he yells for the kids to move, slicing through another zombie's skull while everyone bolts through the hallway. The teacher closes the door, waving goodbye to her students. She just gave up her only chance of survival, but she decided to protect them until the end. On the staircase, the protagonist sprinting with the 2 brats right behind him. The problem is, he's got to be fast. If a single zombie catches either of them, they're dead instantly. But then he suddenly senses something strange and tells them to back up now. The girl asks what's wrong, and he says there's some kind of danger coming, though he doesn't know what. She peeks around, saying maybe he's mistaken. The staircase looks empty, and for a second, he starts to believe it too. But really, what are the chances? The moment he starts moving again, something above them is watching. Out of nowhere, a massive blue monster with a huge mouth and long tongue creeps closer. The protagonist suddenly feels something behind him. The girl gets startled, bumping into the backpack, but apparently doesn't see anything. The creature hides again, and he whispers for them to stay quiet. His instincts are going haywire, but his eyes can't catch it. The monster, however, is lurking just above the next set of stairs waiting. The protagonist says they should keep moving, unaware that the thing's right behind the girl, and holy hell, it's huge. He's a few steps ahead, and it feels like those 2 kids are about to get swallowed in a single bite. Its tongue brushes against her hair, and she looks confused, then turns around. The creature's mouth opens wide, ready to devour her, when suddenly a blade flies out of nowhere, slicing through it midair. Our boy threw the knife, but he's shaking all over, scared out of his mind. The monster realizes he's now unarmed and charges at him. The protagonist ducks just in time and lands a punch right in its mouth, but honestly, that hand's lucky not to be eaten. The worst part? These things have metallic skin, so it barely took any damage. He's confused. How the hell did this thing evolve so fast? He tries a spinning kick, but that does absolutely nothing either. Worse, the creature grabs his leg and slams him to the ground so hard it nearly crushes him. The girls up on the stairs are frozen in terror, unable to move. The one in yellow tells Lily to help him, but too late, Lily's already running off. Meanwhile, the monster raises its massive arm like a hammer, ready to smash the protagonist to pieces. He sees the attack coming and knows there's no way he can dodge it, while the girl's frozen in panic, realizing she's about to be next. But then, America's bird saves the day. That desert eagle he pulled from the wheel wasn't just for show. It's got a buff, and the bullet tears right through the zombie with ease. He's stunned, thinking how close he was to dying, then immediately yells for the girls to get up. The problem is, the sound of that gunshot's already echoing through the building, drawing every zombie in the area. They can hear the rumbling from below, and the girls know it's over. They won't be able to go down now. But just when it seems like they're all doomed, Chu Yin suddenly appears in front of them, completely frantic. She throws herself at the protagonist, shouting that he's insane for leaving her alone like that. The kids are relieved to see a human face, while Chu Yin keeps calling him a jerk for abandoning her. She says she thought she was going to die, but the protagonist just cuts through her drama, saying she must be tired of dying since she climbed up here by herself. She explains that there was a strange flash, a kind of light in one direction, and all the zombies suddenly move toward it. The protagonist instantly knows that kind of light can only mean one thing. Another wheel has appeared. They start heading down the stairs, and Chu Yin's actually touched that he saved 2 kids. Little does she know he's probably dying to get rid of them already. Meanwhile, the 2 girls start arguing because the one in blue abandoned the one in yellow earlier, and the yellow one's in no mood to talk now. Down below, the protagonist looks up and locks eyes with the teacher through the window. She's smiling faintly, glad that at least the children made it out alive. But deep down, she's thinking that now that she's about to hand over that note, he won't be coming back to save her. She tried to ask for more, but she knows it wouldn't be right, because the kids are already with him. So she simply drops the paper. Chu Yin's surprised that there's still someone alive up there. The protagonist praises her, saying she really is an amazing teacher. The friend asks why he didn't save her too, but he completely ignores the question as he looks over the markings on the paper. Now he knows he can either go after the dungeon key or head for the wheel. Since he's surrounded by people he doesn't want learning about the key, he decides the wheel's more important for now. After all, getting stronger first would make things easier once he reaches the dungeon. He turns to the kids and says they can come along if they want. They're heading somewhere else. Next scene, they're standing in front of another building, the one Chu Yin mentioned where most of the zombies had gone inside. The bratty kids ask if he's out of his mind going somewhere so full of zombies. Now that he's got the note from the teacher, they think he's using them as bait. The protagonist turns to Lang Chu Yin, telling her not to worry, then faces the kids and says there's no such thing as a zombie-free place in this world. Besides, he's not so low as to use them as decoys. With that, he steps into the building. Chu Yin asks what's so important that he'd risk his life for it. The kids, growing more nervous, start thinking they're going to die if they keep following him. The girl in the blue shirt, number 16, mutters that he's probably going to start shooting soon and attract even more zombies. She grabs her friend in yellow and whispers that they should run and find somewhere to hide. The other one, more honest, says that's insane. They can't just abandon the guy who saved them. Then Chu-yin turns and asks what they're up to. The blue-haired girl fakes a stomachache, saying she's just going to the bathroom real quick. She drags her friend along, but Chu-yin clearly finds all of this suspicious. She quietly prays that Zhongming makes it out of that room alive. Inside, the protagonist really is face to face with a whole crowd of zombies. At least none of them have mutated yet, so they should be easy to deal with. His arm was still partly busted after that fight with the big-mouthed monster, but somehow he fixes it. Pure willpower holding him together. Even though it still hurts, at least now he can use it again in battle. The moment the zombies rush at him, he draws both his Desert Eagle and Mashie. The first shot echoes through the halls, and everyone outside flinches at the sound. Right away, the blue-haired girl says they need to get out of there fast. That gunshot's going to bring every zombie in the area. The one in yellow calls her crazy, but the blue-haired one says there's a teacher's room that might have food and that they can hide there safely. She tries to pull her along, but the yellow one yanks her hand free and runs straight to Chu-yin, telling her to come with them. They should run away together. The blue-haired girl's pissed. With another person tagging along, that means less food and a harder time escaping from that guy. But Chu-yin refuses, saying it's suicide to leave Zhongming now. How long does she think they'd survive on their own? He's strong. In a situation like this, leaving his side would be the same as asking to die. The girl in yellow tells her she's the crazy one. That guy can barely protect himself and keeps attracting hordes of zombies every few minutes. Honestly, she must have short-term memory loss. Did she not just see him slaughter a whole crowd of zombies a minute ago? But Chu-yin stands her ground, insisting she's staying with him no matter what. Meanwhile, inside the room, a mountain of corpses piles up. The protagonist confirms what he suspected. The zombies were drawn to the wheel. But this one isn't normal. It's a 3-colored wheel. He explains that aside from the standard wheels ranked from 1 to 9, there are also these color-coded ones. 3-color, 6-color, 9-color, basically a nightmare of variety. These are the ones that grant professions, and each color represents a specific class. One of the best outcomes, for example, is the assassin class, perfect for taking enemies down easily. The catch: finding a colored wheel is 5 times harder than a normal one. He never expected to stumble across one here. But there's a risk. The black zone on these wheels can explode like a bomb. If only he still had that friend's elimination card, that would have helped. Now he's nervous because he's famously unlucky. But even so, after living through 10 years of apocalypse, the guy's still dumb enough to believe that little lucky blow from that girl earlier might actually help. Out on the street, the girl in yellow tells Chu-yin they should leave right now. He's not coming back. The zombies stopped making noise, meaning he was probably already eaten. But Chu-yin, my god, what happened to you? Did you spin the wheel of delusion? She insists the monsters went quiet because Zhongming killed every last one of them. Then the blue-haired one appears again, saying he's definitely dead and they should take this chance to leave. She drags her friend along, warning her not to be like that idiot Chu-yin who keeps believing Zhongming's some invincible savior. Soon, she says, his corpse will be the one walking out of there. Chu-yin slaps her across the face, telling her to shut up. What the hell? Catfight time? The blue-haired girl gets furious and slaps her back. I thought they'd actually start brawling for real, but the blue one just bolts. Meanwhile, Diddy's up in a window watching the whole thing, saying this apocalypse is getting more interesting by the minute. He tells his goons below to capture that girl. They hesitate, saying the place is crawling with zombies. They're not going in there. But Diddy tells them to stop whining and take advantage of the fact that the kid lured all the zombies toward the center. Right now, the area is clear. The two girls are heading down a staircase, talking about how they finally escaped those idiots, only to come face to face with a shaking truck. They're wondering what that noise was, but the scene cuts back to Chu-yin, muttering that those ungrateful brats Zhongming said are already acting like this. Suddenly, she hears a scream and instantly recognizes the voices of the two students. Then, out of nowhere, some creep grabs her from behind by the waist, saying it's time for her to meet the crew. Here comes another one of Diddy's goons, saying this one's even better than the last girl. The guys close in, smirking that it's rare to find a girl this pretty and this dumb wandering around alone in the apocalypse. Meanwhile, the protagonist, still inside, collecting crystals from zombie skulls. Those two idiots who ran off earlier are now running for their lives, being chased by zombies that just climbed out of the truck, screaming for help. The horde's getting closer and they're panicking, until the blue-haired one trips and falls. Oh my god, and the yellow one, what a complete idiot, goes back to help her. For what? Just to get shoved down and left behind as bait. Now she's the one being devoured. The blue-haired one bolts around the corner, muttering that she has to survive, that's all that matters. But then she runs straight into Chu-yin, who's being dragged away by two men talking about how fun it's going to be to enjoy this one. Diddy's crew never stops. Chu-yin locks eyes with the same girl she slapped earlier. Awkward timing. But now that guy's spotted her too, greedy as hell, saying he'll grab her as well. While he's distracted, Chu-yin takes advantage of the fact that only one of them is holding her. She bites his hand and tries to run, but the other one catches her, yelling at her to stop. He hits her in the head, knocking her down, and grabs her by the neck, saying he's about to finish this. Then suddenly stab right through his hand. The protagonist there pulling Chu-yin into his arms. She's overwhelmed, emotional, but calm down. Girl, the fight's not over yet. The guy looks down, realizing the knife's still stuck in his hand, and it's not even bleeding. The bastard screams, yelling that fifth brother won't let the protagonist get away with this. But Zhongming doesn't care. He rushes in and drives his blade straight into the guy's stomach, sending him tumbling backward. Then he follows up with a spinning kick that smashes him in the face, knocking him out cold. He turns to Chu Yin, telling her to stay put. He's got unfinished business. He asks where the other girls went, and she says they ran off that way. He heads in that direction and finds the blue-haired idiot collapsed, crying, trembling in fear. From the look on his face, he's already seen the other girl's body, completely torn apart. Chu Yin mutters that she's been saved twice already, but she never listens. A total fool. The surviving girl's sobbing, apologizing, saying she'll never do something like that again. Chu Yin asks what he's going to do with the bastards lying there. He tells her not to worry, the zombies will take care of them. No, protagonist, that's not how you do it. You grab the mesh sheet and slice their necks yourself. That's how you make sure they're really dead. Then he tells the two girls to go wait at the media center. He's cleared it out. And of course, the greedy little snake, the one I already wish had her neck sliced open, is standing there celebrating. Now she's convinced Zhang Ming's really strong, and maybe that other girl was right. It's safer sticking with him. The protagonist tells them to wait while he goes to bring someone back. Oh right, Muxin Fai, the girl he left behind at the house earlier. Or maybe not, because now we see the teacher trapped in a classroom surrounded by zombies pounding on the door. She's shaking, realizing it might finally be her turn to die after all of her students were slaughtered. The poor woman, censored or not, there's no hiding her strength. I've seen how tough this teacher really is. But she's made her choice. Better to end her suffering herself than turn into one of them. And the saddest part? She's about to die, having never even had a boyfriend. But right then, the door bursts open, and of course, guess who's there? The protagonist, saying it took forever to open for God's sake. He asks if she's okay, and she drops the glass she was holding, breaking down into tears. He tells her it was obvious he'd come back to save her. Oh, you smooth talker. Anyone watching would think he's a hero, but we know better. He's got his reasons. Ah, right. It's because she knows where the meteor fell. That's the real reason. And well, the airbags are definitely engaged now, and for the first time, the protagonist actually looks a little flustered. Guess we just found his weakness. She says she was sure he was dead, and that it's good to see he made it out alive. He tells her he's taking her somewhere safe, while the girls are outside collecting crystals from zombie heads. Chu Yin doesn't really get why Zhang Ming keeps making her do that, and that annoying Lily, who I still hope gets her neck snapped, is grumbling about how disgusting it is. Then Teacher Pugh calls out for Lily. They hug, both emotional to see each other again. The towering teacher immediately asks, "Where's Seoxeo?" Lily explains vaguely that a lot happened, basically hinting that Seoxeo didn't make it. But the naive teacher assumes the girl's just traumatized and pats her head gently. Chu Yin cuts in, saying that if they trusted Zhang Ming from the start, none of this would have happened. But of course, Lily, being the ungrateful brat she is, starts arguing that it's Zhang Ming's fault because back then, he chose to save only 2 people instead of the teacher as well. Chu Yin snaps back, saying they should be thankful he saved anyone at all. Lily refuses, saying she'll never thank someone who could have saved everyone, but chose not to. The argument escalates, insults start flying, until slap. The protagonist tells them both to shut up, saying that just because he saved her once doesn't mean he won't toss her to the zombies next time, and she better remember, he's not obligated to protect her. Now that's the protagonist talking. Should have been a knife instead of a slap, but I'll take it. Even the teacher's fed up with Lily, scolding her for not being grateful to the one who saved them both. Chu Yin notices that at least the teacher understands how serious the situation is. Then Chu Yin asks why he's collecting all those crystals. He just tells her to follow him. He'll show her why. And sure enough, they're soon standing in front of another wheel. Chu Yin asks if it's her turn, but he says he'll explain how to use it first. He even grabs the crystals from dumb Lily and starts activating the thing. The tricky part about ability wheels is that there's no set number of crystals required. You just keep feeding them in until something happens. He hopes 26 will be enough for a single spin. Finally, the wheel starts turning and he cheers, saying at least it worked. It stops on the red section and a strange block emerges from inside. For him, that's great news. Red sections usually mean combat classes. But when the result appears, it's something called Glorious Craftsman. He allows him to refine techniques, enhance skills, and craft certain items. Basically, a builder-type class. He's clearly not thrilled. Turns out the red section doesn't only hold combat classes after all. And in the next chapter, he realizes this craftsman is actually a support class. Classes are divided into ranks: trainee, novice, intermediate, and advanced, and yeah, he's disappointed. Lily, that pest, keeps demanding to see what he got. The protagonist isn't too interested and tosses it to the tall teacher instead. And when the artist doesn't censor her, we can actually see the teacher's impressive stats. Anyway, he's confused because he also received this strange flag covered in unfamiliar symbols. The girls take a look and realize it kind of reminds them of something from a game. Chu Yin says that apparently the craftsman can create up to 5 different techniques. That catches Zhang Ming's attention and he asks to see it again. Now it makes sense why that little medal had 5 colors. Each one stands for a skill. That's promising, and they wonder if he really was born lucky this time around. He tells them to go collect more crystals right away. They need as many as possible to gain an edge. The teacher and the other girl perk up while Lily stays off to the side giving them a look. Meanwhile, Diddy's watching everything and realizes this guy is insanely strong. How is he killing so many zombies by himself? What gets Diddy's attention even more is that the bodies are being dragged inside and the survivors seem to be pulling something from the monsters' foreheads. The bald guy asks Diddy what he's finding out, and Diddy orders all of his brothers called in. They got work to do. He just found the little secret those scumbags were hiding. Down below, Chu Yin says this stash might be enough. She flashes that cute little belly and says she's hungry. The protagonist gives her something to eat and she thanks him. He says he scoped out the place and the school's water tank might still be intact. Maybe they can get a drink. Then he starts taking off his pack and tells her there's enough food inside for 3 days, plus meds and supplies, and he wants her to take care of it. Chu Yin's confused and nervous. She doesn't want something that valuable, but he says he has to trust her for now. This place will be their shelter until they finish collecting crystals. Of course, Lily shows up again to do what she does best. Nag. She wants to know if he's going to abandon everyone. He answers yes, at least for now. He's leaving to gather resources because they'll only slow him down. He activates the craftsman's skill and turns a piece of wood into a spear, telling them he's made it clear he doesn't owe anyone protection. If they want to survive, they should use it to defend themselves. Otherwise, death is what's waiting. Lily's furious, but the teacher says she understands. In this world, they all need to learn to fend for themselves. She pulls Lily by the arm and tells her to accept that life's change. Her parents can't protect her anymore. The protagonist tells Lily to grab the wooden shaft and learn how to use it. Just as he's about to leave, Chu Yin yells for him to come back safely. He just says his goodbye and steps outside, off to hunt the dungeon key, the priority, which is why he wouldn't risk bringing anyone along. He finally finds the construction area of the school annex, the place the light supposedly fell. While he's zoning out for a second, something suddenly drops into his hands. He's stunned. So am I like, send me to that world right now and I'll catch it. The woman nearby is confused too. Wait, she's like a spinning Beyblade, knocks into his back, grabs his arm and pins him. She wants to know what he's doing there, but the kid's no fool. He slips underneath, wraps a big hand around her throat and slams her into the wall. She screams, asking if he's insane for attacking an officer. He fires back, "You started it, didn't you?" Shortly after, she's cracking her neck, saying he's got pretty good reflexes. He answers that he's been trained for 10 years and she's impressed. Says that's longer than she has. Before she can say more, a bullet, American-made, zips past and they have to dive for cover. The protagonist is confused, wondering why they're suddenly under fire. She explains it's because she's being hunted. He finds that weird. Who would want to kill a cop? She tells him exactly that, because she's a police officer. They're trying to take her out. There are a bunch of prisoners gone loose. The protagonist remembers how, in his past life, freed prisoners would run around killing people like ants. That's why he won't show mercy anymore. Problem is, these bastards are shooting a lot and he has no idea where they got all those guns. She says they took over a precinct and grabbed every weapon inside. In the next moment, she checks whether one of the shooters is still alive. Friend, he's been riddled like Swiss cheese. No need to check for a pulse. I went back to the last chapter to make sure I didn't miss anything, and it looks like the protagonist was the one who killed that guy. That's why he's so full of holes. She's shocked and asks why he'd do that. He says the shooter was a prisoner who attacked others and deserved to die. If she thought he would leave that man alive, she's naive. He's blunt. There's no law left in this world. These people who were just there to rob and kill don't deserve to survive. He says this grimly, remembering that Bai Shishi died at the hands of people like that in his last life, so he shows no mercy. We can reasonably deduce he killed the 3 men because there was no footage to contradict it. I checked and found nothing. The cop thinks his actions were extreme, but they make a certain kind of sense. What unnerves her is how young he is to do something like that without a second thought. What could have happened to this boy to turn him into such a cold-blooded guy? Meanwhile, a pineapple-headed thug tells Diddy that the men he sent were already shot and eaten by zombies. Diddy's confused that everyone died. Pineapple says, bro, that kid practices martial arts. Why not just leave him alone for now? Then Pineapple gets punched in the face. Of course, Diddy says no way. He owns this territory. He wants all the women, and he'll be the one in charge. He asks if everyone's gathered. Pineapple says yes, they're ready. Diddy throws open the door and tells everyone to howl. They're heading out to hunt. Today, they'll finish off that arrogant kid who dared step into their turf and kill their brothers. Pineapple was the one who sent those brothers, but he takes another hit in the face. Diddy says he doesn't care why they died. The point is that the kid's in their area and they can't let him roam free. Anyone who provokes them must be killed. The goons cheered at the boss's right, and Diddy declares, today that kid dies. Pineapple asks how he can help. Surely he'll be used as bait. Outside, the protagonist is picking something up off the ground. The cop asks what he's looking for, and he says it's an important key. She asks what the key looks like, and he admits he actually has no idea. He explains that its design is unique, so when she sees it, she'll know exactly what it is. But the truth is, he's actually waiting for nightfall, because the key gives off a faint glow, just enough to help him locate it. Suddenly, the woman beside him says she found something and asks if that's it. When he turns around, it's actually a keychain with some cute little character from an anime on it. The protagonist tries to explain that the design is supposed to be unique, but yeah, that's definitely not the one. She just tosses it away into a corner, and it lands right near the foot of something moving through the smoke. The cop stiffens up, saying a dog's coming. When the protagonist looks closer, though, it doesn't look like a dog at all. It looks undead. She explains that it's probably one of the trained dogs from the base, but as it steps out of the haze, they both see it's got horns growing from its head. The creature opens its mouth, revealing rows of strange little orbs inside, and in the next instant, it leaps straight toward Zhang Ming. The protagonist jumps in shock. The big-snouted one comes toward him, and he instantly recognizes it as a level 2 mutated dog. Wow, that thing's fast. Its attacks are all over the place, and they're missing badly. Damn, it's going to knock him to the ground. The girl yells. You're telling him to be careful. The big biter is almost getting him in the face. But strangely, the creature gives him a little sniff and gets excited. The protagonist is kind of confused, wondering what happened to this crazy dog. Meanwhile, the cop says it clearly seems to be kind of into the guy. Can't you see it wagging its tail over there? It's kind of weird. Oh my god, here comes the flashback. Don't tell me he rescued this dog at some point. Yeah, there's our young protagonist walking down the street when this scrawny dog shows up and a guy goes to stomp on it. But the little dog is fast, he snatches the bread and bolts. The chubby guy says he's gonna kill it, throws a bottle. Whoa. I thought the protagonist would jump in, but he actually gets hit by the bottle. When the guy moves to stomp it in the back, the dog tries to get away, but then the protagonist shows up behind him and calls out to the guy, telling him to stop. The big guy asks what the kid is doing here. The protagonist explains that the dog carries a vicious bacteria. It bit his arm once and he was sick for days. The chubby guy hesitates and our boy says it's better not to touch it. Otherwise he could catch something and get really sick. Then the little dog leaves and the big guy scratches his belly, complaining he was unlucky not to be able to stomp that bastard. The protagonist gets all emotional, saying he did a good thing, but when he looks down, the little dog is clinging to his foot. He feels sorry for the creature. Its tail was hurt because the guy actually stepped on it. So he gives it a cookie to eat, but sees it's still suffering. It's just a shame he can't take it home. His family doesn't have the money to keep a dog. Geez, I'm already emotional that you didn't eat it. Usually in these Chinese stories, that's what happens. Our boy apparently visited it several times and now admits it's that so-called yellow pill. Oh my god, what a horrible name you gave your dog. The army girl says he was lucky it was someone he knew, but mentions the name is odd. The protagonist explains that when he found the creature, it was kind of thin and yellowish, so that's why he named it that. Real genius. He's having fun while the other girl is all emotional and totally cross-eyed, saying he really has a cute side. Meanwhile, back at the girl's base, Lily's still hanging around saying Chu Yin clearly has more food in that backpack. Lying isn't our e-girl's strong suit and she insists she doesn't, but Lily knows she's lying. The bag's full of food boxes and cans and she won't share. Chu Yin tells her to be quiet and be happy. She already gave her some biscuits to eat and it's better than nothing. Otherwise, she might as well vomit them back up. Lily reaches into the backpack saying that if she won't hand it over, she'll take it. But Chu Yin just pulls her to her chest, saying Zhang Ming asked her to take care of it and nobody there has permission to touch it. Lily keeps insisting. Don't use Zhang Ming to try to scare her. He isn't even here. The teacher tells them to calm down, says the girl probably has a point and it's good to save food. Now that I notice, everyone in this story is kind of cross-eyed. Lily's, they're saying she's basically a dog who works for others. It's the only thing she's good for. Chu Yin loses patience. To her, that girl is way too arrogant. That's it. She's never going to give her food. The teacher tells the brat that the food doesn't belong to them and that she already split part of it, so they should be grateful. But Lily sulks like crazy, complaining that the damn teacher is too kind. That Zhang Ming keeps risking his life all the time. Who knows, he might not even come back. From a distance, the protagonist is coughing. So far, it's the same story, hunting that damn dungeon key. But now something else is watching from the smoke, and this time it doesn't look like a friendly dog. Right then, the protagonist sees a golden glint among the rocks. Wow, there's the key. I hope this dungeon's worth it, because it was really tough. He celebrates finally finding it, and she's about to praise him, when suddenly there's a tongue right next to her. A scrawny frog lizard with 4 huge eyes lunges in to bite, but Zhang Ming charges forward, cuts off its long tongue. Damn. Activating the Cracksman's boost and adding another point of power to his dagger. He realizes if it weren't for his class abilities, he wouldn't have been able to slice that. His physical strength alone wasn't enough to go head-to-head with this thing. The monster comes at him again, but the protagonist ducks while the pill goes for its big foot and chomps down. The monster looks confused at being attacked by another monster, and the protagonist shows up beside it and stabs through the first eye. Yeah, good luck aiming for the eye when the thing has 16 eyes? That won't help much. And the kid's cardio is garbage. He jumped and dodged once and already sounds exhausted, complaining his stamina isn't enough. He hides behind some rocks and baited the beast to come, and just when it lunges, the pill jumps in front. Our protagonist tells him to dodge, but the creature only lets out this massive roar. Well, if it's a dog, it's more of a bark. Strangely, the lizard seems to back off a little trying to dodge while the pill they're barking. Then the monster clamps down and smashes the ground, but the pill rolls aside and bites at its carapace. Okay, things were looking good, until the beast flings the pill into the air and slams its tail into the pill's belly like a torpedo, sending him flying. The monster's all crooked, eyes half closed, and it comes in to finish them off with another strike. Now the protagonist has to jump in, advances with his blade, and manages to block the blow, but he's thrown away too. In the middle of that bite, though, something shoots through the monster's mouth. Holy crap, it's the cop saving our kid. The monstrosity collapses and the protagonist exhales, as expected of a police officer. She's looking exhausted while the pill shuffles over and he pets her. The damn thing's barking and licking, and obviously there must be more people coming out of that smoke. My god, get out of here. The protagonist already poking around the creature's skull and calls the cop to take a look. He shows her the crystal. one of the apocalypse's most valuable resources. Damn, it's kind of grayish too. I thought it'd be a shinier little crystal. What a pain it was to kill that monster. She asks if the thing really has magic, and he explains it's something similar, but even more incredible than magic. She wants to know what it's for. He says that if she's that curious, she'll have to agree to one condition. She turns pissed off and says she's not into that. No way she, a cop, is going to accept the terms of some civilian like him. She can just investigate and find out what the crystal does herself. That's when the protagonist realizes not every woman is like the first two he showed his strength to. It all been all senpai the moment he'd shown off. Crazy. She says now that he found the key, he can leave. The protagonist is taken aback. Wait, our friendship's over just like that, friend? Then his face softens sly. Actually, I have something to ask you. See, this world's messed up, full of bad people. Why don't we make a little team to watch each other's backs? I know what you're thinking. Care. Out of the blue. This cop's pretty big. Even the protagonist, a little disappointed he has to be so humble. She stares at him like a laser and then says, okay, even if your actions are a bit extreme, you're not that bad a person. The protagonist reaches out, introduces himself, and finally we learn the damn name, Mo Yi. The next chapter opens with a body on the ground. A guy grabs a pistol and gets all excited until the other one with a scar on his nose tells him to shut up or they'll get discovered. He points to the side and says, we'll go over there, and don't make a sound. Obviously, they were the ones tailing the protagonist from a distance. Huh? The guy told them to stay quiet, but now he comes yelling, hey, you bastards, stay right there. The scarred one says he's crazy, but the other replies, we're here to kill. Diddy told us not to spare anyone. Then he's already pointing the meshi. Mo Yi has no idea who they are, and the protagonist says, well, obviously, right? These bastards are criminals. The guy tries to fire, but strangely the gun won't work. His buddy says, hey, you psycho, you gotta disable that safety device. But the idiot's confused, asking what kind of device that is. While they're squabbling, the pill sneaks up from the side and leaps, biting the guy's hand. Whoa, that was brutal. Immediately, the guy screams for help from his friend, but he's already in shock too. He doesn't stand a chance against that kind of zombie. At the same time, Mo Yi slips up behind and elbows the idiot right in the mouth, grabs him over the shoulder and slams him to the ground. Damn, she's strong. The protagonist shocked, thinking it's really not smart to mess with her later. Shortly after, the guy on the floor gasps, hey, I'll tell you who the fifth brother is, but you have to stop this bleeding in my arm. The protagonist says he's not the one risking his life here, so he better speak up fast. Meanwhile, at Diddy's base, the pineapple-headed boss says they should get back to eating. The guy tells him to carry on, and the pineapple asks, hey bro, why are we collecting this stuff from the zombie's forehead? Crow seriously. Diddy asks if he knows what the word loot means. The blonde kid says yeah, loot's like equipment, but this clearly shouldn't count as that. Bam! He gets whacked on the head and goes all cross-eyed. That pineapple's getting beat so much I'm thinking he might be the one to take out Diddy eventually, who's over there celebrating and saying he has no clue what those crystals are for, but if that kid risked himself for them, there's gotta be something to them. Yikes. Back at the protagonist's base, look who's staring at Chu Yin sleeping. Get out. You weirdo. You deserved to die a long time ago. She stands up, comes in front of her with that creepy little smile, holding a big jar in her hand. Still bloody, thinking that damn Chu Yin, always using Zhongming's name to threaten people and acting so arrogant. That bitch has all the resources to survive and now she's going to die by my hands. But then the teacher gets up and asks what Lily's doing. Lily turns, hiding the jar, and says she felt sick and was going to the bathroom. Nothing suspicious, right? Weirdo. Lily gets even angrier, asking why. Why does this teacher have to be so innocent and stupid? This is the apocalypse. Resources matter. Why doesn't she help pull that stuff from those people? Not to mention Zhongming and Chu Yin were already starting to get into trouble with her. Really, she can only count on herself to stay alive. Of course, because you're the one who deserves to die most in this apocalypse. Right then, a huge banging comes from outside. The three brace trying to find out what's happening. Chu Yin says something's pounding on the door. The teacher is scared while Chu Yin says, in theory, it's fine. Zombies can't get into this place. The problem is whoever's pounding is almost breaking everything, and they're desperate to know who's on the other side. Suddenly, there's a second of silence and then another massive bang. Right away, Lily screams that this place is going to be wrecked when suddenly the thing rises up and a bunch of guys show up. Jesus, and the crazy one already spots them right. A follower of Diddy, the first thing he says is he's found some beautiful women here. The teacher asks what they're doing, and in a second, one of the guys snatches the stick out of Chu Yin's hand while another, holding some kind of portable weapon, is right in Chu Yin's face telling her she's real fine. There are perverts everywhere in this apocalypse, seriously. Then one of them with white hair says another short-haired girl ran off and they need to capture her. The guy says the fifth brother didn't tell him to kill the girls, only to take out that boy. But Dong Zhi, the white-haired one, says the boss isn't here, so he's in charge. Besides, those girls are his companions, so they're going to capture everything. Big Mac says he's going to go catch her, but dude, you're not in any shape to run. Meanwhile, a guy with a Tom and Shelby haircut latches onto the teacher asking her name and if she recognizes him. Damn, looks like he used to be a student, getting all handsy. Get away, you psycho. Oh my god, here we go again. The bald guy's tugging on Chu Yin's jacket too, saying she seems kind of familiar. They recognize her as an online celebrity on some social platform. If he's not mistaken, her name's Lang Chu Yin. Protagonist, I know you've got those two guys held upside down, but how about getting back to base as fast as possible? Mo Yi asks what the next move is, and he says, since there are people who want me dead, I'll have to kill these guys and pay them a visit. Mo Yi thinks they should gather weapons and prepare first, but he says she's dreaming. This world's chaotic and hiding isn't his style. They're going to deal with it head on by going to those guys' base. She agrees, says fine, but wants to know what the key is for. He explains it's a dungeon key. something that will open in the future. She's confused. Dungeon, opening in the future, magic, what is going on? He tells her to get used to it. More and more things beyond their imagination are starting to happen. She asks when they should use the key. He says only when they're strong enough. Meanwhile, back at the base, Lily's running from Big Mac. Man, she's hauling ass. Who said Ronald McDonald isn't fit. He warns that if she doesn't stay put when he catches her, he'll break her legs and arms. Lily slams face first into a door. Holy crap. Big Mac comes up from behind and says now she has nowhere to run. He shoves her head into the door and says he hates it that all the girls hate him. But now that the apocalypse is here, none of that matters. He can make his own opportunities. That's not how it works, you bastard. Lily, being manipulative, says he's not weird at all. She would never talk bad about him. The big bald guy's like, huh? Why would I trust you? She grabs his hand and says that unlike those other girls, she's just a student. She even claims she realized he's not disgusting. He actually seems like a very strong man. If he's comfortable, she'd do anything he wanted. I don't get it. To make sure it happens, she decides to make it happen, so to speak. I think you get the idea. Wow. And she gets rejected by Big Mac, who says her looks are so-so, but he can't betray his brother. She better come with him to meet the group. She begs him not to, saying if she goes, she'll just die. He says she's with him now. There's no way he'll let her die. But the girl's ready. She already has something behind her back preparing to strike. Then the door opens and Lily's terrified. I know we're seeing the teacher all beaten up, but from what I understand from what I read later, she just got physically roughed up like USC style. Don't assume they went any further, okay? I hope not. The chubby guys are freaking out while Dongzi tells him to watch out because the teacher's fierce and she bit that other guy. The guy's all bleeding and crying, saying he's going to take that bitch down. Oh, what a miracle. I thought Lily wouldn't even care, but she actually felt sorry for the teacher. The bald guy points out that this girl followed him and wants to join their group. Dongzi seems surprised. From the looks of it, at least this girl seems smart and knows how to switch sides. Then the fat dude calls her over and introduces her, telling her to say hi to brother Dongzi, and she gives this crooked little hi. He asks if she really wants to join. She says yes, she'll follow any order. Right away, he says fine, then all she has to do is beat up that other girl. Yikes. Shu Yin doesn't like that at all. The girl thanks him and immediately slaps Shu Yin. Shu Yin turns and calls her a monster. Dongzi celebrates, saying he heard Shu Yin was some kind of online celebrity. It'd be great to watch her get beaten. While Lily thanks Dongzi for being kind, saying she's always wanted to hit that girl, Shu Yin, poor thing, realizes there's not much she can do. Hey, protagonist, let's go back to your base, yeah? Seriously, he just abandons the women. Remember the story started with him and a woman in a house. He told her to wait for him. He still hasn't gone back to see that girl. Lily's holding Shu Yin by the hair, saying that her pretty face makes her even angrier. At that moment, Dongzi says that's enough. She's qualified to join the group. He tells the big bald guy, Men Gun, that this girl is now his woman and he better keep her from causing trouble. She's wrapped up in Big Mac's arms, but she clearly doesn't look thrilled. Right then, Dongzi starts talking about a revolution. Seems they used to be an independent gang, but now they all have to obey Diddy. Their plan now is to break away. They want independence. Screw taking orders from that trash. Why stay obedient like dogs when the apocalypse is here and they can carve out their own power? The guys cheer, saying they'll follow Dongzi forever. One even celebrates, saying today is the day Lalu dies. At least they didn't decide to kill the girls or do anything worse. I still don't know exactly what happened to the teacher, I admit. The next morning, we're back to the protagonist's side. Some guys peeking through the door into the mess, checking out the old base's canteen. Dongzi walks in and says it's perfect, that it's empty because they're setting up an ambush. Then a bone smacks him in the face. The guy turns confused, asking who did that. It's the protagonist, saying those bastards took their time. Dongzi's pissed. They've been saving that chicken to celebrate. He asks what the kid's doing there. The protagonist stands up and says, weren't you the ones trying to find me? I saved everyone's time and I'm right here in front of you. Dongzi knows that if this kid's standing up, the rest of his base failed. The protagonist warns that the last people who tried to kill him died instantly. Now it's his turn. Dongzi orders them to bring the girl. Immediately, of course, he tells the kid to look at who they brought. His comrade had been captured. Mo Yi calls the bastard disgusting while Dongzi asks what he's going to do now. His comrade is in the villain's hands. That girl is a celebrity, so returning her won't be cheap. Zhang says it's a shame they even tried that move because he doesn't have any connection to that girl. The guy tells him to stop acting cocky, says he saw them walking around together. They were basically just using each other, and that's it. But the moment Dongzi gets distracted, he lunges forward once and stabs the guy right in the arm. The muscle twitches hard, he loses his grip, and the protagonist manages to pull her back. Right away, Dongzi orders the rest of the group to attack, but the protagonist already tossed Chu Yin back behind him. The first idiot charges in to throw a punch, but the protagonist slips to the side, cracks him right in the jaw. The guy's stumbling around, barely standing, and now the protagonist surrounded from all four sides. He glances back, sees the guys closing in, and says, come on then, I'm in the mood to take out the trash today. The one with the gray band rushes in to punch, but the protagonist steps back, grabs his arm, and breaks it while slamming him to the ground. What the hell? Diddy 2.0 comes from behind trying to grab him, but the protagonist hooks his hand around the guy's head, flips him forward, and slams him into the floor. The blonde fool's freaking out, and that's when Men Gun shows up, shoving him aside and saying he'll handle it, already pointing a mesh sheet at the protagonist. He tries the first stab, but the protagonist ducks low and slices him right in the ribs. The problem is the bastard's built like Big Mac and stays on his feet, swinging again, but the protagonist dodges behind the blade. Then, bam, he hits him with a reverse palm strike, all Kung Fu style, knocking the mesh sheet out of his hand. Shifting his weight to the other leg, he spins and kicks the guy right in the back of the neck. The fat one tries to charge in, and the blonde's already on the floor begging for mercy. And Dong Zai, he's a total idiot. He's holding the teacher now and says if the boy moves, he'll smash her head on the floor. Yeah, go ahead then, you'd have to kill her instantly. When we look behind him, we realize something. He says he hasn't had fun with her yet because he was waiting for the right time. Damn, but Lily, the one I can't stand, is right behind him, her hand ready. Dong Zai yells at the idiot to keep an eye on her or he'll kill the teacher, but suddenly, bam, he gets clocked right in the mouth. Lily shouts at the bastard not to touch the teacher, thinking that even though she doesn't care about anyone, the teacher was kind to her. And just like that, everything's settled and in the worst way possible. Lily acted like a hero now, which means it's going to be even harder to get rid of her. Everyone's freed and the teacher thanks her while Lily cries, saying she's happy the teacher's safe and didn't suffer too much. Chu Yin, however, yells that Lily's a traitor. Meanwhile, Mo Yi realizes the protagonist already surrounded by women. And of course the teacher says Lily must have been pretending to side with the villain to create this chance. Damn, things just got complicated for poor Chu Yin. Even Mo Yi says the girl probably accepted humiliation just to trick the villain. Why is Chu Yin being so selfish about it? Chu Yin doesn't want to accept it because she knows the truth, but the protagonist tells her to calm down and stop the fighting. But she uses her ultimate power, feminine charm, and throws herself against his chest. Wow. Mo Yi doesn't like her at all, saying that girl's way too weak, and now Lily's glaring at her too. Likes rough for an e-girl in the apocalypse, hate coming from all sides. Might as well hold on to the protagonist while you can. And well, look who finally figured things out, Diddy himself, holding a handful of crystals and saying now it all makes sense how that guy got so strong. Finally, he can kill everyone. Pineapple Head wants to join the fun too, but Diddy smacks him on the head, tells him to shut up, and the two start celebrating together. Oh boy, they're screwed. They hit the explosive one. Thought it was going to be something amazing, saying it looked like the best reward yet, when suddenly from inside the scroll an old man appears. I thought the black ones exploded, but I also figured the red ones were just for combat stuff, right? I think that roulette is so random even the writer can't keep up anymore. Then the old man announces that he's gained the profession of alchemist. Obviously, the guy doesn't look thrilled. It didn't seem like a combat class. He orders the blonde kid to gather all the stuff lying around the base, and they find a few interesting things. He's thinking he got screwed. Collected all those crystals just to end up with some useless profession. What Diddy doesn't realize is that the number of crystals he put into the wheel was more than enough, leaving a few extras lying around. Pineapple says he found the backpack of whoever was here before, and when the guy checks inside, he finds a body-strengthening potion. Diddy cheers, saying it looks good, while Pineapple asks how he even knows what it is. That's when Diddy notices only he can see the item descriptions. Probably thanks to the alchemist class, he can now see what each item does. He looks again and sees a warning. The potion might kill people who can't handle the strengthening. Without hesitating, he says it's risky to lose, but no point wasting time, and takes a big gulp. Suddenly, he starts twitching, eyes glowing purple, smoke pouring out. Pineapple panics, says he's going to get help, but when he opens the door, a giant hand slams against the wall. He looks to the side. It's a jacked mutant. Just as the monster is about to punch the princess, the prince steps in to protect her, saying he's feeling stronger than ever. The monster showed up at the perfect time to test his full power. Meanwhile, we cut back to the protagonist, going back to that same house from the beginning, just because I mentioned it. He says it'll be their temporary base and tells the girls to stay there while he goes find Mook Sin Fai. He's in a good mood since they managed to collect plenty of resources. Walking up the stairs, he calls out, "I'm back. Mook Sin Fai, where are you, girl?" But then someone calls him over to look at something. The kitchen floor is completely wrecked. Right in front of the fridge, he sees a bloodied handprint on a piece of paper. It says there's a new roulette at the supermarket. He wonders if Mook Sin Fai left that message and what could happen here. Meanwhile, back with Diddy, he's just finished off the monster. The princess is saying she's amazing and he's losing it, hyped up on his own power. Pineapple celebrates, saying they don't have to be scared anymore, and Diddy agrees, saying from now on, the zombies are their prey. But when Diddy and his buddy arrive back at their base, ready to regroup with their friends, they find everyone tied up. Oh, come on, they're still alive? Ming, why didn't you just put a bullet in any of them? Well, I get it. He was surrounded by women, and they'd probably freak out if he started handing out headshots. But still, leaving everyone alive? Terrible choice. And right then, Diddy realizes the protagonist took all of his supplies. Obviously, he swears he's going to kill him personally. Back at home, our boy's suddenly having some kind of episode. The girls ask if he's okay, and he says he's feeling strange. Though honestly, his life's not looking too bad. Chu Yin's giving him a massage, the teacher's sitting in front of him, and Mo Yi's right beside him bringing toast. Damn kid, you're living good. The protagonist says they have to rescue Mook Sin Fai because she's probably in danger, but she managed to escape and leave behind some information. Chu Yin asks if that girl is his girlfriend, and he says no, she's just a good partner. Now she's all excited, saying that if that's the case, she'll help him find her. The protagonist, though, tells her not to get in the way. Every alley needs to have a purpose. Chu Yin's the loyal and easy-to-handle type. Mo Yi, on the other hand, is strong but clearly doesn't trust him much. And then there's teacher Puik Shu Ying. He still hasn't figured out how he's going to make use of her. She asks if she can come along. Being a teacher, she's gone through some basic first aid training. The protagonist says fine, just not to slow him down because it drains extra energy to protect everyone. Then he asks if Mo Yi's coming too, and she says of course, comrade. Damn, the backpacks are packed, and off they go. He knows they not only need to find Mook Sin Fai, but also the new roulette wheel since they're running low on resources. But right then, Mo Yi tells him to wait. She knows where they can get a vehicle. They find a truck in front of the military base, and she says the commander spent a fortune bringing it in. It's not missile-proof, but it can handle bullets and reach up to 87 kilometers per hour. The protagonist thanks her, saying the old man really was something else. Meanwhile, Diddy's walking through the city with Pineapple, desperate to find that kid's base and kill him. He never expected that useless Dong Zai to betray him like that. Obviously, the blonde kid told him everything. No way he'd die for that roided-out lunatic. Now, Diddy swears he's the only predator fit to hunt zombies. Sure, go hunt. Nobody's stopping you. Hunt all you want, buddy. Meanwhile, the protagonist driving full speed through the city, plowing through waves of zombies. Mo Yi says this way they'll reach their destination easily. The teacher compliments her, saying it's always great to have someone competent like her. But Chu Yin's getting jealous because now this other girl's getting all the praise. Damn, the women in this story are really something. The protagonist says unfortunately Xin Fei didn't mention which supermarket exactly, so they'll have to check several. The problem is that more and more zombies keep appearing. That's when Chu Yin says something strange is getting closer. Way off in the distance, there's a huge creature leaping around. Looks like a mutated ape with a red crystal on its forehead. What the hell? The monster's grabbing zombies and eating them. Dear God, run, protagonist. Zhang immediately recognizes it as a fierce white ape, one of the most brutal creatures of the apocalypse. With his current 1-star level, he has no chance of defeating it. At least he's fought that species in his past life, so he knows its weak spots. He tells the girls to hold on, slams the truck in reverse, and immediately crashes into a pole. Idiot. Right then, the ape jumps on top of the truck, licks it off the ground, and stares straight at the protagonist through the shattered windshield as he spins the wheel, trying to shake the beast off. When it doesn't let go, he tells Mo Yi to take the wheel, then jumps out the side door and kicks the monster right in the face. Bold move, kid. The problem is, even though he knocks the ape back, it whips its long tail around his leg and drags them both down. The protagonist slams into the ground hard, half buried in dirt. Are the girls going to bail on him? Leave him behind? The monster steps closer, grinning down at him. Then it lets out a roar and raises its arm for the finishing smash, but suddenly, it's hit by a burst of bullets. Looking to the side, we see Mo Yi firing another round of bullets, but the beast manages to dodge them, moves toward the door, and slams it so hard she barely escapes out the back. That girl's practically doing Matrix moves. Inside, the useless ones are all like, oh my god, we're all gonna die. Ever thought of actually doing something? Mo Yi keeps shooting straight into its chest, even though it's clearly doing nothing. The ape comes down for a smash, and she dives to the ground, rolling under the truck. But the monster doesn't stop. It grabs the sides and starts trying to flip the whole thing over. The girls inside are tumbling back and forth, screaming while the beast stomps around. Who even knows what it's doing at this point? Then the teacher jumps out of the truck, and when it goes to hit her, she ducks, but damn, it catches her with a strike in the back. She's done for. Chu Yin yells for the beast to stop when suddenly someone whistles. The protagonist stands up, and the yellow mutt charges forward. The monster swings a massive arm, but our guy moves like Captain Levy, jumping onto its arm, climbing up, and his dog bites down on the creature's shoulder. The beast twists around, trying to shake the dog off as it spins around his body. Zhang Ming tells Mo Yi to hand him the gun. She tosses it, and he catches it midair, activating his craftsman skill, boosting penetration and stability by 20% each. The ape keeps roaring while the yellow pup jumps to the side and tries to bite its hand, but gets swatted away and sent flying. The beast rushes in again to crush him with both arms. But at that moment, the protagonist takes aim from the side, saying he knows its weak spot, and fires right into the gap under its exposed ribs. Somehow, it really is the weak point. The beast drops, immobilized. The protagonist sighs in relief, saying he's lucky. That monster literally had exposed vertebrae, and breaking the first one made it collapse. He's grateful for the craftsman enhancement, and that pistol he got from the roulette. Turns out it was even more useful than he expected. A bit later, they're treating the teacher's wounds. Chu Yin says it's deep and they'll probably have to disinfect with alcohol. The protagonist opens the door and asks who's screaming. What happened? Oh, now she's shy. Girl, your back's half torn open and you're blushing. But alright, he respects her boundaries and closes the door. Though he asks what that was about, and he says it's just the teacher. They're treating a minor wound, nothing life-threatening. He walks off thinking that after everything he's been through, this kind of scene is nothing. He thanks the yellow pill for all he's done. Poor thing's completely worn out. Now he needs to find some recovery items to help the dog heal. A bit later, Chu Yin says, Zhao Ming, the teacher's wound is really deep, and the bleeding won't stop. Who would have guessed? Mo Yi says for that kind of injury, they'll need stitches, anesthetic, and proper medicine. The protagonist remembers being stitched up several times in his past life, without anesthetic, but he knows the teacher won't survive that kind of pain. So he heads out, saying he'll take advantage of being in new territory, to search for the next roulette, maybe other resources, and see what he can find. Chu Yin asks about his friend, that girl Xin Fei. He says she's smart, and there's no need to worry. They'll find her soon. And damn, there it is, the apocalypse wheel again. Level 9 veteran form, it's evolved for real. Mo Yi tells him to stop and says they can split up. She'll check the supermarkets to look for that woman while he searches for medicine. He says it's not worth it, too risky, there are zombies all over the streets, but of course she has to make things harder for him, saying he can trust her. She's a police officer after all. The protagonist gives her that look while she keeps insisting he shouldn't worry. Eventually he relaxes and says fine, but tells her to be careful. The roulette wheels attract zombies. He thinks back to his past life, remembering how he was betrayed by his allies. He just hopes it doesn't happen again this time. Meanwhile, in the city, Pineapple is pedaling while Diddy's sitting behind him, hand on his head, telling him to pedal faster. He likes the wind hitting his face. Apparently, he's been doing some calculations and has a theory that Chu Ming is searching for something. Oh, look at that. Sherlock Holmes, huh? Pineapple asks him to explain, and Diddy says those guys stole their supplies, but it wasn't much, meaning they're running low and will have to search supermarkets soon too. Pineapple looks impressed, saying Big Bro's really smart, and they decide to head to the biggest supermarket in the area, Yuhu's supermarket. Poor Mo Yu, she's definitely going to run into them. The two enter the place. Pineapple's nervous about zombies, but Diddy says there's nothing to fear. The problem is, the moment they walk in, they realize the entire place is empty. They toss a bag of flour on the ground, complaining it's a waste of time. Nothing here. But suddenly, a zombie perched on top of a shelf starts screaming. The creature drops down toward them, and strangely, Diddy looks scared. Did he forget he's strong now? But weirdly enough, the monster suddenly turns away and leaves. They're both confused until they realize there's only one thing zombies are more drawn to than humans. They look up, every single one of them is stretching toward a roulette wheel. Pineapple asks what they should do, saying it's terrifying and they should probably run. But of course, Diddy says there's no way they're running. This is their lucky break. Nearby, Mogi's moving through the area. She knows this city well, being a cop helps, and decides to check a small shop. She looks through the shelves and spots a zombie in the corner, but keeps moving. Then she goes into another store, empty again. No roulette, no supplies. The only place left is the largest market in the region, Yuhua. She just hopes Zhang Ming's safe. The protagonist, meanwhile, is speeding through the city in the truck while Chu Yin says the teacher's getting worse. He says they're almost there, and finally they pull up in front of the city hospital. He rushes inside to find medicine as the teacher moans in pain. Her back wound is drenched in blood. Chu Yin knows that if Zhang Ming doesn't come back soon, she's going to die. Even worse, if there's one guy who takes forever to return, it's him. He's running down the hospital halls saying he needs medical supplies right now, when suddenly a green tail slams into the wall beside him. Oh god, another monster with a red crystal on its forehead. Wait, not red, the artist changed his mind, now it's yellow. And this one looks like a crocodile mixed with a turtle. It's way worse than the white ape. People only figured out how to kill these things 10 years into the apocalypse. Monsters like this are known as guardian creatures, since they usually protect something valuable. The protagonist hides knowing he can't defeat it with his current power, but he does have a few tricks up his sleeve. Outside, Chu Yin asks if he found the medicine, but he ignores her, heads straight for the truck, grabs a bow and an arrow, and says he'll be right back. Strangely, he goes into a jewelry shop, a gold store of all places. Chu Yin's completely confused, trying to figure out what he's doing. The woman's dying, and this guy's acting like he's playing Minecraft. He might not know how to kill that creature, but he does know how to slow it down. With these materials and his craftsman's skill, he figures he can make exactly what he needs. He reforges the bow with gold, turning it into a real masterpiece. Looking slick, kid. It's a technique called mosaic forging, something he'd seen people use in his past life, a method that strengthens one item using the properties of another. With everything ready, he steps out from behind the wall, draws 3 arrows and fires at the turtle-like monster. One arrow lands in front, another by its leg, and the third sticks into its tail. Immediately, Zhang Ming sprints forward, saying that's exactly what he needed to slow the bastard down. He rushes into the medicine wing, kicks open the door. Luckily, there's plenty of supplies since almost nobody's been able to enter because of the monster guarding the place. But now the beast's starting to rip its tail free. Oh, but he'd also thrown a net over its head, which it tears apart just as easily before turning its attention toward him. Meanwhile, over at Yua's supermarket, Diddy's just finished beating down a bunch of zombies and celebrates, saying he's finally getting his roulette. Pineapple's freaking out, asking what's going on. When Diddy pulls off the cloth, there it is, a roulette packed with items. He kicks the blonde idiot and orders him to start collecting the crystals. Pineapple's getting angrier by the minute, while Diddy examines the wheel. It looks different from the last one. There's even a weird necklace, and a card on it. The problem? It costs 10 crystals to activate. Pineapple warns that more zombies will show up soon. Clearly, this thing's attracting them. But Diddy just decks him across the face for saying it. Out at the entrance, Mo Yi arrives. The place is way too quiet, which can only mean all the zombies have already been wiped out. At the same time, back at the hospital, the massive creature's standing upright, glowing faintly purple. Outside, Chu Yin hears the noise and panics. Zhang Ming's in danger, but the teacher's also in critical condition. She can't just sit there doing nothing, so she opens the door and runs to help him. Inside, she comes face to face with a crocodile lizard scratching up the walls, wondering what kind of monster that even is. Inside the room, the door's beginning to crack under pressure. Our boy stacked a chair against it, like that's gonna do much. He knows as long as the beast's raging, he's trapped. From outside, Chu Yin realizes the same thing. He's stuck in there with no way out. She looks around and spots something, a nest of eggs in the corner. The monster keeps slamming its tail against the wall. Zhang Ming notices his level 1 craftsman gear didn't do much at all. Then suddenly, the creature starts to move away. He's confused for a moment until he spots Chu Yin in the corner. What the hell is that idiot doing here? Turns out the monster hadn't left, it just whipped its tail again. Damn, I really want to know how crystal ranks work because that golden one's gotta be worth a fortune. Chu Yin hides behind a wall, wondering how she can help Zhang Ming. She has to be useful somehow, so she runs straight toward the nest of eggs. From there, she yells, telling the monster to look at her. Instantly, it obeys, turning its huge body toward her. Even though Zhang Ming thinks she's an idiot running to her death, he has to take advantage of the distraction. He bolts out of the room right then and there. Zhang Ming yells for Chu Yin to get out of there or she'll die. The monster's charging while she's standing right in front of the eggs, but she shows all 3, scattering them around. Strangely, the creature looks way more worried about its offspring than anything else. It rushes to gather them up, barely keeping one from smashing into the wall. Zhang Ming realizes the monster values its eggs above all else. She actually got lucky. But then the idiot trips and luckily he grabs her hand just in time. He still scolds her, calling her a fool, but pulls her along, telling her to hurry and get out of there. Outside, she exhales in relief, saying that was close, while he asks why she did something so reckless. Oh, he's all flustered now. Guess someone's falling for her. She just saved your life, genius. Did you want someone useful? Well, there you go. She says she panicked. She was scared and wanted to save him, so she didn't think straight. He looks at her and says she needs to stop doing that. There's no reason for her to risk herself like that. Still, deep down, he admits that because of this, he can finally trust her. Meanwhile, later that night at Yahello Market, the sky's gone dark. Mo-yi sneaks inside quietly and reaches the roulette room. Surrounded by zombie corpses, she wonders what on earth happened there. That's when Diddy steps out from behind the wheel, saying he wasn't expecting to find a lady, thought it'd be another zombie. And a cop, no less. Guess he's lucky tonight. However, Mo-yi stepped forward to face him head-on. Thinking that she was a police officer too, he really was a lucky guy. But Mo-yi was already getting ready to face him head-on. Meanwhile, Zhang-ming was with Pu Xiang, checking on her. The teacher still had the stitching marks on her back, thinking that the scar wouldn't look good. The guy said he was done and she thanked him. Liang Shu-yin asked how her friend was doing, and he said she'd be fine after some rest, but her stomach started growling. Liang Shu-yin said it was just because she hadn't eaten. Then he told his partner to go grab something to eat while he went to meet up with Mo-yi. Back to Diddy, he's trying to punch the officer, landing a hit she blocks, but she's thrown far back. She steadies herself and swings a kick over at him. He stomps hard on the ground. Diddy rubs his shoulder, saying the girl's pretty strong. With a big grin, he says he likes that and throws another punch. The officer barely dodges and is surprised by his speed. The villain's got a wild look in his eyes and keeps charging forward, but she blocks the next attack with her forearm. Diddy wonders what kind of crazy fighting technique that is. Taking the opening, she lands a punch straight to his face, but the muscle head doesn't even flinch, like he didn't feel a thing. He even mocks her, saying it felt like a mosquito bite. Then he tells her to come at him with everything she's got. Mo-yi realizes his body's tough and wonders if he went through a mutation. She changes her stance into a different fighting style, which the villain finds interesting. The officer gets ready to use a special punch technique, but the guy manages to grab her hand. He holds it, saying it wasn't bad and she should keep going. The brute warns that the more she resists, the more fired up he gets. Pineapple's amazed that the officer's still holding her ground against the boss even after he drank the potion. He thinks the roulette's right there in front of him, but now this troublemaker showed up. The blonde decides he has to help the boss, maybe then he can become a superhero with the roulette. So he figures it's time to act. Suddenly, Pineapple rushes in and pushes the officer from behind. She gets angry and curses at him. Taking advantage of the moment, Diddy lands a hit on her. The girl's thrown far away, hitting the ground and realizing there are two enemies now. But Diddy gets mad at his friend, asking who told him to interfere. He says that after the potion, he could take down 10 cops like her. Then he smashes a punch right into the girl's face, grabs her by the collar, and mocks her, saying a cop fighting for justice is a joke. Mo-yi glares at him, furious despite all her injuries. Diddy raises his fists, saying that real justice is his fists. But just as he's about to swing, the officer gives a faint smirk. Suddenly, Zhang-ming appears behind the muscle head, his aura dark and heavy. Diddy takes a punch to the face, not even knowing where it came from. He's dazed, completely lost on what's happening. Standing in front of Mo-yi is the protagonist himself, there to protect her. Diddy stares at him, the kid who just showed up to save the day. With a grin, he says he was planning to look for him anyway, but looks like the kid came on his own. Our boy doesn't even flinch and asks if he happens to know this guy. Then he crouches down to ask Mo-yi if she's okay. She says she's fine. He turns his gaze back to Diddy, wondering why he looks so evil when it was someone else who stole this stuff. Diddy tells the kid to listen up, saying he's about to introduce himself, but Zhang-ming doesn't care and charges in, saying nobody touches his people. The brute's surprised by the sudden attack, but manages to dodge at the last second. Furious, he strikes back with a punch, ready to send the guy flying. But our boy blocks the punch with his bare hand. He realizes their strength and speed are about the same, meaning the guy also drank the potion. As they trade blows, Zhang-ming thinks the guy's got some luck, but dodges easily and finishes the thought, saying his attacks are way too ordinary. With that, the protagonist takes advantage of an opening and lands a heavy punch right into Diddy's ribs. Diddy feels the blow hard and stumbles back a few steps. He curses at the protagonist, furious. Our boy asks if he really thinks he's stronger just because he drank that potion and tells him to come get beaten some more. The musclehead charges forward, shouting for him to die already, but the protagonist dodges his punch effortlessly. In the same instant, he lands a precise hit straight into the guy's kidney. He even comments that having your kidney crushed must hurt like hell. Diddy bends over in pain, completely shocked by what just happened. Then he charges again, yelling that he's going to finish this bastard once and for all. As their blows collide, our boy realizes something: both of them are one-star warriors. He dodges another punch, thinking that the real difference between them isn't that. He grabs the enemy's arm with ease, tightening his grip. The protagonist thinks to himself the difference is his 10 years of combat experience. Then he throws a punch straight into Diddy's face with everything he's got. The muscle head is launched backward from the sheer force of the impact. Pineapple's eyes go wide, shouting for his boss. Diddy crashes to the ground, completely wrecked. He lies there, asking who the hell that kid is. The brute's trembling, terrified, and starts begging for his life. He drops to his knees, pleading not to be killed. But secretly, he pulls out a hidden knife while pretending to surrender. He begs the protagonist to spare him just this once, saying he'll change. And the second our boy turns around, he lunges forward, knife in hand, trying to repay the kindness. The musclehead's about to stab him in the back, but Zhang Ming spins around instantly and grabs his arm. In that moment, our boy twists his wrist, snapping every bone in his hand. Diddy screams in agony, clutching his shattered hand. But the protagonist doesn't stop. He hits him again, saying he's seen plenty of guys like him before. The brute collapses to the ground, and the boy says the plan wasn't bad, but he was just too weak. Flat on the ground, Diddy looks over at Pineapple and calls out for help. The blonde runs toward his boss, who begs him to help them escape. So Pineapple throws Diddy over his shoulder and gets ready to bail. Moyu looks confused, asking why the guy let them go. But Zhang Ming just says no. He explains that those two will die soon enough, no need to dirty their hands. Outside the Yuhua supermarket, the sun's already setting. Diddy and Pineapple limp away while our hero watches from above. Then the boy walks up to Mo Yi and asks how she's holding up. He says she's lucky she didn't break any bones. That officer replies that a cop's ribs don't crack that easily. He stands up and says it looks like they finally found the place they were looking for. Then he glances at the covered machine, thinking it must be the wheel Mook Shinfei mentioned. Meanwhile, outside, the two men are walking down the street. Diddy says you only find out who your true friends are when things get rough, and Pineapple agrees. Diddy complains about being crippled, failing to kill the kid, and losing the new wheel. He swears that after some rest, he'll come back for revenge. But suddenly, both of them stop in their tracks. Pineapple says the fifth brother needs to understand a few things. He asks what he's ever gained from following the boss just running from zombies all the time. He wonders why only the boss gets all the benefits while everyone else barely survives. Pineapple complains that honest men are always the ones being pushed around, while Diddy begs him not to do anything stupid. He grabs Diddy's arm and says that since the boss is crippled now, maybe it'd be better if he held onto the crystals for a while. With a sly grin, he says he'll help keep them safe, while Diddy recovers. But right then, Diddy's face twists in horror. A horde of zombies is flooding into the alley. The monsters charge straight at them, ready to attack. Panicking, Diddy reaches out, begging his friend to give him the crystals and take him along to escape. The blonde one asks how he's supposed to run if he has to carry the boss with him. Right then, the horde of monsters leaps straight onto Diddy, who gets left behind. While Pineapple runs away, Diddy screams his friend's name in despair, realizing he's been betrayed. Outside the supermarket, the truck is already waiting for them. Lion Chu Yin hears the screams and worries that something happened to Zhang Ming and the others. Panic flashes across her face immediately. Our protagonist shows up with Mo Yi, saying she's injured and they need to find a safe place fast. The girl asks if those two guys who escaped from the supermarket were the ones responsible for this. She's furious, saying that if she'd known, she would have run those two over with the truck herself. Inside a warehouse, they light a campfire to warm up and spend the night. Our boy and Lion Chu Yin take the watch while the other two rest on the mattresses. The girl asks if they should hide the wheel so no one else can use it. The guy explains that the wheel can't be moved, and if word gets out, a war will break out over it. But he adds that they already took most of the rewards anyway. We see the items they collected: a potion of enhancement, another of immunity, a necklace, and a shield. He thinks about how easy it was to get the crystals with everyone's help, while the girl is fascinated by the necklace. She puts it around her neck, smiling proudly, thinking it looks great on her. The guy tells her it's not just an accessory and asks if she plans to impress zombies with that thing. The girl goes quiet, looking a little sad after the scolding. As they stare at the fire, it sinks in a world they knew isn't coming back. The three women fall silent, each lost in thought about the uncertain future. Zhang Ming finally says that if their team sticks together, they can still ensure everyone's survival. He tells them he's not a nice guy and only saved them to be his assistants, so they better prove their worth. Then he offers the enhancement potion, saying he'll give them something called the power of the future. The girls look confused, and one of them asks what kind of power of the future he's talking about. The guy explains that it's the enhancement potion. It improves everything in the body: strength, speed, even metabolism. Basically, it supercharges your body with a surge of green energy inside. One of them gets excited, thinking it's like a superpower, but he clarifies that it just boosts physical abilities by 20 or 30%. A normal person after taking it becomes strong enough to tear through zombies. Lion Chu Yin seems discouraged, saying that a 20% boost to her body won't help much. But the guy tells her the potion develops your body's potential, and she shouldn't underestimate herself like that. Mohi asks if he got strong because of it, and he says his physique doesn't compare to that of a trained police officer. She realizes the potion only enhances the body and wonders how he knows so much about the apocalypse and why he's already so powerful. Lian Chu Yin agrees, thinking that since the moment she met him, he seemed oddly well adapted to this crazy new world. Everyone falls silent for a moment, all thinking about the mystery surrounding him. Then Mo Yi cuts straight to the point. She asks if he knows what caused the apocalypse. He gives a faint smile and blames Muxin Fei, while thinking to himself that he can't reveal he's a reborn. The girl concludes that Muxin Fei must not be an ordinary person, and the protagonist feels relieved they bought the story so easily. She asks about the side effects, and he says it causes excruciating pain. Many people die because they couldn't handle it. Lian Chu Yin panics and asks if she could die from it. The guy says every benefit comes with a risk, and he won't force anyone to take it. The girls look uncertain, thinking hard about what to do. But suddenly, Mo-yi stands up. She extends her hand and says she'll take the potion without hesitation. The protagonist gives a faint smile and says that's exactly what he expected from her. He hands her the potion, warning about the pain of evolution and telling her to drink it the next day. Seeing her friend's courage, Liang Chu-yin decides she'll try it too. She doesn't want to be a burden. The guy nods, agreeing with her decision. He says they'll drink it tomorrow and adjusts her loose clothes, saying they make it hard to move. The girl blushes, looking embarrassed, and says she got the message. Lying down, Mo-yi watches him walk away, wondering why he's always so blunt. Then she rolls over, grumbling that she wishes she could sleep on something softer. With the girl in his arms, he tells her if he's going to ask her again. Liang Chu-yin's face is smudged with makeup and tears. The guy tells her that having power doesn't mean being lucky and he won't let her go so easily. Then he asks if, even after all this, she's still willing to come with him. The girl says she understands perfectly. After all, he saved her life. With a gentle smile, she says that if he gives her the chance, she'll always stay by his side. The protagonist turns his head and asks, "And what about you?" Meanwhile, Officer Mo-yi leans against the truck. She wants to know what his next plans are. He explains that if nothing goes wrong, he'll head back to the hospital and then to a nearby lake. Mo-yi says she might have to leave soon, which surprises the other girl. He thinks it's a shame but says his promise to make her stronger still stands. The officer tells him not to worry, she'll be back soon, and if all goes well, she'll meet him at the lake. Our boy then hands her some bullets, saying they might come in handy on the road. He takes her hand and, smiling, says that even if she hadn't taken the first step, he would have. He tells everyone to get some sleep since tomorrow is going to be a long day, but one of them complains she's not sleepy. The next morning, the three of them stand with their potions in hand. All of them look nervous about drinking it, but they're determined. Without a second thought, Liang Chu-yin tilts her head back and drinks the whole thing in one go. Immediately, the effect kicks in, her vision starts to blur and distort. The glass bottle slips from her hand and shatters on the floor. All three of them collapse to their knees, writhing in pain as it spreads through their bodies. The protagonist tells them he's heading to the hospital and that they should hunt zombies once they recover. The two girls nod, still shaking from the potion's effects. With that, he and Yellow Pill set off on their mission. They tell him to be careful, and he assures them he'll be fine. Not long after, our hero arrives in front of the public hospital. He feels relieved that the place is still standing and says now he remembers. He remembers hearing that inside this hospital, 3 guardian beasts were once found. Later, the military intervened, killed the 3 creatures, and took an egg the monster had left behind. Rumor had it that the image on it was the design for a sword, and before long, silver swords began to appear. With a confident grin, he swears that this time the blueprint and the egg will be his. To make sure nothing goes wrong, he's already cleared out every zombie in the area. Now all that's left is to make the final preparations for the battle ahead. He thinks back last time he wasn't ready for the beast. Now though, his bow's power is too low, and his pistol isn't strong enough either. He needs another plan. The only option is to enhance his bullets using the lizard claws he found earlier. Using his crafting skill, he fuses the claws with the pistol rounds. He manages to infuse magic into them, greatly increasing their damage and penetration power. Now, with his weapon loaded and Yellow Pill by his side, he's ready for the fight. He tells his partner to wait outside and warn him if any zombies show up. Everything set, our hero leaps through a window into the hospital. Inside, he finds the crocodile turtle monster peacefully asleep, but it wakes up instantly at the sound of something breaking. The creature starts scanning the room, trying to locate where the noise came from. Suddenly, he spots the red jacket of our hero hanging from a stick. The bright red color enrages the monster, and it starts growling fiercely. The beast charges full force toward the piece of red cloth. It lunges, but the jacket sways aside at the last second. The creature freezes, confused to see the cloth moving on its own. Hidden in the shadows, our hero is using a fishing rod to control the jacket, keeping the monster distracted. He realizes the information was right. The creature really does go wild at the sight of red. Taking advantage of that, he fires at the beast's shell and cheers when the shot lands perfectly. The crocodile turtle roars in fury and charges at him. Our hero dodges, thinking it's no surprise the thing attacks so suddenly. The creature keeps advancing with its razor-sharp claws, but the protagonist is already ready, knife in hand, stands firm. With the blade, he manages to block every strike coming his way. Still, one of the spikes on the creature's tail slices right across Zhongming's face. He jumps over the tail to dodge the next hit. Seizing the moment, Zhongming runs along the tail like a ramp, climbing up the monster's back. The beast lets out a furious roar when it feels him above. Then Zhongming leaps toward its head, knife raised high. He dives straight into the creature's mouth, but instead of stabbing, he shifts his grip and wedges the blade between its teeth, keeping its jaws from closing. With the monster's mouth locked open, Zhongming pulls out his pistol. He aims deep into the creature's throat and with a single shot ends the crocodile turtle's life. The beast collapses to the ground, lifeless. The battle is finally over. He wipes the blood from his face. After putting his jacket back on, Zhongming walks toward the eggs. Near them, he finds a glowing scroll. With a satisfied grin, he celebrates he's found exactly what he came for. The scroll shows blueprints for 3 swords, rank 1, 2, and 3. He notices the last one is a rare purple rank blade with both a passive and an active ability. It's so powerful that its value nearly matches a historical grade weapon. But to forge that masterpiece, he'd need 1,000 rank 5 magic crystals. So for now, the protagonist decides to focus on crafting the rank 1 sword first. Looking at the eggs, he explains they're excellent evolution items for pets. So Zhang Ming calls his little dog over to enjoy the reward with him. He prepares the eggs and eats alongside his partner. As he eats, he feels his body and mind recovering fast, his strength doubling after consuming the evolution egg. Then Zhang Ming tells Yellow Pill to lift his head so he can check the changes. The little creature obeys. He then asks him to show his new talent ability. At that moment, Yellow Pill growls softly, preparing to demonstrate his power. Suddenly, he fires a burst of sharp spikes straight toward the protagonist. The spikes slam into the wall, startling Zhang Ming with their power. Realizing what just happened, the protagonist understands his partner's new ability, a spike shot attack using his fur. But now, Yellow Pill's completely bald and the guy just stares, baffled. Still, he pats him gently, saying it's a good ability even if he does look ugly now. Before leaving, he tells the dog to finish the rest of the eggs, but not to touch the last 2. A little later, our hero arrives at an abandoned hospital. He walks up to a car parked outside. Standing beside it, he says it's time to forge the Frontier Moon Blade. His crafting skill activates, releasing a surge of blue energy. He begins shaping the car's metal with his hands, melting and molding it into a weapon. Combining the crocodile turtle's claws and fangs with a magic crystal, the forge continues to glow. A massive pillar of energy bursts upward as the weapon takes form. Holding the new dagger, he smiles proudly. The creation was a success. To test it, he swings it at a metal pole. The blade slices clean through, sharper than he expected. Seeing that he still has leftover materials, he thinks about forging weapons for the girls too. After everything, he returns to camp carrying the rest of the eggs for the group. The girls, who seem to have recovered from the potion, immediately notice his arrival. Lion Chu Yin comments that he finally came back. He asks if Mo Yi has already left and how they're feeling after their evolution. The girl shows him the core she collected, proudly saying that killing zombies is easy now. She doesn't understand why Professor Xiang was so scared. The teacher reminds her that she also threw up, but the girl shrugs it off, saying there's always a first time to feel pain and disgust. Seeing the cores, the protagonist praises the girls and thinks to himself that the investment was worth it. With a small smile, he offers them the eggs to eat. They ask what those are, and he says it's food that'll make them stronger. After that, Zhang Ming thinks to himself that he needs to head to Pearl Lake to retrieve that item. Looking at the last egg, he decides it's something he should keep safe. He glances to the side and notices the 2 girls already eating one of the eggs he prepared. The professor, surprised, comments that just a short time apart was enough from her friend to look even worse, while the other girl worries she's going to get fat. But Pu Xiang feels her body getting stronger after eating the egg. The protagonist asks Lion Chu Yin if she's finished eating because he has something for her. Curious, she asks what it is. Then he reveals a golden whip entwined with green vines. She's taken aback, and Zhang Ming tells her to try it out. If it feels right, she can keep it. The girl takes the weapon in her hands, feeling its weight. The whip of vines looks stylish and incredibly powerful. She examines it closely, then starts testing its movement through the air. With a single swing, she tears open the ground beneath her feet from the sheer force. Holding it tightly, she says it feels like it was made just for her. She mentions she's learned some stretching techniques and that this new weapon will definitely come in handy. Meanwhile, the professor watches her while petting Yellow Pill. The protagonist then asks what weapon the professor wants, and she's surprised she's getting one too. Still petting the dog, she looks uneasy, saying she doesn't really know what to choose. With a calm smile, he tells her there's no rush, she should think it through. He reminds her that back in peaceful times, no one really used weapons except maybe kitchen knives. Lian Chu Yin asks if they're heading to Pearl Lake, and the protagonist nods. He warns that it could be dangerous and asks if they're willing to come with him. Excited, Liang Chu Yin raises her fist, saying yes, but the professor says she'll only go if she won't be a burden. The protagonist tells her to come along but warns again about the danger, adding that he hasn't even mentioned the rewards for success yet. With everything decided, the group climbs into the truck and sets off on their next mission. On the way, Zhang Ming remembers that in his past life he only found the courage to lead home after eating everything he had left. He recalls walking out armed with just a wooden stick, moving nervously through the streets outside his hiding place, and seeing a strange light fall from the sky. He wondered what that sound was and began trembling in fear. Then he heard something odd coming from the street. When he looked outside, he saw dozens of zombies falling from buildings and asked himself what the hell was going on. Not wanting to become zombie food, he ran for his life. But soon he realized the zombies were ignoring him. They were moving toward that glowing place where the sound came from. Back in his apartment, he looked out the window to see what was happening. Sweat dripped down his face as his eyes widened. A massive explosion lit up the distance, and he whispered, "What the hell just happened?" Back to the present, Zhang Ming recalls how he later learned the truth from survivors. There was a strange wheel at Pearl Lake. It only needed a single rank 1 crystal to spin. Once activated, it acted like a dungeon, granting missions and rewards. No one ever spoke about what happened inside. Usually, those who entered were either completely wiped out or came out insanely powerful. And now the group arrives at the site in their truck. Everyone steps out, ready to begin the exploration. Stepping out of the truck, the protagonist points toward the lake and says that's where they'll find countless powerful items. With those items, he guarantees they'll become the strongest group in the entire city. 10 hours earlier, a few zombies were standing in front of a building. Inside a large complex, a group of men in suits was surrounded by heavily armed soldiers. One of the soldiers with a scar over his eye asked the leader of the suited men what his decision was. The man in the suit asked if they'd be killed right there if they didn't agree to the proposal. He thought that even with 3 one-star evolved and 11 weapons, they didn't stand a chance. Anger tightened his jaw. Running into the military now was the worst possible timing. A young soldier casually playing with knives commented that his leader Yi had a 2-star evolved right beside him. Leader Yi replied sharply that if they didn't cooperate, he wouldn't allow them to interfere with their plans. CEO Lei grew serious, silently weighing the offer. One of his men whispered, asking if they should fight the soldiers. But the military officer Yi warned that they wouldn't work for free, they'd expect their share of the reward. He pointed at his uniform, saying that even if they didn't believe him, they should at least believe the uniform. The young soldier smirked, adding that CDO Lai could get as strong as he was if he accepted the deal. Finally, CDO Lai extended his hand, saying he understood and that they'd cooperate. The soldier shook his hand, introducing himself as Wang Ding and saying they'd get along just fine. After that, CDO Lai asked the officer about the operation they kept mentioning. Leader Yi explained that they'd received critical intel about the lake. At Pearl Lake, there was a very special beast, one that many would fight to obtain, and they had spies watching it closely. Through the radio, a man named Qin Xiaobo reported that it was time, but Leader Yi replied that he was almost there and ordered the others to secure the wheel. From afar, the protagonist was watching everything through binoculars. Sitting on top of the truck, he said most of the people were already gathered. He jumped down, asking the girls if they were ready. He handed a walkie-talkie to Lane Chu-yin and told her that once the operation started, she should hide and report immediately if she saw the monster. Professor Pugh also received a radio, along with the mission to monitor battle conditions and keep track of the smaller creatures' movements. The protagonist pointed toward a nearby building, saying he'd wait there to set up the ambush. He explained that if the professor confirmed any monster activity, they'd regroup with her. He also told her to find a high place to report the battle's progress and the monster's positions, but if things got dangerous, she had to retreat immediately. Pooh pointed at one of the buildings, asking if that one was safe. Zhang Ming nodded, saying it was, and that she could wait for him and Liang Chu-yin there. With a dagger in hand, he asked her to report as soon as she spotted the target. He warned that even though the monster wasn't particularly strong, it was cunning and capable of summoning others. Suddenly, a pillar of light shot down from the sky, flooding the forest in bright energy. He said the wheel had been activated, the monster had finally appeared. As the pillar slammed into the lake, a massive explosion followed. Qin Xiaobo's team flinched at the blast, confused and startled. He squinted at the lake and froze, shocked by what he saw. A strange, one-eyed creature sat atop the wheel. As the soldiers raised their weapons, the monster pulled an object from its waist. It brought it to its mouth like a horn and blew with incredible force, the sound echoing across the entire area, making Qin Xiaobo's blood run cold. The eerie call summoned a horde of zombies marching toward the lake, but the soldiers were already in position, ready for combat. Leader Yi watched the entire scene through his binoculars. Then one of the soldiers approached and called out to him. The captain asked for a status update and was informed that all platoons had reached their designated positions. But Qin Xiaobo's signal suddenly vanished, his team lost contact, and a massive horde of zombies was spotted rushing toward them at high speed. With a serious expression, the leader asked what else had happened. The frightened soldier reported that they were surrounded by the undead. Yet the captain smiled calmly, saying they were already in the central district of the city, meaning they'd been surrounded from the start. Then he shouted, calling out to all his brothers in arms. Standing on top of a tank, he ordered everyone to look at him. He yelled that maybe he'd led them straight into a graveyard. He pointed to the destroyed vehicles and the monsters all around. Then he warned that if they didn't retreat now, they'd all die there. But he reminded the soldiers why they were still standing, why they wore that uniform. He said that just like them, he had a family too, and didn't even know if they were safe. Then he shouted, asking if that was a reason to give up and abandon their beliefs. He roared that they were soldiers born for war, and they had to be stronger than monsters, stronger than anything in this world. Even if he died, he wanted to die wearing that uniform with honor. With a powerful yell, he declared that glory belonged to them, and the soldiers shouted it back in unison. They roared together, glory belongs to us. From the window above, our protagonist watched the whole scene unfold. He thought that while their sense of glory united them, it was also something unimaginable in the final days of the apocalypse, and he couldn't help but envy them. He kept watching. Down below, the tanks rolled forward, crushing zombies under their tracks. The protagonist thought their blood must be boiling with adrenaline. Seeing the soldiers' determination, he wondered what was happening on the other side. Then suddenly, blue lightning crackled deep within the forest. The protagonist realized what it meant. The dimensional gate was opening. He understood that the monster had used its horn to tear open a portal. That horn didn't just summon mutant creatures, it called forth powerful beasts from another dimension. Moments later, a horned monster with glowing blue eyes emerged from the rift. It was a crimson steel beast, a level 2 creature with 2 heads and sharp claws. Without hesitation, the monster charged straight at Qin Xiaobo. He screamed in pain as the creature caught him. The beast roared, ready to devour its prey. Then, another shape stepped out from the portal, goat-like hooves covered in black armor. It was a terror war goat, another level 2 monster. Seeing the situation spiral out of control, the protagonist sprinted up the stairs to the rooftop. With a hard kick, he burst through the door for a better view. From up there, he could clearly see the dimensional portal glowing ominously. From it, swarms of purple cloud war ants began pouring out all level 1 monsters. He frowned. Even though they were only level 1, there were too many of them. Watching the chaos spread, he wondered what kind of world that gate was connected to and why so many powerful monsters were coming through. Ever since the apocalypse began, not only had strange wheels fallen from the sky, but golden lights had also rained down, striking the ground. Those areas became infested with creatures not from Earth, plunging humanity into despair. But they also brought strange flowers, rare minerals, and mysterious treasures. From the rooftop, the protagonist saw yet another creature stepping out of the portal, a zombie ape with white fur and glowing red eyes, a rank 3 zombie. The sight left him stunned. He couldn't believe a rank 3 zombie had appeared this early in the apocalypse. He remembered that in his previous life, the record for reaching 3 stars was 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the zombie ape attacked CEO Lee and his men who had been approaching from the side. The monster charged at them with terrifying speed. One of the men was grabbed and screamed desperately for help. But CDO Lee could only watch as the creature tore his comrade apart. The poor man's screams echoed as blood splattered everywhere, a horrifying scene. Professor Pooh, watching through her binoculars, was frozen in shock. Over the radio, the protagonist asked her to report the location of the treasure monster. Pooh replied that it was wandering near the lake. Zhang Ming then asked over the radio where the goat monster was. She responded that it was to his left behind the Ang Sin Company building. The protagonist leaped from one rooftop to another and told the professor to keep her eyes on the goat's position. He lands on the rooftop and calls Lang Chu Yin to come closer. The eye keeps moving fast, leaping from building to building. Over the radio, the professor confirms that she spotted the treasure monster. It's walking around the lake while riding a purple cloud war ant. Reaching the edge of a building, he asks if the black hole has disappeared yet. But the voice over the radio says the portal's still there, and right then, he spots the terror goat approaching. The protagonist remembers that according to his past life, the monster could only blow that horn once, but he doesn't understand why the black hole is still open. He drops from the building and moves through the crowd of zombies to investigate. With his dagger in hand, he gets ready for battle. He starts cutting through every zombie in his path with ease until the severed head of one catches his attention. He grabs it, muttering that even if it's small, it shouldn't go to waste. Suddenly, he hears someone screaming for help. He looks up and sees the terror goat chasing a group of terrified survivors. The monster roars, its red eyes blazing with fury. Preparing to face it, the protagonist notes that the goat is a rank 2 monster, but one of the easiest to deal with. So he charges forward, knowing he could earn great rewards by taking it down. He steadies himself, gathering strength, then leaps onto the beast, plunging his dagger deep into its back to hold on. With a focused look, he prepares for the next strike. From a distance, the people he just saved watch the battle, completely stunned. One of them mutters, asking how he did that when he's just a 1-star like them. The goat bellows in pain and starts bucking wildly, trying to throw him off. But the protagonist drives the dagger even deeper, shouting that it won't be that easy to shake him off. The creature shrieks in agony as the blade sinks further. The men watching are shocked by how easily his weapon pierced the monster's defense. The goat keeps jumping, thrashing around, trying to fling him away. But the protagonist clings tightly to the dagger lodged in its back. Then the creature slams itself against a wall, trying to crush him. The impact rattles Zhang Ming's body. He grits his teeth, thinking this beast is clever. The goat keeps throwing itself against walls at high speed, but with one last strike, the protagonist finally brings it down. Even as it collapses, the monster keeps roaring at him. With a confident grin, the protagonist says he'll grant the creature's last wish and steps off its back. He yanks the dagger free from its flesh and jumps aside, preparing for one final blow. The monster swings its hooves, trying to crush him, but our boy dodges midair with a quick twist. He gathers his energy again, his eyes glowing red. Pointing the dagger toward the goat, he raises his arm high and slashes down. He keeps going, unleashing a flurry of fast, precise strikes, but that only enrages the creature even more. He braces himself for the counterattack, blocking the goat's charging horns with his dagger. Even wounded, the protagonist tells the creature to stop fighting. It's over. The beast stumbles, weakened by its wounds, and finally collapses to the ground. With the goat defeated at last, the protagonist steps closer to its body. He hears someone whisper, wondering if he really killed that thing. With blood running down his face, he turns to see who's talking. It's the people he saved earlier, watching from a distance. One of them asks if he actually killed the monster, while another demands to know how he managed to beat something that huge. The protagonist replies that since they were running away, they shouldn't have come back. With a dismissive wave, he tells them to get lost. But one of the men argues that they deserve half the credit since they fought the monster first. The protagonist scoffs, asking if getting massacred and not even scratching it counts as credit. The man yells at him to stop acting arrogant. They're just trying to survive. Enraged, the protagonist shouts back, telling them to get the hell out of there once and for all. He glares at them with pure disdain. The three men glance at each other, their faces filled with fake confidence. One of the men threatens him, telling him to drop everything he's got and get lost. Another says there are 3 of them, and only one of him he'd better think twice before doing anything stupid. Xiaoming's arm is weakened from his fight with the monster, and they mock him for it, saying he can't even move his hand and that they'll kill him if he doesn't walk away. The blonde one adds that in this new world, the strong make the rules, killing isn't a crime anymore. Suddenly, the protagonist's radio starts beeping. He answers and hears that a large group of zombies is heading his way. The messenger reports that the monster with the golden pouch is moving toward a candy shop, and that another survivor team is also headed there. The protagonist immediately thinks about the pouch monster that's his target, and he can't let anyone else get to it first. He needs to grab the goat's loot and make it to the candy store as fast as possible. The man holding a metal bat says he can go, but he has to leave the sword, the radio, and everything else behind. With a mocking grin, the protagonist says they're just a bunch of greedy trash. The man shouts that whoever attacks first wins and charges at him. In that instant, the protagonist thinks about how everything changed since the apocalypse began. He remembers taking revenge on the people who used to torment and suppress him. The boss who once threatened to fire him is now just a toy in his hands. The team leader who tried to steal his authority ended up on his knees after he crippled his daughter. He believes the world has changed, and now the only thing that matters is becoming stronger. With a swift motion, Zhang's dagger cuts through the air and slices the man's hand clean off. The man screams in agony, staring in disbelief at his severed hand. With a commanding glare, the protagonist says that in the apocalypse, anyone who tries to kill should be ready to die too. The man roars in anger, shouting, "How dare you?" The protagonist kicks him hard, sending him flying backward, his body crashing into his 2 companions, knocking them all down. They hit the ground, screaming in pain as their bones crack. Kneeling beside the goat's corpse, the protagonist mutters that they don't need to remember his words because this is their end. He opens the beast's throat, takes the monster's loot, and walks away, leaving the men behind. With no one left to stop them, the zombies pour into the area where the men were left. Their screams echo as they're torn apart by the horde. Nearby, gunshots ring out through the air. Inside a building, soldiers are firing non-stop at an oncoming wave of mutant creatures, mowing down several green-blooded rats. One of the men asks Officer Xiao Yi why she acted so strangely after coming back. She says it's nothing, the rats were just too disgusting. Then she asks if Sister Lee is okay. The girl beside her nods, saying she's fine but worried about her husband. The squad captain tells her not to worry, her husband's in a safe zone. Then he asks Xiao Yi why she told the commander she wanted to leave. Xiao Yi hesitates, thinking of the protagonist before answering. But before she can speak, one of the soldiers shouts for everyone to look. The gunfires attracted something big. It rushed to the window, and outside, a zombie ape is approaching fast, its eyes burning with malice. The zombie ape charges at the building at full speed. The soldiers open fire, desperate to stop it, but the bullets do nothing. The captain yells for Officer Xiao Yi to help him. But one of the girls shouts that rats are coming from behind and starts shooting. A swarm of mutant rats burst through the walls, ready to attack. The soldiers fire back, trying to hold them off, but suddenly, a zombie leaps through the window, tackling the captain from behind. Xiao Yi pushes him out of the way, saving him from the strike, but the zombie's claw slashes her arm. The captain shouts her name in panic. Furious, he shoots the zombie in the head, avenging his comrade. He turns to her, asking why she did that. She tells him not to worry, she won't be infected. But the captain, angry and terrified, yells that just because she says she's fine doesn't mean she is. Another girl grabs a knife, telling Xiao Yi to cut off her hand before it's too late. But she insists she's okay, and the captain orders the others to hold her down. She yanks her arm back with force, saying she took the evolution medicine. The captain frowns, confused, and asks what that medicine even is. The officer tells everyone to look closely. Her arm is already completely healed. With a single punch, she smashes through the wall, radiating strength and vitality. She explains that she's now an evolved human, and there's no need to worry about her. Then she grabs her gun, telling everyone to stay focused, the monster is getting closer. From the window, she spots the zombie ape. The captain yells for her to be careful. Normal bullets don't affect the creature, but she keeps firing with unshaken resolve. One shot lands square in the zombie ape's eye, making it roar in pain. It turns toward the window, furious. Officer Xiao Yi realizes that must have been the special bullet the protagonist gave her. Enraged, the monster grabs a nearby car and hurls it toward the group with immense force. Xiao Yi shouts for everyone to get down. She dives to the floor as the car crashes through the wall right above her. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the protagonist asks Liang Chu Yin where she's at. She replies that she ran into a bunch of idiots who stopped her. He asks if she can handle them. She says she can, will just take some time. He tells her to be careful and meet up with the professor if things get dangerous. He looks up and sees cars flying through the air. From the zombie ape's screams, he can tell it's injured. Still sore from the fight with the goat, he thinks how useful it'd be to have a healer or a pharmacist in the team. In the apocalypse, countless survivors die simply because there's no medical help. It finally reaches the road that connects to the Pearl Lake Highway. Meanwhile, Liang Chu Yin's been cornered by a group of men. Their leader warns her it's dangerous to move forward alone and that she should stick with them. But the girl grips her whip, ready to fight. The man remembers that Leader Yi gave him a few weapons and some medicine, and that Yi had also taken his card, the one he got from the wheel, which was supposed to be valuable. He thinks Yi just wants to use him as cannon fodder, someone disposable, but this girl's different. She's a strong, evolved fighter, armed with something unusual, and she's communicating with someone over the radio. That means she's part of a team, not a leader, even if she's powerful. The man says that since she doesn't want to stay, she should at least explain how she evolved and where she got that whip. Liang Chu-yin answers that she used to live a miserable, exhausting life, but when the world changed, she never felt as calm and free as she does now. The man stares at her, confused by her words. She goes on, saying she was lucky to meet someone who taught her how to survive and become stronger. And now that this person needs her help, they're standing in her way. Anger flares in her eyes as she yells at them to get out of her sight, or they'll all die right here. Meanwhile, over at the candy shop, the protagonist hides in the shadows watching. Leader Yi stands on top of a tank surrounded by his men, while a swarm of war ants bursts out from the portal. The captain gives the order to open fire. Tanks roar, unleashing shells that tear through the insects. The explosions hit directly, and the soldiers cheer, thinking their attack worked. But the protagonist shakes his head, thinking how foolish they are to believe it would be that easy. The ants spit streams of green acid at the troops, melting their weapons and armor in seconds. The protagonist wonders if he should step in and help, but Leader Yi looks completely unfazed by his soldiers' suffering. That makes the boy smirk. He decides it's time to move. He dashes forward, passing right by Leader Yi, who doesn't even acknowledge him. The protagonist gives a faint grin of his own. As he runs, he realizes there's nowhere else to go in that direction. He wonders where the candy shop and the treasure monster are hiding. Then he spots a cluster of ants surrounding a small shack. It looks like the monster managed to blow the horn twice, something that shocks the protagonist, making him wonder what's coming next. From the portal, a new threat emerges. He can feel that something terrifying is on its way. A massive foot wrapped in chains steps through the gate, followed by an enormous four-armed body bound in the same restraints. A single glowing horn on its head pulses with blinding light. The creature is a massive, muscular monster wrapped in heavy chains. The protagonist recognizes it instantly, the chained prisoner, one of the strongest monsters of them all. A glowing green crystal shines on its forehead, proof that it's a rank 4 evolved beast. He knows that in just a year, this monster will become one of the first to reach rank 9. In his previous life, the prisoner was unstoppable. It destroyed more than 10 survivor bases. It wasn't until humanity produced its own 9-star hunters that 3 of them joined forces to bring it down. That was the same battle where Mook Sin Fai earned her title, the Rose of Massacre. The protagonist knows that, even though he's only a 1-star hunter, the evolution medicine has made him far stronger than most. With his profession and his knowledge, he can handle rank 2 monsters. But going up against a rank 4 is suicide. So he focuses on killing the ants and decides to forget about the chained prisoner for now. He removes the energy cores from the ants' heads and stuffs a few of their parts into his backpack. What matters most right now is capturing the treasure monster. With a strong kick, he bursts through the door of the candy shop. Inside, several soldiers lie dead on the floor. He grabs his radio and reports to the professor that he's reached the candy shop, but the monster isn't there. No response. None of his teammates answer, and worry creeps over him. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire echoes from the back door. He looks over. CEO Lee and his men are there, firing their weapons. Through the radio, Lai calls for reinforcements, shouting that the golden pouch monster threw a vial of evolution medicine at them. The soldiers open fire on the creature, which is riding atop a giant ant. One of their bullets hits it, and CEO Lai yells for his men to chase the wounded beast. The protagonist sprints toward the back to intercept it. As soon as he gets there, the soldiers raise their rifles and demand he stop, asking who he is. He doesn't have time for this. He punches one guard, grabs his dagger, and slashes another soldier's weapon clean in half. CEO Lai points his gun at him, but the protagonist drives an elbow straight into his chest before he can pull the trigger. He disarms Lai and catches the pistol midair. A quick glance tells him it's a military-grade sidearm. With the weapon in hand, he bolts out of the shop. He thinks to himself that he needs to get that pouch before anyone else finds out the monster's hurt. Behind him, CEO Lai groans, coughing up blood as he picks up his radio. He calls Leader Yi, reporting that the treasure monster is here, and if he doesn't come fast, someone else will take it. Then Lai stumbles out of the candy shop, scanning the streets. He wonders where the creature ran off to. That's when the protagonist hears a strange sound. Following it, he finally spots the golden pouch monster collapsed among the rubble, still eating. He rushes toward it, and as he gets closer, he's shocked by how fast the creature's wounds are healing. The monster looks up, confused by his sudden approach. When it recognizes him, it points and lets out a furious cry. In an instant, the giant ant beside it lunges at the boy. He quickly realizes it's a general ant, a rank 2 variant. Normally, ants are rank 1, but sometimes, rare ones like this evolve to higher ranks. The ant spits a jet of acid in his direction, forcing him to dodge. He barely avoids the burning spray, thinking how unexpectedly the thing attacks, and the ant spreads its wings and starts to fly. Dagger in hand, the protagonist mutters, "Who said you could fly?" and readies his strike. With one clean swing, he slices through its wings, sending the creature crashing to the ground. It's nearly defeated. He jumps onto its back and drives his dagger straight into its head. He twists the blade to make sure the strike is fatal. Then, with one smooth motion, he pulls the dagger free and extracts the crystal inside. With the ant down, he turns his attention to the treasure monster. The creature freezes, stunned at seeing its mount slain. It glances around desperately, searching for a way to escape. But the protagonist already knows what to do. All he has to do now is take its head and claim the pouch. The monster fumbles inside its bag and throws something toward him. The protagonist catches it, a rolled-up scroll. Unfolding it, he realizes it's a summoning spell scroll. He gets excited when he realizes it's a summoning-type skill scroll. With a grin, he says it's a good item and crushes it in his hand. Panicking, the monster throws another scroll at him, but the protagonist easily catches it midair. To his surprise, it's a profession-level upgrade scroll. With a dark look in his eyes, he says he wants more items or he'll finish the creature off right here. Terrified, the monster throws more things toward him, begging for mercy. He picks up a 1-star evolution potion, unimpressed. But then he notices another item, a profession certificate. When he opens it, he's shocked to discover his new profession, gardener. Back at the battlefield, Officer Xiao Yi fires at the monster. One of the soldiers asks what kind of weapon she's using. It's actually wounding the creature. She thinks to herself that this is kind of fun. The captain asks if that's why she wanted to leave earlier. She reflects that the rewards she's gotten are far more than she deserves, and that some things in this world are beyond imagination. The monster charges toward them. She shouts that she'll explain everything later if they make it out alive. Her gun fires again, the round slamming straight into the zombie ape's leg. The monster snarls, glaring down at the injury. Drool drips from its mouth as it locks eyes with her in pure rage. Seeing its knee is damaged, the soldiers keep shooting, realizing it can't move as fast anymore. Then, a man in a suit approaches Xiao Yi, demanding to know who fired and ordering her to follow him. He says General Liu has invited her to join his unit. Xiao Yi ignores him and yells for everyone to aim for the monster's right knee instead. The soldiers rush to follow her command. The man repeats himself, saying it was an order and waiting for her response. She raises her gun. He walks closer, eyeing the weapon and pointing out how different it looks from the others. She shoves him away with a single strike. He demands to know what she's doing and asks if her weapon is even legal. But with a furious glare, she tells him she's trying to keep everyone alive and orders him to back off. She warns that if he keeps interfering, she'll kill him where he stands. She says she's staying here, she's not joining General Liu's group. The man snaps that she's disobeying a direct order and will face disciplinary action. Xiao Yi fires a shot at the wall right beside his head. Gun still in hand, her message is clear, she's not bluffing. Everyone around her freezes in shock. The man's face twists with anger as he shouts, demanding how she dares to shoot at him. But Xiao Yi screams right back, telling him to get lost or she'll blow his head off next. Terrified, the man stumbles away. The captain, worried, says she was reckless and asks what's going to happen to her after this. But calm and smiling, Xiao Yi says she doesn't care, she's not staying anyway. Nothing ties her here anymore. Captain Cheng Zi is stunned, asking how she can say that so casually. Then Xiao Yi turns to him and asks if he even knows why they're fighting or what they're fighting for. Outraged, Cheng Zi asks what kind of conversation she had with the commander. She reveals that she overheard their communications. They're nothing but cannon fodder for Yi's group. She explains that all they're doing is sacrificing their lives so the commander and his family can get their hands on the evolution medicine. One of the soldiers asks if what she's saying is true. Xiao Yi answers that if they survive, they'll only live long enough to see the commander's family become the awakened ones. Meanwhile, the protagonist is still stunned by what he just obtained as second profession. The gardener class comes with 2 skills, cultivate and activate. He explains that cultivate allows him to nurture a plant from seed, while activate lets him control it in various ways. In his previous life, he once saw a massive evolved sycamore known as the Heaven Tree, but he was too afraid to get close. Now he's thrilled by the idea that even growing ordinary vegetables could be an incredible advantage in the apocalypse. Then he yells at the treasure monster again, demanding more items and threatening to kill it. The monster trembles in panic. With a confident smile, the protagonist braces himself, and suddenly, the creature throws something straight at him in a last-ditch attempt to strike back. Zhang Ming tries to block the attack with his hand. Suddenly, he's taken aback by the sheer power behind it. He twists his body, dodging just in time, and a massive explosion erupts from the impact. Panting, the protagonist realizes that, as expected, the creature tried to kill him. From the smoke, a green, elemental being emerges. He narrows his eyes, wondering what kind of monster this is. Then he notices there's no core inside it, only a glowing green body dripping with a corrosive acid. The elemental lunges toward him. Zhang Ming decides not to attack yet, knowing he doesn't have enough information about it. The treasure monster laughs mockingly as Zhang Ming retreats, chased by the coreless green elemental. But the protagonist smirks, saying he still has a trump card left to play. He decides to test out the summoning scroll he just obtained. After crushing the scroll in his hand, he plunges his dagger into the water. The surface boils violently, and a water elemental rises beside him. The summoned creature blasts a stream of water straight at the green elemental. The hit sends it reeling back, roaring in pain. The 2 elementals clash head-on, colliding with tremendous force. Zhang Ming knows the summoning won't last long, only a minute at best. He has to finish this quickly. Meanwhile, the treasure monster panics as it sees the boy charging toward it. It spins around to flee, but freezes when it spots CEO Li and his men blocking the path. Lai shouts that whatever belongs to him stays his, then orders his men to kill them both. Zhang Ming ducks behind a pillar as bullets start tearing through the air. He curses under his breath, thinking he wasted too much time and let those idiots catch up. With gunfire all around, he knows he has no choice but to risk it all. He dives into the open, sprinting through the chaos. Soldiers scream as stray shots hit them. The protagonist rushes toward the treasure monster, and with a quick motion, he grabs it. A grin spreads across his face. He's finally got it. In his past life, treasure monster hunts were chaotic, bloody battles with a 60% chance of dying. He wonders if today he'll finally be the one who wins. Then, a sudden slash cuts through the air. He's forced to drop the creature, startled by the unseen attack. The strike lands on the treasure monster, instead slicing its hand clean off. Xiang Ming realizes that if he hadn't dodged, his own arm would have been gone. From the smoke, 3 awakened fighters appear, ordering him to back away. Like he stands his ground and snatches the pouch from the monster's hand. One of the awakened immediately lunges at him. He blocks the strike with his dagger, but another fighter, armed with a spear, charges in for a follow-up. Xiang Ming knows his injured arm puts him at a disadvantage. He can't take on 3 of them head-on. So he kicks the treasure monster's body away from the chaos. Everyone watches in shock at how strong his kick was. CEO Lai yells for Wang Ding to grab the treasure pouch. When the creature hits the ground, Wang Ding shows up with his men, grinning at the coincidence. One of them curses at Xiang Ming, telling the others to ignore the kid and go for the pouch first. Wang Ding says he'll handle the rest, ordering his squad to move in. They rush forward as the battlefield grows even more chaotic. Xiang Ming stays low, thinking the hunt's turned into a complete mess. He'll have to wait for the perfect moment to strike. The sun begins setting over the horizon. Elsewhere, Officer Xiao Yi and her captain take position. But the zombie ape uses his streetlight pole as his shield, blocking the bullets. Xiao Yi's shocked it's smart enough to use tactics. She pulls out the last special bullet the protagonist gave her, and suddenly something familiar catches her eye. Through the smoke and fire, she spots Professor Pooh running amid the chaos. Xiao Yi's heart skips a beat. If the professor's here, then the protagonist must be nearby too. Without hesitation, she jumps off the building. The captain shouts after her, asking if she's lost her mind. She lands safely and calls out for the professor. Moments later, Mo Yi embraces her, asking what she's doing there and where the others are. Then the ground begins to rumble. The professor's eyes widen in shock. From atop a nearby building, the chained prisoner appears, towering, terrifying, its massive body bound in heavy links. Every soldier goes silent, frozen in fear as they stare up at the monster. 2 of the soldiers nod at each other, silently agreeing. They say they'll go after Leader Mo and leap from the building without hesitation. Before the captain can say anything, Officer Xiao Yi tells him to let them go. He nods quietly, just as the sound of footsteps echoes closer. The man in the suit returns, furious, searching for Mo Yi to punish her for disobedience. The girl looks at him and asks if he still hasn't realized what kind of situation they're in. The captain yells that they need manpower, not punishments, and there's no time to waste. He declares that he'll bring Mo Yi back himself and jumps from the building too. The ponytailed girl and the man in the suit stare in disbelief. She feels a flash of envy at their courage, but she knows she's not like them. Meanwhile, the professor explains that the last time she saw the protagonist, he was heading straight toward the monster. Mo Yu wonders if he could really handle something like that. The professor insists they need to rescue Liang Chu-yin, who's in danger, but Mo Yu presses again, asking about the protagonist. So the professor explains that he won't provoke the big monster, at least not directly. Mo Yu nods, agreeing to help rescue Liang Chu-yin, and tells the professor to lead the way. Someone shouts from a distance, calling for Leader Mo to wait. Mo Yu turns, surprised to see soldiers approaching. They tell her they finally understand how chaotic the world has become and they'll follow her now. The captain remarks that the rules have changed and maybe they're right. With a faint smile, Mo Yi thinks that with soldiers this loyal, the man must be proud. She places a hand on the professor's shoulder and says their priority is to save their comrades first. One soldier asks who exactly they're going to save. Mo Yi grins at him and answers simply, "My idol." Elsewhere, Liang Chu-yin is still surrounded. She's out of breath, injured but still standing, whip in hand. She thinks to herself that killing people isn't as hard as she imagined. The men's leader shouts that she's not getting away this time. He orders his men to shoot her in the legs. He wants her alive. They open fire, but the girl cracks her whip, deflecting the bullets. With a swift strike, she lashes one of the men and pulls him in, using him as a human shield. Then someone calls her name from afar. The men hesitate, startled, and that's when the soldiers strike. They hit hard and fast, one of them landing a solid kick. The leader screams, demanding to know who they are. But before he can react, Officer Mo Yi appears and punches him square in the face, knocking his teeth out with one blow. From a distance, the protagonist watches the clash between the awakened fighters and the soldiers. He notices that the muscular man has a powerful, unique profession. Looking at another one, the man with the spear, it's clear he also has a profession. It seems they were lucky enough to find a 3-color wheel, which already makes them stronger than any level 1 evolved. The muscular man and one of the soldiers are locked in a fierce battle. The protagonist thinks it's not unusual for someone to gain a profession after evolving, as long as they have the courage to figure out how the wheel works. As the fight intensifies, he can tell the soldier is a 2-star evolved. He sighs, realizing he's only a 1-star himself, and without some luck, he might not have even gotten his own profession. The awakened fighters wonder aloud if the soldier spun a rank 2 wheel, while the soldier questions if he can survive against all 3 of them. The man with the spear charges forward, and the woman unleashes an energy skill. The soldier recognizes it immediately and dodges the energy blast, but the spear still grazes him, landing a hit that's painful but not lethal. The spearman's eyes widen because before he can react, the soldier counters with a powerful punch, sending him crashing back. The muscular man is stunned by the sight. Holding his spear, Wang Ding declares that the treasure is his and that the others came here just to die. He throws the spearhead toward the group. The muscular man shouts for the girl to dodge, but it's too late. The spear strikes her directly. Wang Ding sneers, ready to say that this worthless bunch doesn't deserve the pouch. But then something catches his eye and his expression twists in rage. Standing there, calm and confident, the protagonist appears, the treasure pouch clutched in his hand. He smirks slightly, thanking them for keeping the 3 awakened fighters busy. Seeing this, Wang Ding shouts for the boy to stop and come back. He starts sprinting after him, desperate to get the pouch back. As he runs, the protagonist wonders how he's supposed to escape now. He keeps moving, but then a thunderous crash makes him stop cold. He turns, worried, and suddenly, the chained prisoner appears, smashing through buildings like paper. Chunks of debris rain down from above, wiping out everything in their path. For some reason, though, the protagonist just smiles. Behind him, the soldier is still in pursuit, emerging from a thick cloud of dust. The man throws a punch, landing it square on the protagonist's face. Zhang Ming tries to counter with his dagger, but the attack fails. He bolts, clutching the treasure pouch tightly, disappearing back into the smoke. But that brief delay gives Wang Ding enough time to catch up. He thinks to himself that the kid's only a 1-star evolved, but even so, if he had dodged, that blow might really hurt. Then the soldier's body begins to change, a skull tattoo glowing on his chest. At that moment, the protagonist realizes how he became a 2-star evolved. He's a soul devourer of the Black Spirit. Meanwhile, chaos erupts among the military lines. Gunfire echoes everywhere, soldiers shoot non-stop. Zombies and giant ants charge forward from every direction. One soldier gets surrounded, another is cornered, and a spray of acid from an ant melts through armor in an instant. A desperate voice shouts that they can't hold out much longer. They're under attack from all 4 sides, 2 communication lines are already lost, and even General Liu can't stop the monster. He's preparing to retreat. Leader Yi issues an order. He commands everyone to push toward the left flank. The soldier warns that side is too dangerous, but Yi insists it's their only way out. He says as long as Wang Ding gets what they came for, any number of sacrifices will be worth it. The protagonist locks eyes with the soldier. He remembers hearing about something like this in his past life, a special black wheel card. Once activated, it lets the user devour a creature of the same rank to temporarily evolve to a higher level. If a 1-star evolved devours a rank 1 beast, he becomes a 2-star. If a 2-star devours a rank 2 beast, he becomes a 3-star. But the skill can only be used once, and those who use it are said to die within 10 years. The soldier orders him to drop the pouch and promises to let him go. Zhang Ming clenches his fist, thinking that facing a 2-star evolved has wounded his pride as a reborn survivor. He mutters that the soldier's presence was an unexpected obstacle that nearly ruined his entire plan, but he's not giving up now. The soldier narrows his eyes, wondering if the boy has some hidden trick or trap prepared. He tightens his grip, thinking that against true power, schemes and tactics mean nothing. Then the protagonist points off into the distance. The soldier turns his head and spots General Liu and his troops closing in. Zhang Ming points in the opposite direction, revealing the 3 awakened fighters nearby as well. He tells Wang Ding that in his previous life, he once admired him, but now he only feels disgust. The soldier argues that the military deserves respect for protecting its honor even at the end of the world. But Zhang Ming shouts back that they've already lost that honor, that their hearts are corrupted, driven only by greed. The soldier yells for him to shut up, but the protagonist grins with a cutting smirk, asking if he struck a nerve. Leader Yi's tanks and troops begin advancing. Zhang Ming glares at the soldier, saying they're the strongest power in the city, yet they've done nothing to help anyone. He calls out their hypocrisy. They kill zombies only to harvest their cores, not to save people. Soldiers are nothing but cannon fodder, used so the evolved can serve their masters. He looks over the ruined city, slams his foot into the ground, and takes off running. Weaving through the wreckage, he yells out a challenge, calling for Wang Ding and the corrupted spirit commander to come take the treasure themselves if they're strong enough. Then, out of nowhere, items start raining down from the sky. The soldier freezes, stunned by what's happening. Even Leader Yi and the awakened ones are caught off guard. One of the men gasps, amazed by how fast Yi is moving. Wang Ding lunges toward one of the glowing golden orbs, but a whip snaps through the air, stopping him cold. With a powerful tug, Liang Chu Yin reels the orb toward herself. Officer Xiao Yi and the others arrive moments later. Xiao Yi leaps, catching another orb midair. She kicks one across the ground toward Professor Pu, who braces herself and catches it. Then Mo Yi lands gracefully beside them, and for the first time, all the girls each hold one of the golden orbs in their hands. One of the soldiers notices there's still a single orb left on the ground, but Wang Ding sees him moving toward it. The soldier charges, ready to grab the orb, yet before he can, Wang Ding's strike sends him flying. The soldier crashes into another comrade, and the captain rushes to catch him before he hits the ground. When they ask if he's okay, the soldier groans that Wang Ding's strength is unbelievable. Wang Ding lunges for the orb, but a sudden gunshot forces him to roll away. The bullet slams into the ground where he stood, grazing his arm. The orb tumbles forward, landing between Leader Yi and Xiao Yi. Both reach out instinctively to grab it. The captain yells for Xiao Yi to stay back, but Leader Yi dashes forward anyway. Seeing his determination, Xiao Yi withdraws from the fight. Before Yi can touch the orb, however, the spearman strikes, and with one powerful blow, he knocks the leader off his feet. The awakened fighters cheer, claiming the orb as theirs. Meanwhile, the soldiers rush to their fallen commander. At the same time, the man in the suit gives a cold order to open fire. One of his subordinates hesitates, asking who they're supposed to shoot, and is slapped across the face before being told, "Everyone." Officer Xiao Yi is horrified by the sheer cruelty of that command. She remembers that Mo Yi and Cheng Zhe are still out there. She gets to her feet, and both men stare at her in disbelief. Then everyone's attention shifts to the chained prisoner looming in the distance. The monstrous figure's steps shake the ground as it approaches, and from afar, the protagonist watches it all with a faint, knowing smile. The chain titan glares down at the gathered groups, and as it steps closer, Zhang Ming draws his gun and fires. The bullet hits one of the chains wrapped around the monster's leg, but it barely leaves a mark. Leader Yi shouts, asking if the boy's lost his mind. The man in the suit assumes he's trying to lure the monster toward everyone, to drag them all down with him. Zhang Ming knows full well that with his current strength, he can't hurt the creature directly, but the chained prisoner offers greater rewards than the treasure monster ever could. Those locks binding its body are made of phantom gold, an incredibly rare and luxurious metal in the apocalypse, used to forge stronger weapons or grant special powers. He keeps firing, aiming for the same spot again and again. Finally, after one last shot, the chain snaps apart. The man in the suit shouts for his men to move in, but Leader Yi, standing high on a ridge, fires at one of them to keep them back. The man in the suit yells for his soldiers to shoot Yi instead. Meanwhile, the two women hiding nearby whisper anxiously. Mo Yi says to let them fight it out and wait for a chance to grab more treasure, but the professor worries about what the protagonist is doing and whether he'll survive. Zhang Ming faces the chained prisoner alone. The monster swings a massive wooden beam at him, but he dodges and leaps onto it, dagger in hand. He climbs up along the weapon, gripping the monster's chain tightly. Dangling there, he thinks to himself that he needs the phantom gold, but his only arm free for cutting is the one already injured. He swings his dagger at the chain. A small crack forms, proof it's working. The monster snarls in confusion, but Zhang Ming keeps hacking blow after blow. The creature thrashes, trying to shake him off. Pain shoots through his right arm, and he realizes just how tough the phantom gold really is. It could take forever to get even a small fragment. He wonders if he should give up after coming this far. Then another attack forces him to dodge again, and that's when he spots something. A small opening in the monster's weapon. He steadies himself, preparing for a finishing strike. Channeling his energy, he activates one of his new skills, Planting Root. He drags his power through the tip of his finger, and a tiny purple seed lodges itself inside the chain. In seconds, it sprouts, thick vines bursting outward, covered in sharp violet thorns. The protagonist grins. He did it. It's a carnivorous plant of ancient rank, a species usually found only in the desolate lands beyond civilization. Using the chain for leverage, he swings upward, then drops, gathering momentum for a clean strike. With a single precise slash, he cuts through the chain completely. The crowd watches, stunned, as the broken chain crashes down from the sky. A nearby soldier rushes in, ready to snatch the fallen item. He figures that whatever it is, it must be valuable. After all, the protagonist risked his life to claim it. Lang Shu-yin panics, realizing the item Zhang Ming risked his life for is about to be stolen. The protagonist shouts for his dog. In an instant, Yellow Pill leaps over the soldier, snatching the chain before the man can even react. All he can do is watch, stunned. Zhang Ming lands hard on the ground after jumping off the monster. Seeing this, Lang Shu-yin screams his name, terrified. The chained prisoner watches the scene unfold, furious. Energy gathers around its horn, glowing bright green. With a deafening roar, it releases a blast of energy beams in every direction. Lang Shu-yin calls out for the protagonist, but he shouts back for her to run to get out if she wants to live. His eyes flicker, his body trembling on the edge of collapse, and as he starts to black out, she screams his name again in despair. Desperate, she yells that he always acts like he wants people to hate him. Always distant, cold, and wonders why he has to be so arrogant just because he's a little stronger. Sometime later, inside a half-destroyed building, everyone is gathered together. The protagonist thinks that Lang Shu-yin and the others must finally be at ease now. He notices Mo Yi speaking with someone. That must be Xiao Lei, just like Professor Pugh had mentioned. His gaze shifts across the room. According to the professor, the man in the suit with them is the arrogant Yang Zhen. Yellow Pill barks at him. Zhang Ming pats the dog's head and asks where the item is. The dog shows the chain fragment clutched between its teeth. Zhang Ming takes the object, turning it in his hand. That's when the man in the suit says coldly that now that Zhang Ming's awake, they need to discuss payment. He asks if it's true that Wang Ding's group blocked their escape. The protagonist notices Mo Yi watching him carefully. She interrupts, saying Cheng Long sacrificed himself to help them get away. The man sneers, saying his men didn't retreat when they went out to search for food and water. They even fought against Ding Lao Yi. Lang Shu-yin snaps back, saying they might not have retreated, but they also didn't do anything brave or selfless. The man shouts for him to shut up, adding that the only reason she's still alive is because of Mo Yi. Anger flashes in her eyes as she raises her whip, but the protagonist steps forward and stops her. The man says that since they saved Zhongming, it's only fair they take a few things as compensation. Zhongming nods slightly, then calmly replies that they can negotiate. He suggests they offer the items from Pearl Lake as payment for being rescued. He asks where the items are. Mo Yi explains they managed to secure 3 treasures in total. When he's handed a scroll and a crystal, Zhongming asks about the missing one. She stays silent. Then the captain shows the third a card. Zhongming tells them to check the first 2. One is an alchemist's recipe, a potion that increases stamina and the user's alchemy level. The other is a spatial crystal, a rare high-level item that can store other objects. He passes the items to Professor Pooh, thinking it's best for her to keep them. The crystal is perfect for storing other crystals quietly without drawing attention. And he asks about the card, and the captain explains it's the summoning card. Mo Yi says the captain is her teacher, and that she entrusted the items to him, though clearly he doesn't want to hand over the card. Zhongming says bluntly that those items aren't something they can just give away. The man in the suit glares, accusing him of trying to cheat them, and his men raise their weapons. Zhongming answers that he's grateful they helped him, but those treasures were obtained before that happened. He asks if they'd be willing to trade for something else instead. The man smirks and tells him to show what he has to offer. Zhongming signals for Chu Yin to bring his bag. He offers a potion of immunity, explaining it prevents infection. The man says it's good but not enough. Then Zhongming pulls out a 1-star evolution potion. The man's eyes glint with greed, but he still says it's not enough either. Zhongming's expression darkens, his voice cold as he asks, "Not enough, you say?" Liang Chu Yin explodes with anger, yelling at the man to stop being so shameless. She reminds everyone that just yesterday they saw people die fighting over a single evolution potion. Mo Yi adds that they risk their lives to obtain those potions. But the man in the suit laughs, saying their lives aren't worth nearly that much. So the protagonist calmly takes out something else, a rank 2 crocodile turtle egg. He explains that while it won't evolve the user, it will greatly strengthen the body, a treasure for anyone desperate to survive the apocalypse. The man asks if the item works on evolved humans. The protagonist nods, saying it does, though its effect weakens for those at 2 stars or higher. The man smirks, saying he wants the item, but it's still not enough. He pulls a gun from his coat, saying he knows the kid's strong and living well surrounded by women. Since Zhongming managed to anger Wang Ding and make him fail, that makes him even more valuable. Pointing the gun straight at him, the man asks if he really thinks he can just recover and get everything back that easily. Zhongming calmly says he can take the card. Everyone goes silent. Even the captain raises his gun, threatening to use the card if needed. The man laughs softly, saying not to worry, he's not that stupid. He points his gun again and demands the black metal and everything in the bag or he'll shoot. Zhongming sighs and says he's finally showing his true colors. He explains that from the start, the man wanted everything but hesitated because he didn't know what kind of power they had. Now that he's seen Zhongming weak and noticed that Officer Cheng switched sides, his fear disappeared. Maybe he thought the 3 evolved women weren't ruthless enough to fight back, giving him false confidence. But his greed got the best of him. He wanted it all. Zhongming points at him and says he's right about one thing. The apocalypse rewards greed, but only if you have the strength to back it up. The man freezes in shock. Before he can react, a gunshot rings out. He's hit one of the girls fired from behind. He screams, ordering his soldiers to shoot her down. But the yellow pill lunges at them, tearing through the line of soldiers. Zhongming stands and declares the fight over. He tells them to hand him the card. He thinks to himself that in his past life he would have killed everyone who crossed him without hesitation. But this time he wants to live differently to build something new. Sometime later, 2 officers stand by a shattered window. Zhongming tells Mo Yi the injured man couldn't have gone far. He tells her to bring him some meat and an immunity potion. He considers how easy it would be to kill Cheng Zhe, but doing so would only push Mo Yi away. He reasons that even if the soldier made mistakes, he's still her teacher, and this food and medicine might help him survive. Mo Yi thanks him softly, eyes glistening. She calls for Xiao Hu, and the 2 of them leave. Another woman nearby mutters that he's fake, always pushing people away. Zhongming tosses her a potion and asks why she keeps acting like that and asking pointless questions. She scoffs, asking if it's supposed to make up for killing her comrade, but he shakes his head, saying it's advance payment. He keeps his promises when he's recovered. He'll personally escort her to find her husband. Sitting on a bed, the protagonist studies the items he's gathered. Even with the losses, he thinks it was worth it. He holds a golden card, a summoning card of the Hellhound Cerberus. He carefully stores it inside the spatial crystal. He mutters that the most valuable item he found was the crystal itself. With a single touch, it absorbs everything into its glowing core. He tucks away the rest in his backpack and freezes when he finds a piece of cloth. It looks just like the golden pouch. He remembers tearing that pouch apart to make everyone fight over the treasures, buying himself time to cut a piece of the chain. But this fabric is whole soft and smooth to the touch, not silk, not leather, unlike anything he's ever seen. He draws his dagger and tests it. To his surprise, the blade can't cut through. He tries again and watches as the slice closes itself, the fabric healing completely. He stares amazed. The cloth repaired itself. He tosses it over the crocodile turtle egg, wondering what it really is. A faint light spreads across the fabric and his eyes widen. When he lifts it, the egg's life force is completely gone. The cloth absorbed it. That's when he realizes the fabric restores itself by feeding on life energy. That's how the treasure monster healed so quickly. But he still doesn't know how to control or use it. Sighing, he seals the cloth away inside the crystal. Finally, he picks up a bluish orb, saying this is the only treasure he found that can actually boost his combat ability. He eats it, swallows it whole. A surge of powerful energy bursts through his body, making him take a deep breath as it spreads. He's surprised his wounded arm doesn't hurt anymore. He jumps out of bed, thrilled to realize every single wound has healed. His body and strength have multiplied nearly ninefold. He's far stronger than any ordinary human now. He can also feel his spiritual power has grown immensely. With that, he can summon the water elemental with far greater strength and duration. His mental and spiritual energy are sharper too, letting him use his craftsman's skill on the ghost gold. He begins extracting the metal, making it dissolve into smaller fragments. Gathering them, he condenses the pieces into a crystal 110-gram bars of ghost gold. Curious, he decides to test the effect. Holding his new dagger, Zhang Ming prepares for his next project. He walks toward an old car, thinking about melting it down for parts. As he focuses, his craftsman ability activates, releasing a surge of power. Completely absorbed, he begins forging a new weapon. Under his control, the metal melts like butter. Inside the liquefied steel are 10 grams of ghost gold, rank 2 crystals, and crocodile turtle claws. A bright blue light flashes across the workshop as the blade takes form. Moments later, a brand new mashite gleams in his hands, fresh from the forge. This one carries a skill of its own, a strike that extends a third of its length beyond the blade. He grins, realizing his old weapon was already strong, but the ghost gold granted a real combat skill. Testing it, he discovers it's a sword/a masterclass close combat technique. It's the kind of move that only advanced professions can use, something most survivors can't even dream of. Above that exists the master and specialist ranks called semi-divine tiers. With this beauty, he feels confident enough to take on even the chained prisoner. But he forces himself to calm down. He's still just an apprentice craftsman without proper materials, so wasting more ghost gold would be foolish. Determined to grow stronger, he resolves to gather more supplies and resources. Back at the hideout, the girls are gathered in the living room, one soldier sitting at the table. When Zhang Ming walks in, a guy with a strange haircut notices him. Xiaohu perks up and asks to see the new blade he made. With a smirk, Zhang Ming says he'll show it, but first he wants to see if the guy can handle a hit. The soldier laughs, stating not to blame him if he ends up beating someone who's still injured. He steps forward ready to strike. He throws an elbow toward Zhang Ming, but Zhang Ming slips aside effortlessly, leaving the man stunned. Before he even realizes it, the mashite's edge is already resting against his neck. Sweating, the soldier protests that it's unfair their strength and speed aren't on the same level. Zhang Ming tells him there's no fairness left in this world. The strong set the rules. Even if he evolves, he'll never be a match for him. The soldier refuses to believe that, so Zhang Ming says he'll only have a chance once he's ready to fight to kill. Then he turns to Mo Yi and asks for the map. Once she brings it, he points to their current position, then to where they're headed next. Mo Yi frowns when she realizes it's not where her husband works, thinking he's breaking his promise. Lang Shuyin points out that it's too far, but Zhang Ming explains they can't take a car or they'll attract zombies. He marks 2 other zones on the map, warning that both will be difficult to cross. Mo Yi questions why a hospital, especially one meant for recovering patients. He answers that hospitals in the apocalypse are always dangerous places, and they need to check it out. He has a reason, but not enough proof yet to tell them. Motivated, Liang Chu-yin says he's proven himself right too many times already, they should trust his judgment. With the route marked and planned, Zhang Ming starts preparing for the journey. One of the girls groans that the detour will double their travel time over 15 hours now. The protagonist explains that he agreed to take her to her husband, but he won't risk the lives of his teammates just to make that happen. That makes her realize the detour is meant to increase their chances of reaching safety. Mo Yi asks if they're leaving right now, but he shakes his head, saying not yet, they still have something to settle. They need revenge for what happened. Meanwhile, at the X-Family Hotel, a man with a spear bangs on a door, calling for Brother Deng. Inside, Deng is wrapping the red-haired girl's arm with a bandage. A gray-haired guy steps in holding a bag full of 35 crystals he managed to collect. Smoking a cigarette, Deng asks how many they have in total. The man with the spear says around 300, and the muscular one complains that last time they wasted 260. The gray-haired man sighs, saying he didn't know the cost increased with every spin. The girl replies there's no point arguing, they were lucky enough to even find that wheel. The gray-haired man praises her luck, reminding everyone she got 3 evolution potions and a skill scroll in just 5 spins. With a strange look, Deng agrees yeah, she's really lucky. Suddenly, glass shatters. The protagonist's dagger smashes through the window, echoing loudly across the room. Zhang Ming appears, holding the red-haired girl by the neck with a blade pressed against her throat. Deng freezes when he recognizes him. With a confident grin, Zhang Ming confirms it's him. At that same moment, Mo Yi and the others burst into the room, shouting for everyone to surrender. With a smirk, Xiaohu reminds them that just a few days ago they were trying to kill his group, daring them to try again. The protagonist thinks to himself that sneak attacks like this only work at the very beginning of the apocalypse. The hostage girl yells that he can kill her if he wants, but they'll never surrender. Zhang Ming calmly says he doesn't need to go that far to end them. He adds that if they answer one question, maybe he'll let them live. Deng tells him to ask. With a cold stare, Zhang Ming demands to know the location of the colored wheel. Deng stays silent. Zhang Ming's patience fades. He presses the knife deeper, drawing a thin line of blood from the girl's neck. Panicking, Deng blurts it out. The wheel is located at Long Run Family Garden, building in 83, room 1107, and even offers to guide them there. Deng realizes that if he hadn't spoken, Zhang Ming really would have killed the girl. Sometime later, they reach the Long Run complex where the wheel is supposed to be. The group moves carefully through the courtyard, ready for whatever's coming. Apparently, one of the soldiers got to carry Zhang Ming's spare dagger and he won't shut up about it. He boasts that it's not just any dagger, it's the incomparable dagger that slices zombies like vegetables. Zhang Ming tells him to shut it and keep quiet unless he wants to draw attention. Xiao Hu notices the dagger looks just like the one Zhang Ming wields and asks if it's coincidence. Zhang Ming answers that he forged both himself, it's part of his profession. That makes Xiao Hu light up with excitement. He asks when he'll get a profession too. Zhang Ming says there's no need to keep asking, he'll assign them fairly soon enough to those who stay strong and travel with him. Xiao Hu pauses for a second, thinking about it, then says he'll listen to Leader Mo. Zhang Ming smirks, thinking the reaction is normal. If the guy had sworn loyalty just for power, he'd have tossed him aside. They stop outside apartment 1107 and get ready to breach. One of the soldiers kicks the door open, charging in with his weapon drawn. Inside, they find the colored wheel exactly where Deng said it would be. Zhang Ming steps closer, examining it carefully. He realizes he'll need to stay here for a while to work on it. Meanwhile, on a deserted street, a few zombies wander aimlessly. Suddenly, a cell phone line on a crate starts ringing. The sound draws the zombies closer, curious and hungry. Then boom. A massive explosion wipes out every zombie in the area. With the zone cleared, Zhang Ming grins and says it's his partner's turn. A thick curtain of smoke rolls through the street. One of the soldiers asks when he even learned to use bombs or detonate them remotely. Zhang Ming just tells him to shut up. With a grin, the soldier nods and charges toward the remaining zombies. Zhang Ming watches as his comrade slices through the undead effortlessly with his new dagger, carving them down one after another. Apparently, Liang Chu Yin's side is done too. They probably gathered around 200 crystals. Zhang Ming tells Xiao Hu to go help her while he checks a few other places himself. He remembers that the colored wheel requires more crystals with each spin, and they already failed with 200. By his estimate, they'll need around 850 to succeed next time. There's no time to slowly farm crystals, so he decides to hunt rank 2 ones instead. That's why he heads to a supermarket, the kind of place where zombies have devoured plenty of humans and evolved faster. The odds of finding mutant rank 2 zombies are much higher there. Inside the supermarket, a zombie suddenly lunges from the shadows. With a swift strike, Zhang Ming cuts it down, then keeps moving deeper into the building. After clearing the first floor, he realizes the mutant zombie isn't here. As he moves between the aisles, something sticky drips onto his shoulder. When he looks up, he freezes. Above him, a massive mutant spider crouches in its web. He tightens his grip on his dagger, ready for battle. The spider shoots a stream of webbing straight at him. With no room to dodge, he decides it's time to test his new weapon. One sharp swing and a blade slices through the web like paper. The spider recoils, shocked that its silk was torn so easily. Zhang Ming doesn't give it a second chance. He rushes forward and delivers a crushing blow. The monster screeches as its body splits apart, crashing to the ground in 2 halves. Zhang Ming pries the crystal from its head and breaking off its legs afterward. Holding the crystal in his hand, he smiles. The fight was worth it. But then something slashes at him from behind. He reacts instantly, twisting aside just in time to avoid the attack. When he turns, his eyes widen. Standing there is a female evolved zombie named Yu Po, and beside her a sleek, sinister black cat. That name alone brings back memories from his past life. Back then, Yu Po was infamous, leaving nothing but trails of blood wherever she went. People whispered that she lured men in, then killed and devoured them without mercy. Eventually, the rumors turned out to be true. She had become a special evolved zombie. She possessed a terrifying ability called Seed of the Essence God, allowing her to control and evolve other mutant beasts. Zhang Ming can't believe it, 2 rank 2 monsters in one place. Yu Po stares him down, her gaze sharp and hostile as she strokes her pet's fur. He remembers her fate clearly. In his previous life, Yu Po reached rank 9, riding a snow serpent through the wastelands, her face almost human, her movements graceful. She was one of the rare monsters who could speak the human language. Over time, she stopped killing and even began trading with survivors. Some believe she regained her memories and chosen to live among humans again. But before reaching rank 9, she was the most ruthless creature of all. Suddenly, the cat leaps from her arms. It starts tearing into the spider's corpse like it's nothing. Zhang Ming realizes they're ignoring him completely, more interested in absorbing the spider's remaining life energy. That arrogance makes his blood boil. He mutters that this apocalypse isn't the same one he lived through before, and he's not the same person either. In an instant, he charges forward and unleashes his extended slash technique. The sudden strike catches Yu Po off guard. Even the cat barely dodges, but not completely. As it leaps back into her arms, one of Zhang Ming's follow-up attacks grazes its side. Yu-Po immediately channels her own energy into the cat, healing its wounds. Zhang narrows his eyes. He realizes her talent ability is energy transfer, a power that can share her life force to heal or strengthen others. At higher levels, it can even transfer life itself, something only rank 9 zombies possess. But Yu-Po in front of him is only rank 2, which means if she manages to heal that cat, things are about to get very dangerous. With a powerful strike, he charges straight at her. But Yu-Po leaps aside and vanishes in a flash. A worried look crosses Zhang Ming's face. She's fast too fast. If he doesn't chase her now, he might never catch up. But he's wounded, surrounded by zombies and bleeding badly. The smell alone will draw more. He clenches his jaw, then makes the call. With one swift jump, he smashes through a window and escapes the supermarket. Still, something gnaws at him. This isn't over, she won't disappear that easily. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes from above. Flocks of black birds burst through windows all around him, swarming through the air. They dive toward him in a chaotic wave, but with a sweeping sword slash, he cuts them down mid-flight. Then he notices these birds aren't the real threat. From a drain behind him, a flood of mutant rats pours out. With one clean swing, he slices through the first wave. Now he understands Yu-Po can only control one pet at a time, but she can communicate with other creatures. He smirks. So she's giving orders, huh? That's not going to be enough to kill me. He launches another slash, cutting down the rats charging at him. But a few manage to cling to his arms, sinking their teeth into his flesh. He spins violently, unleashing a wide arc strike that sends the vermin flying. In seconds, the ground is littered with dead rats. He steadies his breathing, ready for another round, only to see the remaining ones scatter and flee. Lifting his dagger, he points it toward Yu-Po, who's watching him from the rooftop. She stays silent, those glowing red eyes fixed on him. Then wordlessly, she turns her back and walks away as if none of this mattered. Her crimson gaze lingers for a moment, cold, distant, terrifying. Zhang Ming glares up at her. Next time we meet, you're finished. Back at the hideout, a few captured prisoners lie on the floor while the girls stand watch. Moments later, Zhang Ming bursts into the room covered in cuts, breathing heavily. Teacher Pu gasps the second she sees the blood. He waves her off, asking for alcohol and gauze. While Liang Chu Yin tends to his wounds, he asks where Mo Yi and Shou Hu went. They went out looking for supplies, she says, startled by how badly hurt he is. One of the women steps forward, offering to help. She inspects the wounds, wondering what kind of monster he fought to end up like this. Zhang Ming tells her to hurry. The smell of blood's gonna bring zombies. The woman blushes faintly, but moves faster. From the corner, one of the prisoners sneers. What happened? Something bite you? Shame you didn't die out there. Before Zhang Ming can respond, Mo Yi and Shou Hu walk in carrying bags of food. He tells them to eat first, then heads toward the colored wheel. He drops the crystals he collected onto it. The wheel begins to spin, humming with bright energy. His eyes widen, the required crystal count has increased again. Everyone gathers around, waiting anxiously to see what comes out this time. The wheel slows, then stops on a shining emblem. A profession book materializes in midair. Zhang Ming's gaze sharpens as he reaches for it. When he reads the cover, even he's caught off guard. Apostle of Light. He explains that it's a support-type profession, something between a healer and a light mage. The others crowd closer to see. They're stunned this profession can heal, protect, and support in combat. But it comes with one rule. Whoever accepts it can't have any other profession. Smiling, he asks, so, who wants it? Shou Hu shoots his hand up immediately, full of excitement. The girls all glare at him, and he freezes awkwardly. Quietly, he lowers his hand, realizing he's not even an evolver, and it'd be a waste. Zhang Ming turns to Mo Yi. You sure you don't want it? It's one of a kind. She shakes her head. No, I don't want just one profession. She wants to be like him, someone capable of mastering multiple paths. Liang Chu Yin refuses to, saying it doesn't fit her personality. Everyone turns to look at Teacher Pu. The attention makes Liang Chu Yin snap. Stop overthinking it, teacher. That job suits you. Pu hesitates for a moment, her expression mixed with doubt and resolve. Then, with a deep breath and steady eyes, she says firmly, I'll take it. The protagonist says he'll give her the profession and asks if she understands what it means for the group. Liang Chu Yin hands the scroll to Pu. With a faint smile, she says the man who once threatened her isn't as bad as he looks. Maybe he's worth following after all. Teacher Pu takes the scroll, and a radiant blue light envelops her body. A surge of energy transforms her into the new Apostle of Light. Her eyes glow with a newfound power. She immediately tests her healing skill on the protagonist. A soft blue light surrounds him, and every wound closes in an instant. Excited, he asks how many times she can use that ability. She replies 8 or 9. He's stunned by how powerful the base skill already is. But then Pu reveals she has another ability, something that surprises him even more, considering she's just an apprentice. She explains the levels of her profession, from apprentice all the way up to Goddess of Light. The realization leaves him speechless. The Apostle of Light is far stronger than he imagined. Pu demonstrates her second ability, Diamond Spatial Shield. He asks if the shield only works on herself. She explains it can also protect others and even auto-activates to absorb damage. The other girls gather around, amazed, reaching out to touch the shimmering barrier. Zhang Ming glances at the wheel, only the black and yellow slots remain. He tosses a rank 2 crystal in and spins it again, eager to see Pu grow even stronger. The prisoners watch in silence as the wheel hums with power. Dang can hardly believe his eyes. Zhang Ming really killed 4 rank 2 zombies on his own. The wheel slows, then stops on a new symbol. Another reward appears, a profession scroll. This time they receive Wind Dancer. Zhang Ming throws the scroll to Liang Chuyin. This one's yours. She stares in shock. It's a rare profession, one that can only be learned by evolvers who wield whips. As an apprentice, she'll gain the ability to strike in 4 directions mid-air, but it requires dance fundamentals to master the moves. Movi congratulates her, but admits she's never been good at dancing. Pooh smiles, saying the profession suits Liang Chuyin perfectly since she already uses a whip. Holding the scroll, Liang Chuyin accepts the new path. Xiao Hu, full of energy, begs Zhang Ming to spin the wheel again. But Zhang Ming shakes his head. No more crystals? We're stopping here. Frustrated, Xiao Hu demands to know why they're giving up so easily. Mo Yi snaps at him to stop whining. He lowers his head, sulking, while one of the other girls just looks lost. Zhang Ming breaks the tension, ordering everyone to get ready to move out. But Dang suddenly drops to his knees, begging not to be killed. He swears on his parents' lives that he has useful information, something valuable for the group. He claims to know a place where Zhang Ming can find his swordsman profession. Zhang Ming narrows his eyes, then talk. Dang explains that a nearby supermarket has a group with a profession certificate, and they're willing to trade it for an evolution medicine. Hearing that, the team heads toward the supermarket to investigate. Liang Chuyin hands something to Zhang Ming. He tells the girls to fight and gather crystals while getting used to their new professions. Xiaohu compliments him for sparing the 3 prisoners instead of stealing their crystals. Zhang Ming explains that leaving the crystals was meant to teach them a lesson. The black section of the wheel means death. If the pointer lands there, it's over. Everyone freezes, horrified by the hidden danger of the colored wheel. Then Mo Yi asks what happened to the 3 prisoners. Before he can answer, a deafening explosion rocks the area. The blast shocks everyone. Zhang Ming sighs. Next time, I won't waste hundreds of crystals teaching lessons. I'll just kill them outright. A girl starts to argue, but he cuts her off. He explains that he only let the prisoners go because they surrendered and because he was strong enough to allow it. He reminds them those same men attacked them first, unprovoked, and tried to kill them. If you think I'm cruel, he says coldly, you're blinded by your own sympathy. The group falls silent as his words sink in. He warns them that one day that same misplaced kindness could cause a disaster they'll never come back from. He points toward the ground. On that day, you'll end up just like that thing you're looking at now. They turn their eyes to the lifeless creature lying before them. The group falls silent, reflecting on his words. He tells them that in this apocalypse, pity is worthless. Those 3 prisoners hated them, which made them dangerous. They couldn't be allowed to live. At the same time, in another place, inside a hotel room, a man wearing only underwear grabs a bottle of water. He drinks a bit, then casually hands what's left to a trembling girl nearby. She looks terrified, her skin scratched and bruised. He tells her the rest is hers. Desperate, she gulps the water down, trembling. The man puts on his shirt and starts to leave when someone shouts from outside the door, calling him father. The voice says a group of armed strangers just arrived and wants to spin the wheel. He opens the door and asks how many there are and if they're armed. The messenger answers, 6 people, 4 women, 2 men, and yes, they have weapons. The man smirks. The team sounds strong. He orders his bald subordinate to gather everyone immediately and moves out. The bald guy nods and heads toward the door, but before leaving, he turns back to the girl sitting on the bed, still wrapped in the sheets. With a disgusting grin, he holds up a fresh bottle of water. You can have all this, he says, if you hurry up. The girl stays silent, glaring at him with pure disgust. Outside in the courtyard, Zhang Ming's group finally meets the bald man and his crew. Their scout confirms the prisoners were telling the truth, the wheel really exists. The bald man crosses his arms and asks if they know the rules to spin it. Zhang Ming replies, 1 crystal per spin, right? He tosses over a sack of crystals. We'll spin it 10 times. The bald man grabs the sack, eyes narrowing with suspicion, then raises his hand to signal his men. Zhang Ming turns to Xiao Hu. Wanna test your luck this time? The bald man quietly orders his goons to keep their weapons ready. Grinning, Xiao Hu grabs the wheel and spins it with excitement. When it stops, he cheers 4 bottles of evolution medicine. He immediately asks if he can keep one. But before anyone can react, the bald man and his crew surround them, guns aimed. He snarls, leave the items and walk away, or you all die here. Zhang Ming sighs, unfazed. I figured this would happen. My group could use a warm-up anyway. At his signal, the team charges forward. The bald man's crew never stood a chance. Their speed and strength are overwhelming. In seconds, the fight is over. The courtyard is silent again. Zhang Ming orders the group to move out toward the supermarket. One of the girls nervously asks what they'll do if the next people they meet turn out to be greedy too. With a sly grin, he answers, then we'll just finish the trade by force. They arrive at the Yiming supermarket. Xiao Hu turns to him. What now? Zhang Ming tells him to take the evolution medicine, get used to it, and clear the area with the others. He'll check the inside alone. The group immediately protests, worried it's too dangerous. But he reassures them most people here probably aren't evolvers, and if things go wrong, he's fast enough to escape. Liang Chuyin insists he take yellow pill with him for support, and he agrees. The The two split off from the group and begin their recon mission. Meanwhile, from the rooftop of a nearby building, Yupo's black cat watches them approach. As Zhang Ming nears the entrance, he hears voices coming from inside. What he catches makes his eyes narrow. Something's off. Suddenly, a black cat bursts out from the shadows, lunging straight at him. Yellow Pill leaps forward, intercepting the strike midair. The two beasts collide, claws flashing, fangs sinking a feral clash of instinct. Zhang Ming recognizes the creature instantly. It's her cat. He tightens his grip on his sword and prepares for battle. Outside the supermarket, Yupo stands waiting, her crimson eyes gleaming. Zhang Ming frowns. No matter where he goes, she's always there. He decides it's time to end this. But this time, she isn't alone. Beside her stands a bone demon, towering and silent. He glares at her. So you really are an intelligent zombie. You understand me when I say I'm going to kill you. They both leap forward at once, the air trembling from the force. Yupo's gaze sharpens, ready to strike. Zhang Ming twists his stance, switching hands, his blade cutting through the wind as he prepares his counterattack. Suddenly, the bone demon lunges forward to shield its master. A blinding beam shoots from its eyes, cutting through the air straight toward Zhang Ming. He flinches in surprise and dodges at the very last second, leaping to the side as the blast scorches past him. He lands hard but keeps his footing, lucky to have avoided that. The creature's a mutated zombie, a mental-type spirit at rank 2 capable of using bone illusions. At that level, it can't do much more than fire its so-called burning laser. He charges in, swinging his sword in a clean arc. The blade slices through both of the demon's hands, and with one final strike, he shouts for the thing to die. But Yupo appears behind him in a blur, striking without hesitation. He spins, using the demon's own body as leverage to block her attack. Then she casts her ability, glowing purple rings spiral around him, locking him in midair. He grits his teeth, channels every bit of strength, and breaks free, kicking both of them back at once. Her power directly attacks the target's mind and life force. He's stunned. How can a rank 2 zombie already have 3 innate abilities? Yupo suddenly turns and flees. He knows letting her escape would be a mistake. Roaring, he sprints after her, but the bone demon rises again, lunging from behind. He whirls and cuts it down in one precise motion. She'll become a nightmare later if I let her live, he mutters through clenched teeth. Frustration flickers in his eyes. He needs to keep those crystals ready. The sooner he's out of here, the better. From somewhere nearby, he hears voices wondering if their second uncle abandoned the building and whether they should leave. He steadies his breath. That's not his concern. His main goal is still the profession certificate. With the bone demon destroyed, he and Yellow Pill move on after collecting its crystal. He knocks on the supermarket door. I know you're in there, he calls out. I came to trade evolution medicine. He pats Yellow Pill's head gently, whispering for the dog to return to the group and wait. I'll come back after the deal. Once his companion is safe, a voice from inside speaks up. Where'd you even hear about this trade? From Brother Deng, Zhang Ming answers. The man asks if he came alone and whether there are many zombies outside. As the metal gate creaks open, he orders Zhang Ming to come in slowly, hands raised. Inside, the man's waiting for him, a crossbow aimed right at his chest. Zhang Ming's eyes scan the place carefully. 2 other men linger at the back, watching every move. Where's the evolution medicine? The one with the crossbow demands. Zhang Ming pulls a vial from his pack. I've got plenty, but first, I want to see the product. One of the men turns, grabs something from a shelf, and holds up a small document, the profession certificate. Zhang Ming inspects it and nods. It's real. So how do you want to trade? He asks. Step back, the leader orders. 6 vials for the certificate. Zhang Ming frowns. That's steep. Another man laughs. It's expensive because you don't know its worth. Zhang Ming calmly sets his offer 2 vials. They argue. He knows how rare evolution medicine is. He remembers how, when the apocalypse began, those potions were everything. Without evolution, even the best professions meant nothing. 3 vials, he says firmly. That's fair. Take it or leave it. The leader scowls. Then get out if you can't pay more. One of his men tries to reason with him. Boss, 3's the best deal we've ever had. The leader knows it's true. Zhang Ming narrows his eyes. Then why push for 4? The man hesitates, then admits, 2 of my family members are seriously ill. They need the medicine. Zhang Ming understands, but he shakes his head. That potion won't cure them. He opens his bag, thinking it's time to change his approach. He takes out a mutant creature egg glowing faintly with rank 2 energy. This, he says, works similarly to the medicine and it can be used multiple times. The men stare, stunned. One of them stammers, does it work for revolvers too? He nods. Yes, it does. This is my final offer, he says flatly. Take it where I walk. With the new offer, the man finally accepts the deal. As the trade ends, night falls over the city. Before leaving, the hero warns him that the place isn't safe anymore and he should get out as soon as possible. The man nods, thanking him for both the help and the warning. Zhang Ming then asks where they found the profession certificate. He knows those men aren't strong enough to have earned it on their own. The man explains that he discovered it in a place where 2 monsters were fighting. It was lying inside a monster's nest. Zhang Ming thanks him for the information and leaves with his new item. While examining it, he realizes it's the profession Glorious Steel Swordsman, another prefix-type class. He activates it after confirming it's a primary profession, one that combines perfectly with his sub-profession as a craftsman. With a focused stare, he prepares to unlock its power. Sword in hand, he decides to test how strong this new profession really is. He lifts one finger, a small flame flickers to life at the tip. Drawing a fiery sigil in the air, he fuses the flame into his blade. The dagger's edge glows, bursting with heat and spiritual energy. He swings. The fiery blade slams into the ground, exploding in a surge of power that sends waves of flame in every direction. He steps back, impressed the strike's strength rivals half of what he once wielded in his past life. Back then, he reached 6-star evolution. Now he's only at 1. Yet the glorious seal swordsman is the fusion of 2 master-level professions. His weapon now bears an engraved seal across the blade. Seal masters channel spiritual energy to amplify their techniques. The profession has 2 core parts. The first seal is fire, granting blazing energy to every strike. The second is blue sea break, a sword technique he already mastered before, powerful but exhausting. He rarely uses it. He calculates that with his current strength, combining both techniques means he can only unleash blue sea break twice before collapsing. Still, he knows that the stronger the sword, the stronger the seal, and since he's also a craftsman, he can keep forging weapons to push his limits even further. He decides it's time to regroup with Liang Chuyin and enhance his blade. Suddenly, a bark cuts through the night. He freezes. Yellow pill? Could the dog be in danger? The night looks calm on the surface, but trouble's already breaking out. Bo Yi and the others are under attack. Poo's protective shields shatter as she struggles to defend her partner. Both women face Wang Ding, armed with twin daggers. He sneers, mocking them, asking how many more times the teacher can heal or shield her friend, then adds that once she's spent, the dagger will be his. Nearby, Xiao Hu lies on the ground, cursing Wang Ding for trying to steal his blade. Meanwhile, Liang Chuyin battles leader Yi, her whip snapping against his knives in a deadly rhythm. Yellow Pill is surrounded by armed soldiers and the tension grows. Xiao Hu is down, and the team is cornered. Mo Yi clashes head-on with Wang Ding as he charges toward her. She blocks his strike with quick precision, but he attacks again, relentless. Her life is saved in a blink when Pu casts another shield, though Wang Ding's strength tears through it with ease. He slashes once more, forcing Pu to summon her diamond space barrier to protect Mo Yi again. But Pu's mind is burning up. Too many shields, too many heals. As Mo Yi parries blow after blow, she can't help but think, where the hell is Zhang Ming? Wang Ding laughs, declaring the sword will be his. Everything seems lost, until a voice cuts through the chaos. You're celebrating a little too soon. Wang Ding freezes, a flicker of flame reflecting in his eyes. From the shadows, Zhang Ming appears, his sword blazing with fire. Mo Yi gasped, she didn't even sense his approach. Leader Yi and his men look on, stunned, as the fiery glow fills the night. With a single strike, Zhang Ming's blade cleaves through the air and slices Wang Ding's arm clean off. The group erupts in relief and triumph, while their enemy collapses, screaming in despair. With the situation under control, the defeated man tries to run. As he sprints away, Zhang Ming watches him with a cold, empty stare. The enemy leader and his soldiers retreat, disappearing into the distance. But Liang Chuyin yells that they won't get away that easily. She's furious that they escaped, yet Zhang Ming tells everyone to leave quickly. He's clearly not in good shape. Liang Chuyin asks what's wrong, and he admits the last strike drained every bit of his energy. As they pull back, Mo Yi takes command. Pu tends to Yellow Pill, and Xia Lei moves to assist Liang Chuyin. By the next morning, sunlight spills over the ruined city. Zombies wander the empty streets. Up on a rooftop, the group rests and recovers from the battle. Xiao Hu trains with Mo Yi, bragging about his moves, but she tells him to shut up and reminds him she's holding back. Finally, the hero wakes up. He gets to his feet, asking where he is. The group brightens up at the sight of him awake. He reassures them he's fine, all he needed was a night's rest. Then he sighs, regretting not finishing off Wang Ding. Using that new technique too many times had left him completely exhausted. Liang Chuyin calls out that breakfast ready and everyone gathers around. Xiao Hu boasts about lasting longer and training this time and asks to borrow Mo Yi's sword, but she tells him to stop dreaming. With a half-smile, Zhang Ming asks if it's really that special of a sword. Xiao Hu insists he saw fear in Wang Ding's eyes when he faced that blade. Zhang Ming chuckles and promises to forge him one later. He steps to the edge of the roof. Channeling his crafting technique, he begins shaping metal. Heat builds around his hands as the wall's surface melts like wax. He guides the molten metal through the air with practiced precision. A burst of bright blue energy flashes as the new weapon takes form. He hands the fresh sword to Xiao Hu. It's yours now. Xiao Hu stares in awe, speechless. The others look on, equally stunned by Zhang Ming's craftsmanship. He explains that his sub-profession as a craftsman makes things like this possible. Then with a serious tone, he adds, that sword cost me a rank 2 crystal. I had to kill another rank 2 zombie for it. Liang Chuyin snaps at Xiao Hu to go wash the dishes. Mo Yi then asks where they're heading next. Zhang Ming points toward a tall building in the distance. There, we need to find someone. The person's name is Musician, someone highly respected in the city. Meanwhile, inside an abandoned factory, a group of survivors hides out trapped and starving. The door suddenly swings open. A bulky man steps in, chewing on a piece of chicken, grinning mockingly as his henchmen follow behind. He asks why no one's answering him. A man with glasses glares at him in silence, his eyes full of disgust. The brute announces that their food is running low and they'll need to venture out for more. Anyone comes with me and finds food, he says, gets one full meal and 3 days worth of supplies. The men exchange uneasy glances. The thought of going outside terrifies them. 2 finally volunteer, but the man with glasses stays silent. Then the shaved head thug leans in and whispers something to his leader. The brute walks over to the man with glasses, smirking darkly. Outside, Zhongming's group arrives at the abandoned factory. Xiao Hu asks if they're in the right place. All he can see are zombies everywhere. Zhongming frowns. He remembers clearly in his past life, this was where the musician lived. Lang Chuyin warns him that someone's using people as bait to lure zombies across the street. They look a man is being torn apart by a horde. The brute inside threatens 2 others, saying it's their turn next. They protest, shouting that their friend just died. One tries to resist and the leader stabs him before ordering his men to throw the victim out. The terrified man is dragged to the door and hurled toward the feeding horde, a knife pressed against his back. As screams echo outside, the brutes and their thugs calmly raid the nearby supermarket for food. One of the men reports that most of the food's already gone. The leader gets angry and slaps him across the face, shouting that he's wasted 2 bait victims for barely any supplies. Another comes in saying there are still 5 or 6 zombies outside. The brute curses under his breath, frustrated that he couldn't at least kill 2 to collect their crystals. Then one of his men suggests using the musician as bait. The brute walks toward the man with glasses and sneers, saying he'll cut off his arm but leave his leg so he can run that way. The zombies will chase him instead of them. The screams echo through the room as they slice the man's arm. They tell him that if he survives, he'll get food. With another swing, the knife tears into the musician's arm and his cries fill the hall. Then the brute shoves him out the door. Wounded and terrified, the man stumbles through the street, running for his life. Flashes of his old life rush through his mind: a successful engineer, a beautiful wife, all lost when the world fell to the undead. He remembers the first time he lost a fight and how something inside him died that day. Maybe that's what this feeling is now, the quiet before death. But then a blue light surrounds him, sealing his wounds. The next moment, Zhongming appears, catching him before he collapses. The musician stares in shock at the sudden sight of his savior. Zhongming tells him to stay calm and come with him. He smiles faintly, realizing he's finally found the future inventor of crystal weapons. In his past life, humanity had survived the apocalypse in many ways. Some fought using skills and professions, others through luck, but weapons from the wheel were rare, and artisans even rarer. The true key to survival, he remembers, was the invention of crystal-powered weapons created by Lei De Yuan, a genius who discovered how to harness crystal energy for devastating attacks. Back in the present, the group gathers inside a small hotel room. Mo Yi asks who the man Zhongming rescued is, while Professor Pu treats his wounds. The musician looks down and quietly asks why they even saved him. He mutters that he's useless, can't kill zombies, can't even find food. Zhongming's eyes light up. He knows this man's talent will one day wipe out thousands of zombies. He tells him he already knows who he is, but the musician doesn't recognize him. Zhongming explains he once saw the design of an instrument. He built something brilliant and admired his skill, but the man just shakes his head, saying that was another lifetime. Zhongming asks Mo Yi and the others to step outside so they can talk privately. The door closes. The room goes quiet. Zhongming hands the musician a piece of bread. Then he sets down a bottle of red wine he found earlier. The man drinks straight from the bottle, sighing deeply. That's when Zhongming pulls out a glowing crystal and asks if he recognizes it. He proposes something bold to extract and use the energy inside the crystal for humans. The musician's eyes widen with fascination. He takes the crystal, studying it closely, his expression sharp and focused. Zhongming offers him a place in the group, promising that he'll never go hungry again. All he needs is help with the crystals. After a pause, the musician agrees but says his life will belong to Zhongming once he fulfills one request. Zhongming narrows his eyes, asking what that favor is. The musician's tone hardens. Revenge. By the next morning, sunlight returns to the broken city. Inside another hotel, the brutes group lounges around resting. Their leader wonders aloud why the strong newcomers would bother saving a useless guy like that musician. One of his men brings over a can of fruit and offers it to him. The brute smirks, remembering that this same man once claimed the musician's wife as his own. Then, without warning, the door bursts open with a loud crash. Everyone jumps. Chaos fills the room. The brute freezes when he sees Zhongming and his team step inside. They come for him. Zhongming looks at the musician and asks, "These are the right ones?" The musician nods, trembling but resolute. Zhongming steps forward, calm, deliberate. The men panic. He grabs one thug by the shoulder, lifts him effortlessly, and hurls him across the room. The man crashes into the wall, groaning in agony. Zhongming glances at the musician. "He's yours now. Do whatever you want." The musician's expression hardens. He walks toward the broken man, hatred burning in his eyes. Gripping a brick in his blood-stained hand, he prepares to deliver his revenge. He smashes the guy's head violently. The blow lands with a sickening crack. A man collapses, unconscious. The girls stand frozen, horrified by the musician's sudden outburst. Mo Yi thinks to herself that Zhongming isn't some soft-hearted hero. If no one interferes with his plans, he will kill. But once they do, he never shows mercy. She wonders who this musician really is and why Zhongming treats him with such rare respect. One of the girls grabs the musician's arm, trying to stop him, saying it's enough. But he yells at her to let go. Zhang Ming calmly tells her to stay out of it. Just then, Xiaohu reports that he found the musician's wife in the next room. Zhang Ming grabs the musician by the arm and drags him over. Liang Chu-yin points to the door. She's inside. Zhang Ming opens it, gives the man a hard look, and says it's his decision what happens next. The group waits outside while he goes in. Xiaohu whispers, asking what kind of grudge that group had with the musician. Zhang Ming explains how, in this world, killing or stealing someone's family is just another way to survive. Moments later, a scream echoes from inside the room. The musician steps out, face pale and eyes full of sorrow. He's holding a knife, trembling. "I can't do it," he says, voice breaking. Tears roll down his face. She deserves to live her own life. She can do what she wants. Zhang Ming nods slightly and tells Liang Chu-yin to give the woman some food. Then he turns to the group. "We're leaving." The musician thanks him quietly. As they're about to head out, a few survivors rush over, begging to go with them. The musician says he could use a few assistants for his research. Zhang Ming agrees to let him pick 5 people no more. He explains that they can't afford to take everyone since they have bigger things to handle ahead. Night falls over the silent city. On the rooftop, the team gathers around a dim light, studying the map. Zhang Ming points to their current location and then to a spot further ahead. He says they're close to their next target, and after that, they'll search for the missing husband. It's a wild boar farm. Xiaohu lights up at the idea of fresh pork, but Zhang Ming immediately shuts him down. "We're not going there to eat," he says. "We're going for rank 2 crystals." Liang Chu-yin smiles confidently, saying that with everyone's help, taking down a rank 2 beast shouldn't be hard after all. Zhang Ming has done it before. But Zhang Ming corrects her. Not just one beast. It was a group 50 or more. Everyone stares, stunned. Meanwhile, somewhere far from them, a man drags another across a dirty floor. He curses the taste of the foul liquor in his mouth and hurls the empty bottle aside. Then he throws the beaten man into a pen. "Eat, you filthy beasts," he shouts, laughing as the wild boars tear into their prey. Blood splashes against the fence as the man screams, but it's over in seconds. The bearded man grins. "Good, eat and evolve. Get stronger for me." He plans to raise his mutated boars until they're powerful enough to help him find a Tier 2 wheel and become a 2-star evolver himself. By morning, the light filters through a cracked window of an abandoned building. A man sits in a worn armchair, a bottle in his hand. This is Gupan, a 1-star evolver. He used to have it all: a career in education and a happy family. But betrayal from his coworkers and crushing debt forced his loved ones to work while sick. They died because of it. Later, with help from friends, he started a wild boar farm, discovering he had an unmatched talent for breeding. But fate turned cruel again, and despair swallowed him whole. Then came the apocalypse. His boars mutated huge, bloodthirsty, but still loyal to him. Now he drinks to drown what's left of his guilt. Suddenly, his hand trembles. He feels that one of his boars just died. He glances out the window, and the sensation strikes again. Another one gone. He only ever feels that pain when his beasts die. He curses under his breath, wondering if they ran into zombies or a rank 2 creature. Bursting through the door, he lets out a sharp whistle. From the shadows, a horde of massive boars comes running. Gupan climbs onto one's back, gripping its thick fur as he leads them forward. In the distance, Zhang Ming's group spots the horde charging across the street. Xiaohu radios in, his voice tense. The enemy left 7 behind, 3 rank 2s, 4 rank 1s. The group watches from the rooftop, quietly observing the chaos below. Moyu reports that there are 74 boars in total, 46 of them rank 2. Professor Pugh pales at the number and hesitates, suggesting they should rethink the plan. But Zhang Ming shakes his head. Rewards always come with risk. He hands a radio to the musician and assigns everyone their roles. They'll serve as lookout and maintain communication. He instructs Axiole to stay behind to protect the musician and the others. Professor Pugh is tasked with finding Liang Chu-yin and the yellow pill. Mo Yi's job is to hunt down the rank 1 boars she finds along the way and then meet up with Xiaohu for phase 2 of the plan. Zhang Ming says he'll handle the 7 boars left behind himself. Then with a calm but commanding voice, he reminds everyone that they'll need to move faster than the others or they'll end up dead. Gripping his dagger, he readies himself for battle. He remembers that in his past life, the boar king Gupan had reached 9 stars and some of his beasts had evolved to rank 8. Gupan was later ambushed and killed by 2 other high-level specialists. A book was written about his life afterward, the story of the boar king who rose from the same city as Zhang Ming himself. Spotting one of the beasts, Zhang Ming stomps hard against the ground and charges. With a single powerful swing, he slices off the creature's head. He knows he needs a large number of rank 2 crystals to evolve, and this is the only place to find that many beasts at once. Still, the thought lingers. To reach that goal, he may have to kill the future Mangstar expert himself. These boars feed on human blood to grow stronger. In this apocalypse, there are no innocents, only those strong enough to survive. Meanwhile, Mo Yi dashes toward her target, but a horde of mutant boars suddenly charges straight at her. She skids to a stop, raising her weapon to fire. The burst of bullets slams into the charging beasts. One of them survives and charges again. Mo Yi meets it head-on, slashing it down with her dagger like it's nothing. When the dust settles, 10 corpses lie around her. She reports over the radio that her mission is complete, and she'll reach the second point in 2 minutes. Across the city, 2 boars are feeding in an alley. One of them snorts. Liang Chu-yin creeps closer, silent and ready. The first boar charges. She whirls her body, executing her four-direction dance technique. A green energy whip cracks through the air, striking the beast dead on. The second one lunges at her, but before it can connect, a glowing barrier flares to life, sending the creature crashing down, unconscious. Liang Chu-yin grins. Pew has arrived to help. Pooh shouts a warning, panic in her voice. Behind you. A third boar lunges from behind. Liang Chu-yin swings her whip, hooking a nearby building, and launches herself into the air. The creature's tusks barely graze her boots as she flips over it. While airborne, she draws her pistol and fires 3 precise shots. Each bullet hits dead center. The beast collapses motionless. She lands with confidence, the dust swirling around her boots. Pooh radios in that their mission is complete and both move on to phase 2. Elsewhere, Xiaohu sits astride his motorcycle, cigarette hanging from his lips. From a distance, he spots Gu Pan leading his army of boars straight toward him. Gu Pan rides at the front, eyes burning with fury. He narrows his gaze at Xiaohu. The boy smirks. You want to know who I am? Come find out yourself. Furious, Gu Pan orders his beasts to attack. He demands to know who this kid is and who sent him. Over the radio, Xiaohu reports that his mission is complete and he's heading to phase 2. Zhang Ming acknowledges, confirming he's also en route. Everyone, get ready, he says over the radio. We're taking down the Boar King. Inside an abandoned building, Liang Chu-yin looks amazed. She can't believe how quickly Zhang Ming finished his part. Pooh teases her, smirking. He's not that strong. You're just head over heels for him. Liang Chu-yin bristles. You're one to talk. You were thinking about him too when Wang Ding had us cornered. Professor Pooh gets all flustered, trying to defend herself by saying she just hoped he'd save them. Liang Chu-yin smirks and asks if she wanted to be rescued just to offer her body later. Embarrassed, Pooh begs her to stop twisting her words. Before the teasing can go any further, Mo Yi cuts in sharply. They're coming. The rumble of hooves echoes closer and closer. The horde of wild boars is approaching fast. Liang Chu-yin grips her whip and grins. Time to get to work. Pooh activates her protective barriers, shimmering shields of light forming around them. Liang Chu-yin laughs, saying it'd be a real waste to die there before ever having any fun with a guy, and that makes Pooh's face turn bright red. Down below, Gu Pan rages. More than 20 of his beasts are dead. His fury burns as he searches for Xiaohu, vowing to tear him apart piece by piece. With a furious glare, he charges forward, leading his horde himself. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire rains down, tearing through his front line. He snarls, realizing it's an ambush, and drives the beasts faster. Another wave of bullets rips through the horde, leaving more of them dead. Looking up, Gu Pan spots Mo Yi on a rooftop, weapon in hand. Kill her, he roars, pointing furiously. Liang Chu-yin leaps down from above, her whip crackling with green light. She spins midair, unleashing her four-direction dance. Energy whips lash across the battlefield, cutting through multiple boars at once. She lands in the middle of the chaos as Mo Yi provides covering fire from above. Go, Mo Yi shouts. I'll cover you. Liang Chu-yin nods, lashes her whip upward, hooks it onto a window frame, and swings herself up just as the beasts crash into the building. Mo Yi reaches out from a nearby window, pulling her inside. Catching her breath, Liang Chu-yin groans that she's exhausted, and Pooh quickly notices the blood seeping through her sleeve. Mo Yi sighs she's already out of special ammo. Mission's done. We're pulling back. Before they can move, the door explodes inward with a deafening crash. Gu Pan storms through, shouting, "No one's leaving here alive." He snarls threats, promising to capture, torture, and feed them to his beasts. But a shadow drops behind him. Zhang Ming. The girls' faces light up with relief. Gu Pan spins, startled, trying to understand who this stranger is. Before he can react, Zhang Ming delivers a powerful kick, sending him flying straight through the window. Glass shatters. Gu Pan crashes down into the middle of his own horde. The flames in Zhang Ming's eyes ignite once more. He channels the fire seal, his sword bursting into a blaze of red heat, and leaps forward. The ground trembles as his attack lands, a torrent of fire sweeping through the entire area. When the flames die down, the battlefield is silent. Xiaohu surveys the carnage and counts 72 dead boars. He radios in that 2 managed to escape. Zhang Ming nods, saying it's best if they're all hunted down. Then he orders the others to process the bodies. He explains that the tusks and hides can be used as cracking materials. A grin tugs at his lips. So, anyone up for some roasted boar tonight? Xiaohu lights up instantly, cheering at the idea, while Mo Yi rolls her eyes and tells him to fetch the musician. Mo Yi suggests gathering salt and wool later so they can preserve the meat. Zhang Ming says he'll take a short rest and leaves the rest of them. Xiaohu and the musician head off on the motorcycle. Meanwhile, the girls start preparing the campfire, slicing the meat for the roast. A few others clean and sort the boar carcasses nearby. The musician helps Liang Chu-yin season the meat, quietly focused. As Zhang Ming eats a piece, he reflects on how much mental power his profession consumes. Mutant boar meat, rich in energy, strengthens the body, boosting physical stats for everyone. With over 40 rank 2 crystals collected, he decides the next goal is to find a level 2 wheel. Nearby, Yellow Pill devours an entire boar in seconds, leaving the hero stunned. He notices the crystal embedded in the dog's forehead, glowing faintly, a sign that another evolution is on the way. The creature curls up and falls asleep, its breathing steady. Zhang Ming knows it will evolve as soon as it wakes. Then from outside, Mo Yu's voice cuts through the calm. "Who are you two?" she shouts. Zhang Ming turns toward the sound. She's cornered a pair of frightened strangers. The guy notices right away that they're just regular people, no aura, no sign of evolution, and asks who they are. The two men introduce themselves, saying they're from the New Era base. The group looks at each other in surprise. Mo Yu wonders aloud if it's the same base the government supposedly established, and if maybe her husband is there. Still cautious, she tells everyone to stay alert, reminding them that any government-run base must have strict control and protocols. She asks how the base was formed. The men explain that the government and military were directly involved in its creation. Mo Yu leans forward. "Do you know anyone named Qin Yu from the New Era government office?" They glance at each other and shake their heads. Neither's ever heard that name before. Zhang Ming steps in, asking if they're out here hunting. They'd explain that the base was built in a rush and lacks proper resources, so they often have to go out and hunt for food themselves. Shofu crosses his arms and asks why they came all the way here. One of the men asks in return, "Are you trying to get to the base?" He offers to guide them safely, claiming there are plenty of traps and that outsiders often get deceived or lost trying to enter. But Shofu rejects the offer, saying they don't need anyone's help. The man insists the entire area is surrounded by zombies and mutants. The only way in is through hidden routes. Zhang Ming tells them to explain it clearly. They admit they use the sewer tunnels to go in and out of the base, though many people who try end up getting lost inside. They offer to be guides in exchange for 2 pieces of meat. Zhang Ming agrees, but says one of them has to stay behind and help carry the rest of the meat to the base. The men thank him, saying they have families to feed. Zhang Ming instructs them to divide the meat into 2 portions, one to carry, one to hide for later. Mo Yi sends Xiu Hu to check the farm for anything they can use to preserve it. Suddenly, a deep roar echoes through the area. Zhang Ming freezes its yellow pill. He sprints toward the sound, wondering why it's so loud. The evolution process shouldn't even be close to finishing. It's only been 10 minutes, and evolution usually lasts up to 2 days. When he gets there, he sees Yellow Pill writhing on the ground, glowing faintly as it growls in pain. Lane Shu Yin runs up beside him, asking what's going on. He tells her the dog's evolving. Shofu points out that its fur is growing back longer, thicker, shining gold. A golden light surrounds Yellow Pill as its body begins to change. It evolves into a rank 2 mutant, its new form sleek and powerful. Zhang Ming can't help but flinch. The transformation is incredible. The dog jumps at him, wagging its tail, ecstatic about its new form. Then it leaps onto the girls, knocking them down, and they scream that it's turned into a perverted dog. Zhang Ming laughs but tells everyone to stop fooling around and get back to packing the meat. Still, Yellow Pill grabs Lang Chu Yin playfully, refusing to let go, leaving everyone in hysterics. A while later, Zhang Ming crouches beside the dog. "So, did you get any new abilities this time?" The dog just stares at him blankly. Zhang Ming sighs, disappointed. Then, out of nowhere, Yellow Pill jumps and fires a burst of golden fur. The hairs shoot out like bullets, causing a small explosion when they hit the ground. Zhang Ming shields his face, shocked. He remembers the dog's old ability, a wide-range attack with moderate power. Now it could control the density and number of projectiles at will. Somewhere across the city, another figure is watching from afar. From a tall building, a man with binoculars studies the group. His name is Meng Fang, a military captain. He spots Zhang Ming's team around the campfire roasting meat. Then his eyes shift to the open field. Nearby, the mutated Boar King and its horde are dead, their carcasses turned into food. Just then, a man in a lab coat walks up and asks about the situation. Meng Fang waves him off. "Don't call me captain. We're all just trying to survive now." The man nods and introduces himself as Qin Yu. Inside, he's burning with envy. He wishes he had a weapon, a few crystals, enough to evolve, maybe even take command of the New Era base himself someday. He stares at the distant campfire, his thoughts dark. A soldier approaches and reports that everything's been packed up. But there's bad news. The zombies broke through their perimeter. All they managed to save were 1 sack of rice, some noodles, soy oil, and 8 barrels of supplies. Meng Fang curses under his breath, furious. "What good's oil without vegetables or meat?" he growls, stomping on his cigarette. He mutters that the hunt's return wasn't even worth the bullets they spent. Then suddenly he realizes something. The dead boars scattered across the field aren't just corpses, they're profit. If that group joins the base, their power could skyrocket. The meat, the crystals, all of it is worth a fortune. If he plays this right, he could earn massive credit within the New Era base. Determined, he decides to head back and report everything as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the 2 guides lead Zhang Ming's group toward the sewer entrance. One of them points to an old water treatment facility nearby and to the New Era base, which sits right beside it. From a distance, zombies crowd around the outer walls of the compound. Zhang Ming remembers this place from his past life, the same base that would later become the Cloud Mountain War Unit, only to be wiped out in less than 2 weeks. The guides explain that life inside isn't easy. There are rank 2 zombies all around, and attacks are frequent. One of them pushes open the door of a warehouse, saying that every time the base is assaulted, dozens of people die. Lang Shu-yin asks if it's really safe to leave Yellow Pill watching over all that meat. Zhang Ming assures her there's nothing to worry about, this area still belongs to the boars. Zombies rarely wander here, and besides, dragging all that meat would slow them down. The men remove a rusted manhole cover, revealing the dark tunnel below. They warned everyone that the sewers might have mutant rats and insects. The musician gulps and asks what they're supposed to do if they run into those things. The guide explains calmly that the creatures fear fire and light a flashlight alone is enough to drive them off. Once everything's ready, the group prepares to descend. The guides explain there are 4 possible entrances. At each one, guards collect a toll from outsiders, usually a bit of food or maybe a weapon. They lead the group through the damp tunnels, muttering that most guards are lenient if you offer something small. Finally, they reach a reinforced metal gate, the sewer exit beneath the base. A group of armed men waits on the other side. One of them recognizes the 2 guides. "How'd the hunt go?" he asks, eyeing them suspiciously. The guides exchange nervous glances. They didn't expect to run into Zhao, the man they call Uncle Zhao. Another brute steps forward holding a metal club. "Let's see what you brought back," he says, trying to yank the guide's bag away. The strap tears. Everyone's eyes widen. Inside the bag is a mountain of meat. Panicking, the guide grabs at it, but the brute smashes him to the ground. Uncle Zhao scolds him, pretending to sound reasonable. The guide apologizes quickly, explaining that they risked their lives for that meat. As an apology, he offers half of it. But Uncle Zhao just smirks. "I'll take it all, and let's keep things simple." When one of the guides calls him greedy, Zhao's face twists in anger. "Leave the bag and go." His goons laugh. One of them even says Zhao's being too generous, that they should rough them up to make a point. He orders Zhang Ming's group to drop everything and leave. Lang Shu-yin glances at Zhang Ming, no words needed. She sighs and says they should just hand it over and go. The goon snarls, lifting his club. "I'll teach you some respect." He charges. Lang Shu-yin kicks him square in the chest. The blow sends him flying across the tunnel. The others freeze, stunned by her strength. Uncle Zhao shouts, "Get her, all of you." Zhang Ming's voice cuts through the chaos, calm, cold, end it quickly. Liang Shu-yin nods, her eyes sharpen. Moments later, every thug is down. Zhang Ming tells everyone to get ready to move. Uncle Zhao, battered and pale, stares in disbelief. They're all evolved humans. The guides thank them breathlessly, warning the guards patrol further ahead. Zhang Ming gathers the group and says, "If you want to survive in this world, you adapt and fight. Weakness only means losing everything you've built." He adds, "Stealing in the apocalypse is no different from killing." Then he smiles slightly and turns to Lang Shu-yin. "Nice work back there." She blushes, proud but flustered. He tells everyone to hand over their weapons for now, no need to draw more trouble. Once they packed up, he signals them to keep moving. After a long walk through the damp tunnels, they reach another exit. One of the guides pushes the manhole cover open, letting in the daylight. Bo Yi climbs out first, helping the musician up behind her. The guide wipes sweat from his brow and says, "Welcome to the new era base." The group finally arrives at the base and sees clusters of people gathered in the open. Their guides offer them a place to stay, and Zhang Ming accepts. Yahello, however, shakes her head. She says she won't go with them. She needs to find her husband. She hugs her friend tightly before leaving, whispering for her to stay safe. Before walking away, she warns her to be careful around Zhang Ming, saying he's cold-blooded and not a good person. Turning to him, she says she doesn't approve of his methods, but he kept his promise, so now they're even. With that final goodbye, she disappears into the crowd, leaving him silent. Zhang Ming turns to one of the guides and asks where he can buy supplies or essential items. The guide explains that there's a small market near the southern border of the base. Food is the main currency there. Zhang Ming then asks about bullets, whether there's a way to get any. The guide answers that only the military battalion has ammunition and they don't sell it. But then he adds that there's a black market in the newer section of the base. If Zhang Ming's looking for rare stuff, that's where he should check. Zhang Ming raises a brow, surprised that a black market already exists inside the base. He asks if they've ever seen anyone selling scrolls or unfamiliar items. One of them shakes his head, but the other says he once heard about someone on the west side selling a recipe for a high price. Zhang Ming tells them to help him find that person. He knows how rare recipes are worth a fortune in this world. He offers 5 kilos of meat as payment, even if they fail to find anything. The guides are stunned by the offer. One of them quickly agrees, promising to locate the seller. The 2 guides split up, one heading toward the black market, the other leading the group to the trade area. Before leaving, the guide asks if they're ready to move. They follow him down the crowded streets of the base. A few minutes later, Professor Pooh points at something that makes her stop in her tracks. A girl sits on the ground, offering favors in exchange for a piece of bread. Lang Shu-yin freezes, horrified. Another girl nearby does the same. Mo Yi spots 2 more, each begging for food in exchange for their bodies. Professor Pooh murmurs that they should help the girls, give them at least a little food. Zhang Ming turns to her, his expression cold. "If we feed one, we'll have to feed all of them, then the whole base." That's how chaos starts. His words leave her speechless. He asks if she's ready to kill to protect herself and everyone else, because only then will she be ready to give food away. Pooh just stares at him, shaken by how brutally real his words are. One of the guides nods, saying the same thing. Having food in this world is more a curse than a blessing. People die over it every day. Mo Yi sighs, realizing how dangerous kindness can be. They're lucky to be evolved, otherwise they might have ended up like those poor girls. She quietly comforts Professor Pugh as they watch Zhongming and the others walk ahead. Both women think the same thing without him. They might have ended up just like the girls they saw begging in the street. That thought chills them to the bone. They keep following the guide through the grim maze of the base. Suddenly, Zhangping stops, his eyes narrowing. Two large men are blocking the street, and the guide instantly tenses up. He whispers that they're Yu Chao and Yang Shailong, both evolved, both dangerous. Right then, Yu Chao, the bald one, grabs a blonde girl by the hair, his face twisted with rage. The girl trembles and begs him to stop, promising she won't do it again. He snarls at her defiance and kicks her hard in the stomach. She collapses, crying, and he throws a piece of bread in her face. Quit acting like it's the end of the world. As she screams, his friend grabs her by the legs and drags her through the dirt like garbage. Yu Chao watches with a satisfied grin while two of his lackeys laugh. The women in Zhongming's group stare in disgust. Mo Yi demands to know how they can enjoy something like that. Zhongming answers flatly, evolved people don't hold back against regular humans. She probably refused something. The guide nods in agreement, explaining that Yu Chao and Yang Shailong are scum with a reputation. They've hurt a lot of women here before. The realization hits hard. Inside this base, the evolved can do whatever they want. Outraged, the bald thug spits on the ground, saying that if the three wheels didn't belong to them, those bastards wouldn't be so arrogant. Zhang Ping grabs the guy by the collar, startled by what he just heard, and demands to know about the wheels, making the man scream in pain. The trembling guide explains that everyone in the base knows about the three wheels. They weren't guarded before, so plenty of people managed to see them. Zhang Ming asks what rank they are and where they're located. The guide answers that two are rank 1, and the white one is rank 2. That makes Zhang Ming light up because in his past life, he left the city right after becoming a rank 1 evolver and never even knew a rank 2 wheel existed here. Armed with that information, he trades a piece of meat for a few futons, feeling lucky to have stumbled on it. Night falls at last, the dark sky scattered with faint stars above the ruined city. We see the building where the group has set up to spend the night. Inside, the women are gathered around a small improvised campfire, cooking dinner. Xiao Hu and the guides help arrange the sleeping mats. Then Zhang Ming remembers something important: without vegetables, everyone's health will start declining sooner or later. With a new goal forming in his head, he calls one of the guides over to help him buy some things. He asks if the guide knows where to find seeds, which earns him a baffled stare. Later, after buying what they need, the two head up to the rooftop and start preparing the soil. When they finish, the guide flops down, completely exhausted. He asks if planting vegetables will even make a difference now. Zhang Ming smiles faintly and says they won't have to wait long to find out. He kneels on the ground, his body glowing faintly green. Using his secondary profession as a gardener, he activates the skill Nurture. A soft green light spreads from his hands as he presses them to the soil, channeling spiritual energy into the ground and into the seeds. Moments later, the plants begin to sprout and grow before their eyes. The guide just stares, speechless. Zhang Ming keeps focusing his energy, watching as fresh shoots rise up from the soil in under 10 minutes. A sigh of relief escapes him when he sees the result. It worked. All that effort and the energy spent, it was worth it. Now they wouldn't have to worry about missing nutrients or running out of food. He thinks about how these crops could feed many people and how that, in turn, would make him stronger. Determination burns in his eyes. After finishing the test, Zhang Ming dusts off his hands and heads downstairs, but Xiao Hu stops him halfway. "What's the name of your second profession?" he asks curiously. "Gardener," Zhang Ming answers casually. Xiao Hu bursts out laughing at the name until Zhang Ming shoots him a glare. "Shut up." Later that night, they all sit together for dinner, enjoying a proper meal for the first time in days. One of the guides eats like he hasn't seen food in years. Xiao Hu brags that their leader's going to cook something even better soon. Excited, the guide asks what it'll be, but Xiao Hu just smirks and says it's a secret. Zhang Ming quietly plans tomorrow's meal in his head, maybe cabbage stew with pork once his energy recovers. Suddenly, there's a knock, or rather, a thud at the door. The guide who went to find the recipe bursts in panting. He announces that he's found the person who has it. Zhang Ming immediately asks where. "The Haibo Community Clubhouse," the guide replies. Outside, the city lies in silence under the moonlight. Meanwhile, in a dim hotel room, CLA and Qin Yu sit together, eating instant noodles from a single cup. She glances at the bruises on his arm and asks what happened. He says he just got into a fight and tells her not to worry. After finishing the noodles, he comments that they taste surprisingly good. He's never had them before. CLA blinks, shocked. "You're the secretary's son, and you've never eaten instant noodles?" She thinks to herself that the meat and evolution medicine Xiao Yi gave her really did help her track Qin Yu down. But then Qin Yu suddenly clutches his stomach, grimacing in pain. The door bursts open with a heavy kick. A burly figure steps in, its brother Pan. Qin Yu panics, apologizing quickly, saying he'll wash the clothes right away. He forgot because he had just met his wife. Xiaolei, confused, asks what's going on, but he mutters that he'll explain later. Brother Pan says nothing. He just stands there, eyes roaming, licking his lips as he stares at Xiaolei with a disgusting grin. He says he's leaving first, then walks out, leaving Xiaolei alone with Qin Yu. Qin Yu looks lost, not understanding what's going on. Xiaolei senses that something's off. She needs to find the group and a weapon fast. In another room, two men are lounging while a couple of women massage their shoulders. One of them brings up Kinyu's wife, saying she heard Brother Pan saw her. She lays really pretty, she adds. She showed up yesterday looking for her husband. Brother Pan smirks and says he'd heard she was beautiful, but in person, she's even better. That catches the other's attention. She's that pretty, he asks, sitting up straight. Pan grins darkly and says they shouldn't waste any more time. He waves for the women to leave, and with teasing smiles, they walk out, shutting the door behind them. Once they're alone, Pan leans back and starts talking. There's no need to rush, he says. Think about it, we've got everything now, but not long ago, we were just doing temp jobs. He laughs to himself. Now we've got 2 art schools sending girls to massage and pamper us. His expression twists into something darker. We're evolvers. We can do whatever we want. He takes a drag from his cigarette. We're stronger than the rest. We kill zombies, we spin wheels. Isn't that enough? The bald one shakes his head. Not even close. Pan's grin fades. Exactly. The base is surrounded by zombies that could break through any time. He exhales smoke through his nose. You think we could take on 1,000 of them? The bald guy admits they couldn't. That's right, Pan says quietly. We need to get stronger. The bald one lights his own cigarette. And what's that got to do with Kinyu's wife? Pan explains slowly, we're both 1-star evolvers. So why are we running this place? His partner answers, because the leaders have powerful abilities and men with heavy weapons. Pan nods, exactly. When things go bad, the leaders always survive first. The crystals, the weapons, everything they end up in their hands. He leans forward. 5 kilometers from here, there's a mountain crawling with zombies and beasts. Rumor is there's a skill card wheel up there, and weapon cards too. Then that wicked smile returns, and you know what? Chef Jin's got a thing for young women. He lays out his plan, offer Kinyu's wife as payment in exchange for those cards and weapons. The bald man's eyes light up. So we kidnap her? Exactly. The bald one yawns. Then let's do it tomorrow. It's too late tonight anyway. By morning, in a brick-walled building on the south side of the base. The guide explains that the man with the recipe is named Lai Kyung. He's not an evolver, but he's a deadly marksman. No one dares go near him when he's got his twin guns. His men might be regular people, but they're heavily armed. Plenty of folks want that recipe, including the base leaders, but the price is sky high. Zhang Ming asks why nobody's just stolen it yet. The guide tells him Lai Kyung has over 200 loyal subordinates, and the base leaders aren't exactly united. After a long walk, they finally arrive at the trading site. A line of people winds up to a fortified gate guarded by 2 armed sentries. The guide explains that Lai Kyung is the only leader who recruits regular people. They do labor in exchange for food. One of the guards steps forward and asks if they come to see Lai Kyung. After a quick pat-down, they're allowed to enter. The guide mentions that he already arranged everything the day before. Inside, heavily armed soldiers stand watch near the entrance. Lai Kyung sits relaxed in an armchair, waiting for them. The guide steps forward and Lai Kyung greets them coolly, saying he knows people usually come to him for one reason, the recipe. If you can pay the price, he says, it's yours. Zhang Ming nods. Let me see it first. Lai Kyung signals one of his men. A soldier walks over carrying a laptop and opens a file showing the recipe on screen. Zhang Ming asks how much it costs. Lai Kyung narrows his eyes. Never seen you around here before. Since when does the base have someone like you? Zhang Ming smiles faintly. I just got here. Lai Kyung leans back. Then here's my price, 5 vials of 1-star evolution medicine. The protagonist says the price is too high. That's exactly why no one's bought it yet. With a smirk, Lai Kyung replies, the price is high because the item's good. That earns him a sharp, challenging stare. Zhang Ming asks, if it's that good, why haven't you learned it yourself? Lai Kyung's expression hardens. It has too many requirements, he says. Selling is my only option. When the protagonist offers a counterprice, 100 rank 1 crystals, Lai Kyung slams his hand on the table, furious, and orders his guards to throw him out. But Zhang Ming calmly asks, you control the wheel here, don't you? Lai Kyung narrows his eyes. I do. Without another word, Zhang Ming tosses a heavy sack of crystals at his feet. That's enough to spin it. Lai Kyung lifts the sack, weighing it silently. Then, and after a long pause, he stands. Follow me. They walk down a dim corridor until they reach a guarded room. Inside stands a color-patterned wheel washed over by 2 armed soldiers. Lai Kyung gestures toward it. Go ahead. Spin. Zhang Ming studies the wheel carefully. It only takes 6 crystals per spin, but aside from evolution medicine, nothing else there seems worth having. He figures the base leaders probably let Lai Kyung handle this one because there's nothing valuable in it except the recipe. He drops the crystals in and the wheel starts turning. When it stops, it lands on the recovery potion symbol. Lai Kyung's face tightens as Zhang Ming calmly pockets a vial of evolution medicine, the very thing Lai Kyung himself hadn't managed to get for weeks. One of his soldiers suggests attacking, but Lai Kyung raises a hand. He can feel the tension in the air. Something about this newcomer's presence is dangerous. Zhang Ming then offers 3 bottles of evolution medicine in exchange for the recipe. Lai Kyung's mood shifts. Fine, he says. But the protagonist smirks. Actually, I'll give you 1 vial and a good weapon to go with it. That sparks anger in Lai Kyung's eyes. What kind of weapon could you possibly have? Zhang Ming unzips his pack. He pulls out a pistol. Lai Kyung freezes. How did you get that past the inspection? Zhang Ming fires at the wall. The gun roars like thunder. The blast rips a hole straight through the concrete. Smoke fills the room. The guards stare in disbelief. Even Lei Qiang looks stunned. That thing's no pistol, it's a cannon. Zhang Ming calmly holsters it. One vial and the gun. Take it or leave it. Lai Kong, now sweating slightly, nods. Deal. Later, sunlight spittles across a building terrace. A chef sets down a plate of steaming vegetables before the group. Fresh greens, crisp, fragrant, and rare in this world. The women stare in awe and praise the taste. Zhang Ming passes a vial of evolution medicine to the musician. The man's hands tremble as he takes it, eyes watering. Thank you, truly. Zhang Ming gives a small nod and steps away, saying they'll have plenty more vegetables soon. Back in his room, he examines the new recipe. It's for a puppet spell, but it requires rare materials, which explains why none of the base leaders ever bothered with it. Even just gathering 5 rank 2 crystals would be impossible for most 1-star evolvers. Still, with his craftsman skills, Zhang Ming believes he can make it work. He decides to visit the level 2 wheel that night to try his luck at evolving to the next rank. That night, in a lavish building across the city, Chef Jin lounges in a gold-trimmed armchair. Qin Yu enters and greets him politely as Mr. Jin. Jin laughs softly. Just call me Chef Jin. He pours himself a drink. It's a shame about Secretary Qin's death, he says, feeding sympathy. Then his eyes glint. But I hear his wife's still alive, surviving all this time on her own. Must be quite the woman. Qin Yu stiffens. How does he even know that? Chef Jin swirls his glass. I've admired Officer Xia Wu for a long time. Tell me, when will you bring her to meet me? He takes a slow sip, smiling. I'll be honest, I'm quite taken with your wife. When are you going to arrange a little introduction? Qin Yu freezes, rage boiling behind his eyes. But he swallows it down. He can't afford to lose his temper. Chef Jin is an evolver, and that makes him dangerous. Chef Jin says he doesn't like forcing people. He prefers to give them a choice. He offers Qin Yu a vial of evolution medicine in exchange for a few nights with his wife. If he refuses, Jin says he'll take her by force while Qin Yu watches and then kill them both afterward. For a moment, Qin Yu hesitates. The offer tempts him. With that medicine, he could finally become strong, gain authority in the base. People have died just trying to get their hands on one of those. Chef Jin leans forward, smiling. Becoming an evolver means living well. There aren't many of us left. Hand her over and you'll have food, weapons, women, whatever you want. His grin turns sharp. If your wife truly loves you, she'll agree. Qin Yu says nothing. He lowers his gaze, lost in thought. Finally, he mutters that he'll think about it and starts to leave. Jin chuckles and says, you'll know what to do. A wicked smile spreads across his face. Behind his gilded chair, 2 bodies, those of his earlier guests, lie dead and cold. That night, from a distant rooftop, someone watches the same building. It's the protagonist. He's here from the level 2 wheel sitting on the roof. He notices right away that it's poorly guarded, probably because no one's been able to spin it successfully. Carefully, he slips past the sentries, silent as a shadow. At the top, he finds the golden wheel gleaming faintly in the moonlight. Placing his hand on it, he prepares to spin, ready to test his luck. When it stops, he frowns. No skill cards, no new recipes. Only minor rewards, potions, gray gloves, junk. Then something catches his eye. A faint glow, an attribute stone. An item that can add elemental effects to weapons, but also one with another hidden function. It can be eaten. He remembers an incident from his past life. A starving survivor had swallowed shards of one after a weapon broke. Instead of dying, the man gained incredible power. From that day, attribute stones became priceless. Their prices skyrocketed. Everyone wanted one. Zhang Ming knows the world won't realize their true value for another 4 or 5 years, which means he can collect them now before anyone else understands. Alongside the materials he needs for the puppet spell worth 5 crystals, he still has enough for 6 spins. He just needs 1 attribute stone or a 2-star evolution potion. With a small grin, he spins the wheel again, hoping his luck turns. Elsewhere, 2 men drag a woman's lifeless body through a dark sewer tunnel. One sighs. Didn't even get to enjoy her long enough. The other grimaces. You gotta dump it. Don't want disease or the smell. But if we throw her outside the base, we'll attract zombies. They trudge deeper through the tunnels. The one with the ponytail mutters, he's right. Damn shame, though. The bald one shrugs. We'll find 2 more tomorrow. Then suddenly, he frees his eyes, widening. From above the sewer exit, a golden light flickers across the night sky. They look up, stunned. Someone's spinning the wheel. The moon casts pale light over the ruined city. Inside a small room, Chalet sits silently in a bed. Qin Yu paces nearby, trying to justify himself. Think about it, he says. If I don't evolve, we'll starve to death. You could help us survive. Her eyes go cold. He presses on. Once I become an evolver, things will get better. I'll treat you right, I swear. You'll stop hating me. Maybe one day you'll evolve too. Her expression darkens. What do you mean, stop hating you? She stands abruptly, voice trembling with fury. You have no right to say that, none. How dare you ask me to do something that disgusting and then say you forgive me for it? She jabs a finger at his chest. You're a coward. Trash. Absolute filth. Grabbing her bag, she heads for the door. Where are you going? He shouts. She glares at him with pure disgust. Anywhere's better than staying with you. He grabs her wrist. You can't leave. She yanks free, eyes blazing. If I don't, she says, you'll just hand me over to Chef Jin yourself. Suddenly, Chef Jin appears and says he'll handle things his way. With a malicious look, he approaches the couple, and the girl glares at him with disgust. She responds with a powerful kick. He grabs her leg and says he likes fierce women. With a shove, he throws her onto the bed, saying that if words don't work, he'll try another approach. As soon as she lies down, Kinyu grabs her arms. He says he'll hold her and demands the evolution potion. But Xiaolei kicks him and, taking the chance, snatches her bag. Tears in her eyes, she wonders how he became such a despicable person. She says he sold his wife for so little and tells him to look closely. Is this really what he wants? 2 vials of evolution medicine are in her hands. Both look stunned. Kinyu explodes and asks why she didn't tell him she had the potion, asking if she truly sees him as a husband since she didn't give it to him. He says in the past she treated him like a tool and he shouldn't have married her. She replies that he has no hope left as she opens a vial. Chef Jin lunges toward her, trying to stop her from taking the potion. But suddenly he hears a noise and realizes someone is spinning the wheel. He looks toward the window and asks who dares. Then he jumps, breaks the glass, and chases the intruder. He orders everyone to gather and capture the person turning the wheel. On the rooftop, the protagonist keeps spinning the wheel. He realizes he's been exposed and needs to act fast. The wheel finally lands on an attribute stone. Determined, he says he finally got what he wanted. Zhang Ming has his attribute stone at last. He only has 1 crystal left and knows this is his last chance. At that moment, Chef Jin and his soldiers reach the roof and find him turning the wheel. The wheel spins quickly. The protagonist panics and begs for it to stop. Finally, it lands on a vial of medicine. But the rooftop door is smashed open and soldiers pour in. They surround him and order him not to move. The protagonist is captured and told to raise his hands. Meanwhile, the wheel releases the item. With the item finally in hand, the boy feels even more confident. Chef Jin is shocked to see he got the potion and orders the guards to kill the intruder as he bolts. He hides behind the wheel, using it as a shield. Then he jumps off the building and uses his dagger to hook into the wall and lower himself safely. He descends down the side of the building. Chef Jin rages and commands his soldiers to find him no matter where he goes. The protagonist continues down the wall with his dagger. He lands on a balcony and prepares his next move. He thinks the place is no longer safe, and that he has to get away before Chef Jin or Director Wang find him. Suddenly, a soldier spots him and shouts that he's there. But with a quick attack, he defeats every soldier who surrounds him. The soldiers are terrified of his strength and beg them not to shoot. He thinks he needs to find a safe place to take the potion. Once he evolves, everything will be easier. He runs through the street. The soldiers shout not to let him escape and chase after him relentlessly. The boy hides among the trees while the soldiers alert the entire base about the pursuit. Meanwhile, Xiaolei knocks Kinyu down with a kick. He coughs as he falls to the ground. Xiaolei remembers when Mo Yi handed her a vial of evolution medicine for emergencies. She's surprised a stranger would give such a valuable potion for free. But her husband, who should have protected her, offered her in exchange for one of them. Without hesitation, she drinks the evolution potion while thinking about the cruel situation she's in. The glass vial shatters into pieces. Kinyu cheers that she's become evolved. He's met with a slap to the face. She tells him their relationship is over and vows to kill him if he says another word. Xiaolei walks away and Kinyu asks where she's going. She replies that she's found someone more worthy to follow than him. The soldiers keep searching for the protagonist. Hidden among the shadows, he thinks he can't shake them off. He just needs 10 minutes to take the potion and evolve. But the soldiers find him again, forcing him to run or face serious trouble. He decides to use the summoning card he got from the Pearl Lake. It's a Cerberus card, a powerful creature, and he has no choice but to use it. With a swift motion, he throws the card to the ground. A magic circle appears, glowing brightly, and the monster is summoned. A 2-headed Cerberus bursts out, ready for battle. The soldiers freeze in terror at the sight of it. They panic and open fire, but the beast charges forward, engulfing them in flames. One soldier is completely burned to ashes, while the others keep shooting in desperation. With a roar, the Cerberus splits into 2 smaller versions of itself. The protagonist takes advantage of the chaos and runs, but the soldiers keep pursuing him. He uses his beginner summoning technique. A nearby tree twists and morphs into a monstrous creature. The soldiers, horrified, start firing at the living tree. He sprints toward a car and touches it. Using his skill again, the vehicle begins to transform, metal twisting, lights flaring until it becomes a massive combat robot standing tall. Exhausted, he knows the summons won't last long, but they'll be enough to distract the soldiers. He escapes into the forest, thinking that to truly be safe, he'll have to eliminate the base's leaders. Meanwhile, the soldiers keep searching, turning the place upside down for any trace of him. Chef Jin and Director Wang join the hunt. There are many civilians nearby, making it harder to find the target, but they know if he gets away, he'll become a huge threat later. Chef Jin isn't worried about finding him. What truly scares him is the idea of the boy coming back for revenge. Furious, Director Wang orders his men to sweep the area and kill anyone who isn't part of the base's crew. The soldiers slaughter every civilian in sight. With a sinister smirk, Chef Jin says he wants to see just where the boy plans to run. But the protagonist is already behind them. He unleashes his fire blade, striking both leaders at once. They're shocked by the sudden ambush. The reflection of the flames flickers in Chef Jin's eyes. Under the moonlight night, Zhang Ming hides again, thinking that with both leaders dead, no one should still be searching for him. He sighs, mourning all the lives lost over a single vial of evolution medicine. Suddenly, pain shoots through his body, and he collapses, writhing as the potion takes effect. Through the agony, a smile of triumph crosses his face. He's become a 2-star evolved. When the transformation finishes, a burst of smoke explodes around him. He steps out from the Hades, eyes burning with new confidence. Later, the group gathers on a rooftop. Xiaohu cheers at the sight of his returning leader. He asks if all the chaos outside was his doing. The protagonist meets everyone's gaze with a serious expression. They've clearly been through a lot. Lion Chu Yin still has dry blood on her face, but they've managed to adapt through the long, violent night. He says they'll talk more once they're back. Mo Ye notices something different about him. He tells Xiaohu to gather the others, smiling faintly as he says they'll talk later. Around the campfire, he turns to the guide and says there's something important to discuss. He asks if the guide wants to be the new owner of the base. The man is stunned, asking if he's joking. That's when the protagonist calmly reveals that he killed both base leaders. The guide freezes in horror at the news. The protagonist explains that he needs a stable base, and that place now needs a new leader. With a firm look, he asks if the guide is willing to take the role. The guide hesitates, saying he's not evolved. The protagonist assures him that can be fixed. The man adds he doesn't have enough people to command. The protagonist reminds him the base is full of idle survivors ready to follow. He insists he lacks management experience. Zhang Ming smirks and says, "In the apocalypse, you don't need management experience, only experience killing." The others stare at him in silence. Finally, the guide asks why he was chosen. The second guide claims he could lead too. With quiet confidence and a faint grin, Zhang Ming replies, "Because I want you to. And if I want it, then I believe you can do it." Fortunately, the guide accepts the proposal and promises to do whatever is needed. The protagonist tells him it's best to wait until he officially becomes the leader. Then Zhang Ming says there's someone he needs to meet, someone who can help him secure that leadership. The group looks confused by what he means. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the base. Lai Kang and his soldiers rush to prepare for battle. One of them reports that the west gate is under heavy attack, but Lai Kang grits his teeth and says he's already stretched thin trying to defend smaller areas. Then, from the shadows, the protagonist's voice echoes. He's leaning against the wall, calm and composed. "What are you looking for, Lai Kang?" Lai Kang raises his weapon instantly and demands to know who's there. When he recognizes Zhang Ming, his eyes widen. He can't believe he got that close without being noticed. The memory of the chaos from the night someone spun the wheel flashes through his mind. Lai Kang says their last trade was already settled and asks why he's come back. With a sharp look, Zhang Ming praises him for figuring things out so quickly. He says he needs Lai Kang's help with something important. Lai Kang smirks, telling him to go ahead and explain, though in the back of his mind, he realizes this guy must have already evolved into a 2-star. Meanwhile, in a dark forest near the base, Leader Yi staggers forward in a zombie-like state. Beside him, Wang Ding also turns, sniffs the air and mutters that he smells something delicious coming from inside the base. He stretches out his arm and gives a guttural command. Moments later, a colossal sand creature begins to burrow toward the city. A huge army of zombies is on the move. The city appears calm for a moment, then a blinding green explosion lights up the night, sending everyone into panic. People scream and run through the streets, unsure what's happening. The guy grabs a megaphone and tries to calm the crowd, shouting for everyone to stay organized, keep quiet, and turn off any lights. He assures them the base is still secure, that the zombies haven't breached the walls, and that the other bases will recover soon. Using the megaphone, he calls on anyone under 30 to help put out the fires. Xiaohu whistles, impressed at how the guy keeps everyone under control. Liang Shuyin crosses her arms and mutters that words alone won't stop chaos. There are always idiots who will make things worse. Dawn starts breaking, and Xiaohu guesses the boss must have finished his part by now. Lai Kang reports that the base's food storage was hit and supplies are running low. The guide suggests recruiting volunteers and cleaning up the bodies. He says if they offer food as a reward, plenty of people will help. That way they can clean the mess and keep the base sanitary. Zhang Ming admires how resourceful the guide is. But suddenly, his instincts scream that something's wrong. He drops to the ground and yells for everyone to be silent. Xiaohu looks worried, asking what's happening to him. Zhang Ming immediately orders the guide to evacuate everyone in the southern zone. "Move now," he shouts. The guide nods and starts giving orders. But then the ground shakes violently. A deep rumble rolls through the entire base. They're too late. Zhang Ming yells for the guy to hurry and clear the south side. He tells them to warn Li Tong's men to set up barricades, to block every passage if too many survivors fall. Lai Chang agrees, and Zhang Ming asks if he's adapted to the 1-star evolution medicine. Then he orders the rest of his team to move out. With a determined glare, he announces, "The sandworm is here. The base's survival depends on us." He explains that the sandworm is a powerful mutant that tunnels underground. The tremors they're feeling are from it destroying everything in its path. Lai Kang worries the base won't withstand the attack, and Zhang Ming admits it's probably going to collapse soon. Xiaohu sighs and says that if the monsters breach the walls, there's no way to stop them, then smirks, asking when the boss suddenly got so kind. Zhang Ming replies coldly, "I'm not kind. I just need the base for now." He plans to kill the sandworm and rebuild the base stronger, even if the buildings crumble. The creature's massive body crashes through structures, sending debris flying everywhere. It charges straight toward them. The battle has begun. Zhang Ming shouts. The sandworm lunges, tearing through the ground. Chunks of rock and metal explode in every direction. Zhang Ming steps on a flying slab, using it as a springboard. With a swift slash of his blade, he attacks the creature head-on. He shouts for the group to go for the creature's legs and cut them off to restrict its movements. With a powerful leap, he climbs onto the monster's back. Spotting its weak point, he drives his dagger straight into it. He warns everyone to stay alert. The sandworm's poison is deadly. The group keeps attacking, following his lead step by step. One of the soldiers yells out, praising their leader's brains and strength. But then the sandworm rises again, revealing it wasn't alone. Dozens of smaller creatures burst from the ground, rushing to assist the giant beast. The group is surrounded. The protagonist tells them he'll handle 2 of the creatures and the rest is up to them. Drawing his sword, he charges into the swarm without hesitation. Lai Qiang panics when he realizes he's up against 3 rank 2 worms at once. Mo Yi calls out to Teacher Pu and the protagonist, rallying them for a coordinated strike. One of the teammates explains that the 2 women will distract 2 worms while the others deal with the last one. Mo Yi quickly asks if Lai Qiang's marksmanship is any good. Gripping her gun, she orders everyone to stay mobile. Teacher Pu raises her barrier shields to block the creature's venom blasts, protecting Mo Yi. Lai Qiang notices she's covering him and steadies his aim. Liang Shuyin dashes forward, her whip crackling with green energy as she lashes out at one of the worms. The strike hits dead on, forcing the beast to screech in pain. She jumps high, landing on its back. The monster thrashes violently, trying to shake her off. A teammate tosses her a dagger. Catching it midair, she braces herself for a killing blow. In one swift motion, she plunges the blade deep into the creature's head. The worm lunges to bite her, but Lai Qiang fires a clean shot, striking it between the eyes. Taking the chance, Liang Shuyin drives the dagger deeper, and with a sharp twist, ends the beast. Teacher Pu holds her shield steady, deflecting another attack aimed at Mo Yi. The diamond-like barrier absorbs the impact, sending sparks across the air. Mo Yi, breathing heavily, glances over at Xiao Hu, struggling to fend off another creature alone. The team regroups to cover her flank. The protagonist watches their coordination with a hint of pride in his eyes. Then, a distant roar shakes the battlefield. He looks toward the horizon and sees a massive cloud of dust rising. A horde of zombies is charging straight for the base fast. There's no time left to reinforce the defenses. Working side by side, they manage to seal off the road completely. Grinning with satisfaction, Shida points toward 2 buildings up ahead. She explains that if they blow those up, the debris will block even more access points. She adds that she's already found dynamite and can handle the job herself in no time. One of the survivors laughs nervously, calling her sister Lei the demolition expert. The protagonist asks how long she'll need. She replies that 30 minutes will be enough to set everything up, but she'll need help from Xiao Hu and the others. He nods, saying he'll distract the monsters for half an hour and hope luck's on their side. Meanwhile, a massive swarm of zombies starts climbing over the ruins toward the base. Lai Qiang positions his men strategically, ordering them to hold the line. At Zhang Ming's signal, the soldiers open fire. Blasts of energy tear through the horde, sending limbs flying everywhere. But soon Li Qiang realizes the ammunition is running out. With a quick gesture, Zhang Ming signals everyone to cease fire immediately. He announces that anyone unwilling to fight is free to leave, but promises a vial of evolution medicine to anyone who stays and survives. Then without hesitation, he leaps straight into the middle of the zombie horde. Flames trail behind his blade as he swings it, cutting through the monsters without fear. With a confident grin, he shouts for everyone to move forward. Liang Shuyin unleashes her spinning dance technique, striking down the zombies around her. A burst of green energy ripples outward, tearing through the horde and scattering the undead. The soldiers stare in awe at her strength. Motivated by the promise of evolution medicine, they charge into the fight head-on. They swing their weapons with renewed courage, slashing the zombies apart. The protagonist thinks to himself that this kind of bravery, even in the apocalypse, might just be humanity's last bit of hope. He yells for everyone to keep their distance and avoid reckless moves. One of the soldiers kicks a zombie backward, knocking it into another. The leader warns them to focus their strikes on vital points and not waste energy. Meanwhile, Teacher Pu shouts that they've got 15 minutes left. A soldier scoffs, calling her a coward for hiding behind them. But before he can say another word, she throws up her diamond shield, blocking an ambush from behind him. The soldier freezes, realizing he misjudged her. Grateful, he thanks her and jokes that he'll buy her a meal later. Pu coldly replies that she only eats meat from rank 2 mutant beasts. Then she spits on the ground and mutters to herself, wondering since when she started acting like Liang Chuyin. Looking worried, she silently hopes everyone makes it through. Suddenly, a soldier screams as claws rip into his back. A grotesque creature lunges from the shadows, shredding him apart, the first casualty of the battle. Furious, another soldier charges at the creature. The protagonist shouts for him to stop, warning him not to be reckless. But the monster turns and sprays him with a jet of thick pink slime. The soldier panics, screaming as the goo wraps around him, suffocating him completely. Before long, he's dead. With a sharp strike, the protagonist cuts the creature down, but immediately senses something else approaching. From the shadows crawls a horrifying creature with the head of a baby and the legs of a spider. Its jaw splits open, and a long green tongue wicks out, snatching soldiers off the ground. It devours them in seconds. Don't panic. The protagonist roars, form up and fall back. He calls out to teacher Pooh asking how much longer she needs. 11 minutes, she yells back. He orders her to keep supporting the group while he clears a path. Pooh throws up barrier after barrier, shielding everyone as they retreat. He shouts for Lai Kang to cover the rear. Lai Kang looks down his scope and spots movement behind the horde. He reports seeing someone or something controlling the zombies. The protagonist asks if he can hit it, but Lai Kang says it's too far. That's when the leader realizes this entire attack was orchestrated. Far off in the distance, a masked figure stands silently, watching the chaos unfold. The figure spots the protagonist fighting in the center of the horde. With a twisted grin, he murmurs that the boy smells delicious and that he'll be his soon. Back on the battlefield, Liang Chuyin spins again, unleashing another 4-directional dance strike. A wave of green energy explodes outward, cutting down wave after wave of zombies. Panting, she collapses to one knee, realizing that using it twice has drained her completely. She curses herself, knowing she needs to get stronger. The protagonist rushes over and catches her before she hits the ground, startling her. He tosses her toward teacher Pooh and shouts for her to catch her. Pooh worries about her condition, but Liang Chuyin snaps, "Shut up or I'll strangle you myself." The protagonist, burning with determination, ignites his blade once more and carves through the undead, clearing a path for everyone to fall back toward an open lot. Teacher Pooh hesitates, trying to say something, but Liang Chuyin interrupts. She tells her that both of them are drained and would only slow him down, so the best thing they can do is follow orders. The rest of the team starts climbing the stairs to get to safety. From above, teacher Pooh yells, asking if he can really stop the monsters alone. Mo Yu replies that for a short while, it shouldn't be a problem. She reminds her that he's not alone, he's got experience, area attacks, and a will to survive. Down below, some of the soldiers stare at the chaos in disbelief, muttering, "Who the hell is that guy? Is he even human anymore?" Meanwhile, the protagonist steadies his breathing. He figures he's got about 5 minutes left to hold on. Thankfully, he had eaten the attribute stone before evolving. Now its power pulses inside him, fueling his strength for the battle ahead. With that and his stamina, skyrockets his body, now recovering twice as fast as before. He explains that stamina lets him run farther, move quicker, and even jump more times than normal. Suddenly, a crazed-looking zombie lunges out in front of him. Moments later, several more monsters emerge from the shadows, roaring and ready to strike. He realizes he's surrounded, an entire horde closing in around him. Shock hits as he notices something terrifying. None of them fear death anymore. From afar, the group wonders what's happening, why the monsters have gone berserk, and where so many rank 2 mutants came from. The zombies roar their leader's name as they charge toward him. They swarm over his body, piling up until he's buried beneath a mountain of corpses. Seeing it, one of the soldiers lowers his weapon and mutters that it's over, the chief's gone, and they've done all they could. But Mo Yi cuts him off sharply. "Look again," she shouts. In the next instant, the heap of corpses bursts into flames. A blazing inferno devours the mound of zombies. Through the fire, he grips his dagger tightly and pushes himself upright. He emerges from the ashes, eyes burning with determination. The soldiers stare in disbelief he's still alive. From a distance, one of them calls out that enough time has passed. Later, in an abandoned bank, the group discovers several safes. One of them smirks, saying there's bound to be something valuable inside. He pries a lock open with his dagger and freezes in shock when he sees what's inside. Emeralds. Chalet confirms it, eyes widening. Yeah, real emeralds. The fighter laughs, asking how much they're worth. She estimates around 2 million. He cheers, claiming they're rich now. But Chalet reminds him flatly that money means nothing in the apocalypse. Lian Shuyin crosses her arms and asks if there's anything actually useful in there. The protagonist remembers the 2 evolvers he met back at the market. The girl grimaces at the thought of them, calling them trash. He explains that one of them survived and handed over some valuable information. Then he opens one of the safes and pulls out a long wooden box. Curious, Professor Pugh asks what it is, since it's so long. Mo Yi quickly recognizes the shape and guesses it's a weapon case, maybe a sniper rifle. The guy opens the box, revealing the weapon inside. It's an old Type 88 sniper rifle. The other fighter cheers, impressed that it's complete with both a mechanical and an optical scope. Mo Yi sighs, though, complaining that there are only 20 bullets. That's not much. But the protagonist replies calmly, saying it's good enough for now, and that they're heading to the next spot. One of them asks where they're going next and whether they're taking the bodies. He nods, saying they will, but first they need to wait by the wall near the open lot. As they wait, the same fighter mutters that the boss sure is mysterious. He adds that it almost feels like the guy can predict the future or understands the apocalypse better than anyone. Liang Shuyin cuts him off sharply, asking what's wrong with having secrets. She says it doesn't matter what kind of secret he's hiding, he saved her life and made her stronger. She adds that they were all lucky to survive thanks to a 20-year-old kid. Professor Pooh teases her, saying she sounds like Zhang Ming's biggest fan. Liang Shuyin looks away for a moment, remembering how few decent people she's met since the world fell apart. The protagonist says quietly that everyone remembers those who betrayed them. The musician speaks up, saying that since the guy saved his life now belongs to him. The other fighter raises his hands defensively, saying he was just curious why the boss is so mysterious. With a crooked grin, he adds that he'll stick with the boss, maybe he'll finally find a proper profession. The girls agree, saying they want to see how far the guy will go. Someone wonders where the boss even went. It's been half an hour since he vanished. Looking up at the starry sky, one of them smiles faintly, thinking the boss must be doing something incredible right now. On a rooftop, the protagonist stands silently, overlooking the city. He suddenly spots a massive pit below a mass grave filled with bodies. He frowns. Graves are normal in the apocalypse, but this is too many. He wonders how so many people could have died in just a few days inside a newly built base. Two mutant cows graze nearby, and he quickly lunges, slashing them down with his dagger. One clean strike, each both drop instantly. He stares at the pool of blood forming beneath them and begins preparing for his new technique. Then he notices Uncle Zhao lying on the ground and walks toward him, dagger dripping red. Uncle Zhao panics and stammers, asking what he's about to do. The protagonist says calmly that he's learned a new technique and needs to practice it. He mentions that the spell requires a 500-kilogram blood pool. The two cows should be enough. Uncle Zhao begs for his life, swearing loyalty, promising to serve him forever. But the protagonist simply tells him to ask the corpses whether they forgive him. Raising his dagger, he prepares for the finishing strike. Uncle Zhao screams, begging him not to come closer. With a faint grin, the protagonist mutters that the puppet spell needs immaterial something to anchor the ritual. He casts the spell, but it fails. Nothing happens. Confused, he glances at the pit of bodies and suddenly notices movement. He tenses, ready for whatever's about to happen. Then he sees her, the blonde woman he recognizes from the market, the one who'd been dragged away. His expression hardens. Balling his fist, he thinks coldly, the strong live, the weak die. He jumps into the pit and rushes to her side. Lifting her in his arms, he realizes she's still breathing barely. Her organs are failing. She won't last long. His eyes sharpen with resolve. He needs someone at the edge of death for the spell to work. He glances back at Uncle Zhao. She's more suitable for this, he says. Holding the dying woman, he walks toward the pool of blood. He tosses 2 crystals into it to start the ritual. Then he feeds her a vial of evolution medicine. Activating his new beginner rank marionette spell, he completes the incantation. The woman's body jolts, and moments later she becomes a puppet, her once blue eyes turning empty and haunting. Her glowing red eyes flicker to life as she rises, ready to obey. The puppet floats off the ground, her crimson hair flowing wildly in the air. With pale white skin marked by dark tribal patterns, she looks like some mystical being. The protagonist steps closer, inspecting her condition. He notices she still has a faint pulse, but it won't last long. A smirk forms on his face as he realizes she's become a steel body. He decides to test her power and readies himself for battle. Glancing over at Uncle Zhao, he gives a single order for the puppet to kill him. She rushes forward in an instant, slicing through the air toward her target. Uncle Zhao freezes in terror as she flies straight at him. With one swift, precise strike, her claws tear through him. Elsewhere, the guide hesitates, asking if he should take charge now. Sweating nervously, he's clearly confused about what's going on. One of the men wonders aloud if the boss is really okay. It's been a long time. The guide snaps at him for doubting the leader. Just then, Yahello appears, calling the protagonist by name. With a teasing smirk, she asks if he's been treating her well. He flusters, trying to dodge the question, but she scolds him for acting cocky and smacks him on the head. With a playful kick, she knocks him down and calls him a brat. A moment later, the protagonist finally arrives. With a faint grin, he says, "It's not just a sword," and hands the weapon to her. She thanks him as Liang Chu-yin stares curiously at the red-haired woman. He says he'll explain later. Right now, there are more important things to handle. Turning to the guide, he gives the next round of orders. He explains that after drawing the zombies in, he'll clear the area to make it safe. His expression hardens as he tells everyone to grab whatever they can and come back once they see him move. With a sharp command, he sends the team off and they dive into the mission. He assigns Professor Pooh and the musician to provide support with the lanterns. The bystander jumps back, startled by the puppet's appearance. He's shocked by her glowing red eyes and flowing crimson hair. The musician realizes that it's a zombie one being controlled by Zhang Ming. With the area cleared, the team begins gathering loot from the corpses. The protagonist slashes through zombies with his dagger, carving a path forward. He notes that the puppet fights like a humanoid weapon, precise and brutally efficient. With a single swing, she crushes a zombie's skull. He's impressed by her strength. Her power and defense are incredible. Even a rank 2 creature can barely scratch her. He concludes that even without innate talent skills, she's stronger than a 1-star evolver. When more zombies start closing in, he orders everyone to fall back. They confirm and retreat immediately. The next night, the city lies dark and silent. The group gathers around a table filled with evolution medicines. Mo Yu reports that they collected over 1,000 rank 1 crystals. Only 20 rank 2 crystals were found and nothing good came from the wheel. Zhang Ming says it's fine, they'll keep the medicines for emergencies. He opens a hidden compartment and carefully stores the vials away. Suddenly, the guy bursts into the room, calling for Brother Yi. He reports that the surviving fighters from the Wasteland Defense have arrived. The protagonist nods, saying they know what that means. The soldiers confirm they did well and deserve their reward. Zhang Ming proposes that they join forces and fight alongside the group. The next morning, a crowd gathers at the base. The protagonist meets with the guide and Lai Kang to discuss their next move. The guide explains that their equipment isn't enough for the number of recruits. Lai Kang adds that they gathered 1,000 young fighters, but there's a problem. Out of the 13 who took the evolution medicine, only 7 showed up. One of the men says he'll go tell Brother Yi about it. The guide admits that he tried to find the missing ones, but they refused to come. Zhang Ming scolds him for not knowing how to handle a situation like this. The guide falls silent, unsure how to respond. Then Zhang Ming explains coldly that there are only 3 ways to control a situation: through law, reward, and power. He says that in the apocalypse, there's no such thing as law, only 2 options left. He explains that he's already given them the benefits, so now there's just one thing remaining. With a cold stare, he orders the guide to use his weapon and show everyone who's in charge. He calls Xiao Hu and Xia Lei to join the mission and tells Lai Kang to assist as well. Then he sends the guide to find the other revolvers, telling him to give them a choice: hunt with them or die. Meanwhile, he quietly watches the city from above, waiting for the group's return, his eyes distant and thoughtful. The guide eventually comes back, reporting that one of the men tried to resist and he had to kill him. Zhang Ming nods with a serious look, commending him for handling it well. He warns everyone that today's battle isn't over yet. The men apologize and swear it won't happen again. With a faint smirk, he tells them to get ready to move out. Workers start building up the base's defenses, digging trenches, setting up the perimeter, and stacking sandbags into barricades. From a distance, he watches their work and praises how fast they're getting it done. Lying on the rooftop, he scans the area through his binoculars. Mo Yi asks if they're just there to attract monsters. With a sly grin, the protagonist replies that he's actually looking for someone. The girls exchange puzzled looks and ask who he's searching for. He tells them they'll find out soon enough. His tone turns serious as he explains that only one kind of thing can control both zombies and mutant beasts. He remembers what it was called in his past life: the brain insect. The brain insect isn't strong, but it's an expert at hiding in ambushes. It can control people, turning them into puppet-like zombies. Then, without hesitation, he cuts his own wrist with a dagger. Mo Yi gasps, asking if he's lost his mind. He lets the blood drip to the ground, saying he'll draw the creature out. With a twisted smile, he adds, "If it's too hard to find, I'll make it come to me." He explains that noise alone isn't enough. They don't have enough bait to lure every zombie. So instead, he plans to attract the boss that's commanding them, which leaves Mo Yi puzzled. Zhang Ping points out that he's talking about whatever is controlling the mutants attacking their base. Mo Yi lifts her binoculars and scans the horizon. Through the lens, she spots a massive swarm of zombies and mutants charging their way. Zhang Ming warns that they're coming. It's time to get ready for battle. Down below, Xia Lei and her squad are already positioned behind the barricades. She confirms that the enemies are back for another round. The trio dashes for the incoming horde, bracing for the fight ahead. Leaping over the barricade, they dive straight into the chaos. Their leader shouts orders, telling them not to get reckless and to fall back once the trench fills up. The purple-haired girl agrees, ready to follow his plan. With her weapon raised, she rallies everyone, shouting for them to be brave and wipe out those disgusting creatures. She adds that after today, everyone's life could finally start to change for the better. With a battle cry, she charges forward, leading the attack as everyone rushes in beside her. They reach a ruined, overgrown garden. The protagonist moves through the area with his puppet and yellow pill by his side. He's certain the brain insect is hiding somewhere nearby. He knows it didn't attack their base by chance. It had a purpose. Its goal is to evolve, and for that, it needs the body of the strongest one around him. But he doesn't mind. His goal is to hunt the brain insect anyway. He looks at Yellow Pill and casually asks if he enjoys eating bugs. The little creature tilts its head, completely baffled by the question. Then suddenly, Yellow Pill starts growling something's approaching. Zhang Ming turns toward the forest, eyes narrowing. He knows that probably no one in the world even realizes the brain insect exists, nor that this terrifying creature is actually something people would desire. Because just like an attribute stone, the brain insect can be eaten. And now, it's right there along with its host. The host freezes in shock, staring at who's standing right in front of him. And our guy instantly recognizes him as Leader Yi, the same one he fought before. Leader Yi isn't alone this time. Right beside him stands a massive black crystal zombie, a mutant rank 3 monster with 100 writhing hands. Zhang Ming quickly realizes that the brain insect must have known he left the base and set this ambush, waiting for him with its new pet monster. Meanwhile, the zombified Wang Ding sniffs the air and mutters that the guy's scent is delicious. Without a second thought, Zhang Ping lunges forward, swinging his flaming blade straight at him. But the 100-handed zombie blocks the strike effortlessly with its disgusting red limbs. Flames surge around the protagonist as he powers up for a stronger attack. He charges with his sword blazing, slashing right into the beast. He smirks, already expecting that a rank 3 zombie wouldn't die that easily. The creature roars in rage, proof that the hit actually did some damage. Zhang Ping jumps back with Yellow Pill beside him, muttering that everything's going according to plan. When the monster lashes out with its red tentacles, he deflects the blows with his dagger. Yellow Pill seizes the moment, biting into one of the creature's arms to help his master, but the monster snarls and smacks the poor pup away with a heavy swing. The beast follows up with a crushing punch, forcing the protagonist to block with his blade. He flits back, realizing the rank 3 zombie is way too strong to take head-on for now. Still, he grins because he knows the creature has a bigger role to play. He orders Yellow Pill to go after the cloaked figure standing behind them. The dog leaps toward Leader Yu, obeying without hesitation. Zhang Ming knows the zombie's main mission is to protect the brain insect. The creature lashes out its tongue, wrapping Yellow Pill midair, but even trapped, the pup fires off a barrage of golden spikes. It flies straight toward Leader Yi, catching him off guard. He barely blocks them with his monstrous claws. While the creature squeezes Yellow Pill tighter, the protagonist takes his chance, striking a clean hit right into one of the zombie's eyes. Using his own tongue for leverage, he launches himself upward onto the monster's back. But suddenly, a new creature hurls a rock straight at him. He blocks it with ease, landing on his feet, shocked to see what's coming next. A tiny zombie is perched on the back of a massive mutant bear. It's a two-headed zombie dude, one small and crafty, the other big and brutally strong. Things just got worse. Two rank 3 monsters at once. He narrows his eyes, realizing the brain insect planned this perfectly, hiding more beasts in the forest. He orders Yellow Pill to stall the new pair while he retrieves something important. Zhang Ming pulls out a necklace with a glowing blue crystal. Activating it, he summons a giant stone golem. With a grin, he announces that this is his beginner summoning technique. The massive golem crashes down onto the 100-handed zombie, slamming it into the ground with a thunderous quake that sends dust flying everywhere. Pinned beneath the colossal weight, the monster struggles but can't move an inch. Mocking it, Zhang Ming asks why it can't move anymore, then explains that the golem is made of osmium, the densest metal in existence, and it weighs over a ton. He found a 1-ton block of the stuff and figured it'd be perfect for this fight. Even for a rank 3 monster, there's no escape. With a single decisive strike, he finishes the creature off once and for all. Like on this video that helps Mamoru make more juicy content for his viewers, activate the cheeky little bell, and I'm out.